Welcome to Senpai, your new home for immersive manga, manhwa, anime-inspired novels, and fantasy audiobook stories. Here, every episode brings you into a world of overpowered heroes, revenge arcs, cultivation journeys, virtual reality games, monsters, magic, and emotional character moments. Whether you enjoy dark fantasy, action, reincarnation, system stories, or epic adventure novels, Senpai is here to turn every chapter into a cinematic listening experience. So relax, put on your headphones, and let the story begin. Subscribe to Senpai and join the journey.
In the bedroom, Shana is still unconscious, but Ye Lian is sitting on the bed, her pair of unusually bright eyes virtually riveted on Shana. Ye Lian obviously could not eat food for normal humans, but Ling Mo wasn't intending on feeding her. But since he said that he is to deliver the meal, he would have to disappear for a while. By using this time, Ling Mo again walked over to Shana, carefully observing her for any changes to her vitals. For a person who has consecutively swallowed 2 virus gels, Shana's reaction is way too calm. She is breathing calmly, her face not discolored, and does not have any trace of painful expression. But one thing is for sure is that, under the disguise of the calmness, there must be a virus storm raging inside Shana's body. But nobody knows what will the aftermath of the storm leave Shana. After carefully observing Shana for more than 10 minutes, Ling Mo returned to the living room. At this time, the sky has gradually darkened. For safety, Ling Mo pulled down the curtain from the balcony completely and also used furniture to block the door. This way, even if something started attacking, there's at least somewhat of a barricade. Wang, Cheng, and Liu Yuhao also started to become tense. To stay in this completely unfamiliar environment to stay for a night, for them is still a bit too much. Who knows when the zombies will pass by the door? Don't make too much noise. Ling Mo's expression is almost stoic as he whispered under his breath. Then how will the watch be arranged tonight? Liu Yuhao is clearly treating Ling Mo as the leader. Ling Mo gave a little thought, then said, each person takes turns for 3 hours. Shana will be guarded by Ye Lian at all times, but I will also go check on them both when it's my turn. No, just me and Wang Cheng rotate. Big brother Ling, you and big sister Ye Lian guard Shana. But Liu Yuhao slowly shook his head and said, you have to defend, but also guarding Shana. This is way too exhausting for you. Me and Wang Cheng have nothing to do right now. The only thing we could do is this. Wang Cheng also nodded on the side, indicating that he has no objection. Seeing them insist, Ling Mo could only reluctantly agree. In fact, to be on watch duty is not an easy task. Not for the things you can fight off, but for the gradual drain on your sanity. As soon as the night comes, inside the supposedly abandoned building, you start hearing sounds, most of which you don't know if it's coming from your own head. To make matters worse, no lighting in the hallway means that a passing shadow could be anything from a scampering rat to a mutant zombie, ready to attack. Occasionally, there would be a slightly louder voice, which would send the person on duty to jump up like a frightened bird, then nervously stare out into the hallway, looking for any danger, further fueling their paranoia. But Wang Cheng still felt that even if he had to stay in the living room afraid and paranoid, it would be better than staying with the current Shana. Therefore, he not only offered to be on duty on the first shift, he even took a stool to sit at the doorway, intently gazing outwards. After all, if there's trouble, he will most likely be the first one to die among this group regardless. And although Liu Yuhao is full of anxious thoughts, he was simply overworked from the day's stresses and was physically exhausted. He almost instantly fell into a deep sleep on the couch. And Ling Mo moved a sofa chair into the bedroom, sat down on the farmost corner, closing his eyes to meditate. This day Ling Mo was also exhausted. He could not be compared to zombies. If he doesn't seize the time to rest, his physical strength will not be recovered by tomorrow. Facing a few zombies is no challenge for an awake Ling Mo, but if he encountered another horde, his speed and physical strength would quickly be sapped. Through constant exertion, using zombie puppet control, Ling Mo's exceptional mental fortitude allows him even get the most out of his sleeping time. By alternating between very deep sleep and being completely awake over a matter of minutes, he is both able to keep watch of his surroundings and sleep better than ordinary survivors. This kind of sleeping mode is most likely mastered by all survivors, but Ling Mo is exceptionally proficient at it. The so-called spiritual power, from Ling Mo's perspective, is most likely a general name for concentration, observation, and other mental capacities. He has the ability to control zombie puppets. It is to separate his own spiritual power to use to control zombies who are without senses and can only rely on instincts. To use one heart in 2 places is not a simple task, especially applying it in a battle. Life and death battle. The emphasis is on speed of response of nerves and flesh. If one cannot concentrate, how could he keep up with the zombie's action? Therefore, in the beginning, Ling Mo is only using the controlled zombie puppets to combat. While he is hiding behind the scenes, safe from harm, and later used to cover by zombie puppets, he would rush out to battle to claim brain gels. When he began to manipulate a mutated Ye Lian, Ling Mo then started to master fighting along with zombie puppets. In this process, Ling Mo's spiritual power has already received enough practices. Therefore, when Ye Lian evolved, Ling Mo underwent an explosion in spiritual power, and evolving as he controlled 2 mutated zombies at once. The evolution of spiritual ability is a relatively vague concept. Only Ling Mo could understand that kind of feeling. But after evolution, this connection hub is instantly leveled a notch as well, and the transmission of commands had therefore become even more stable and effectively instantaneous. For example, like right now, Ye Lian and Ling Mo's feeling is like a shadow clone of himself, of which he could manipulate without hindrance. Of course, Ling Mo did not really meant to treat her as his primary weapon. In fact, during the combat, Ling Mo has been consciously training his own strength, and not to completely rely on Ye Lian. In most situations, he is the main one, and Ye Lian as the support. Even though ordinary people and zombies have huge differences, Ling Mo still tries his hardest to defeat them single-handedly, coming on top as a result. The reason that zombies can strike fear in people is that as soon as they discover their prey, they will madly and relentlessly attack until they are literally ripped apart at the seams. Ordinary survivors tend to fear zombies, and when one comes around to attack, they're so concerned about not being injured and subsequently infected that they hold back in attacking, an oftentimes fatal mistake. But to Ling Mo, who has been dealing with zombies, and even living together with one, zombies are not that scary. Put aside the fact that zombies usually charge in hordes. In the case of encountering a single zombie, even an unarmed survivor has the advantage. Zombies only know how to attack, and while that may appear to be frightening, it is also their downfall against a level-headed opponent who knows how to defend and counterattack. But Ling Mo also knew that most people still need to hold on to a group to be able to barely survive, because most of them were civilians before the apocalypse, never harming anything larger than an insect in their whole lives. Not only that, in this kind of urban city, there's just such a large number of zombies. One madman is not terrible, but what about a group of mad people? Millions of bloodthirsty mad undead wandering in the city. What kind of terrible sight is that? Even for Ling Mo himself. Even if he relies on the zombie puppet ability, and with a mutated zombie like Ye Lian next to him, the combat couple stands no chance against a group of chargers. Reflecting back at the revolving door in the commercial building, even if they used the advantage of environment to wipe out that group of zombies, causalities still occurred among the group. And Ling Mo thought to himself, in that situation, if there were only himself and Ye Lian, they would have perished that day. If it wasn't for the crazy, fighting Shana, only instinct could provide an explanation as to why Ling Mo bolted out of bed, threw aside his blanket, and dashed toward Shana. Just this moment, Shana, who was under the watch of Ye Lian, suddenly opened her eyes. It was midnight in the pitch-black room when Shana opened her eyes after being almost vegetative. Also at a distance, Ling Mo could already see Shana's pair of nearly glowing red eyes. More concerning to him, however, was the observation that Ye Lian appeared almost restless. Ling Mo learned to trust the instincts from a mutated zombie, such as herself, as a warning signal. Was Shana fully mutated? Ling Mo carefully approached, waiting with bated breath to observe more carefully at Shana's reaction. But just as he walked to the bed, Shana suddenly stood up in the almost pitch darkness, instantly rushed over and effortlessly dashed towards Ling Mo. If it were normal people standing against such a charge, they would have only felt a rustling in the air before they would be sliced into ribbons. In the dark, zombies are much stronger than average people, and in terms of vision, they hold absolute advantage. Ling Mo naturally could not clearly visualize Shana's movements in the pitch-black room, but he could feel Ye Lian's actions and thoughts, and by proxy, have his eye train on Shana, enabling him to predict Shana's move. Ling Mo immediately rolled sideways as Shana leaped, and Ye Lian, who was quietly sitting on the bed, also suddenly jumped out from behind and grabbed Shana's arm from behind. Although Shana's reaction is super fast and immediately turned to attack Ye Lian, Ling Mo has already recovered from his evasive dodge and picked up Shana to hurl her under the bed. This is zombies' weakness. It is lack of judgment. They only know how to attack with instincts, and very easy to be diverted of attention. It was only after restraining Shana that Ling Mo realized as his heart skipped a beat that Shana was fully mutated. Ling Mo was thankful that Ye Lian had grabbed her arm to distract her so he could recover from his role. Otherwise, he would have been pulverized on the spot. Ling Mo reached under Shana's bed and yanked her arms out. But just as Ling Mo turned her over and ready to manipulate her, Shana suddenly spoke out in a somewhat confused but wholly human voice, whispered, "What are you doing?" Ling Mo leaped back in shock. If he has not just seen Shana's super strong attacking power, Ling Mo could have thought that Shana is still a normal person. Under the shock, Ling Mo, somewhat confused, and looked at Shana's pair of eyes, and found out that that pair of eyes that were bloody red a moment ago, right now, returned to the normal state. Even in the darkness, Ling Mo could still make up a vague impression of her face. Ling Mo felt thunderstruck at seeing Shana's drastic reversion into what is seemingly a human face after believing that he had lost her to the zombies. Ling Mo has seen this sudden gaze of clarity and consciousness prior to the cusp of evolution of Ye Lian. It both seemed like regaining a faint trace of consciousness, and also almost like a budding of thinking, a trait far distinct from a zombie who was trained to only kill. Even though that look soon disappeared from Ye Lian's eyes and was lost till this day, it has stubbornly carved itself into Ling Mo's memories. This means to Ling Mo, it's kind of a hope that he looks forward that Ye Lian will be able to completely regain her consciousness someday. But right now, he even saw the same expression in Shana's eyes, and different from Ye Lian at that moment, is that she still knows how to talk. Shana? Shana? Ling Mo took quite a while to start talking again, and quickly grabbed the shoulders of Shana and rattled a few times, whispered rapidly. The movement inside the bedroom has also alerted Wang, Cheng, who was on duty in the living room, even awakened Liu Yuhao. Big brother Ling, did something happen to Shana? Liu Yuhao anxiously asked repeatedly outside the door. Ling Mo said without turning his head back, "Do not come in." Not even Ling Mo knew what happened to Shana, who was exhibiting the clarity of a human, but still possessing the aggressiveness of a mutated zombie, letting these two inexperienced survivors in assure to cause even more unnecessary chaos. Shana gathered herself and began to rouse herself, apparently being roused by Ling Mo's shaking, but she did not answer Ling Mo. Instead, she began to frantically struggle to stand up. Her eyes has once again become bloody red. That sense of fierce rage that belonged to zombies once again occupied her mind. Ling Mo needed to act fast before she started to attack again. He quickly let Ye Lian firmly grasp Shana, and he is using the zombie puppet ability trying to control Shana. She must not be allowed to continue to mutate like this. It will eventually be lose-lose. It is necessary to stop her from attacking anyone. As Ling Mo began to merge his consciousness with Shana's, he saw something that was astounding. Shana's consciousness seemed to be rapidly switching between the rage-fueled zombie state, as well as a free-thinking human state. Right now, it's obvious that the violent component is having the upper advantage, and Shana has become extremely violent because of this. Even her consciousness was violently resisting Ling Mo's attempts at controlling it, reacting with unprecedented pressure. Fortunately, Ling Mo's spirit of power has evolved several times, although very difficult. But when Ling Mo was almost at the point of collapse, he finally suppressed Shana's instinct and seized control of Shana's body. But because Shana is still behaving with some sanity, Ling Mo did not decide to forcibly and completely control her, but just like he controlled Ye Lian before, he only maintained a spiritual connection with her. This way, he would be able to rapidly mentally restrain Shana if she ever reverts to this mutated zombie state. Finally, Shana quieted down. Ling Mo looked down at himself and saw his whole body has been soaked by the sweat after this workout. Ling Mo slowly removed himself from the bed while rubbing his temples, eyes looking at Shana perplexedly. Shana's current situation where she suddenly is a zombie and suddenly showing a trace of rational ways allowed Ling Mo unconsciously thought of a word, schizophrenia. The two brain gels she swallowed obviously had something to do with her current state. As Shana started to mutate and structurally deform under the load of the virus, the gels stopped her body from falling apart, like the late Liu Xian. Instead, the virus must have been redirected into her brain, causing degeneration of consciousness and sanity. A truly bittersweet outcome. Ling Mo, still extremely cautious, decided to forcibly control Shana's body movements for the moment. Controlled by Ling Mo and her desire to attack being forcibly smothered, Shana once again calmed down. Even that pair of eyes has slowly returned back to normal. However, her eyes were extremely hazy, almost as if she was in semi-conscious trance. Even so, to maintain control against her under this condition, Ling Mo still spends a lot of his strength. Of course, under the current situation, it's already good that she could maintain spiritual connection with him, but to control her actions would be difficult. Controlling another mutated zombie, a somewhat schizophrenic zombie, this to Ling Mo is really a huge pressure. Liu Yuhao could not wait another second, being overwhelmed by temptation and rushed in. His jaw dropped at the sight of the bedroom. His eyes glazed over the damaged bed and stared at Shana, who was apparently peacefully sitting in bed. Liu Yuhao suddenly exclaimed with surprise. Shana did not become a zombie. She actually did not become a zombie. Shana. As he said, he rushed before Shana, excited trying to reach out and embrace her. Don't touch her. But Ling Mo was still a step late, as Liu Yuhao's hand brushed by Shana's arm. Shana, who was previously unconscious, suddenly turned violent again, her eyes glowing a bright crimson. If she wasn't tightly restrained by Ling Mo, she would have most likely started to attack Liu Yuhao. Liu Yuhao was horrified and stepped a few steps backwards, then looked at Ling Mo with a terrified look, his heart beating in his throat. What is going on? Ling Mo cannot tell him that he is currently mind-controlling Shana, otherwise he would fear that Liu Yuhao will go insane as well. Fortunately, he quickly thought of another answer. I guess she is still in the aftermath of infection and is very mentally unstable. You better not mess with her, otherwise she would lose her sanity for good. Like a hangover, Liu Yuhao widened his eyes, but did not have slightest doubt for Ling Mo's words. Indeed, there is no better explanation that could better explain Shana's current situation. And right now Shana's eyes revealed bloodthirsty breath and appeared no different from an ordinary bloodthirsty and savage zombie. But Ling Mo did not feel any desire to leap out and strike, suggesting to him that Shana was consciously suppressing the urge to attack. All through the night, Shana was alternating between sane and mad, interspersed with a few spells of deep stupor. Finally, in the morning, she appeared to be somewhat more stable. But just as Ling Mo feared, the current Shana did become a zombie, but at the same time still have a trace of reason. The current Shana is only a line away from zombies, but the strength is already much stronger than the ordinary zombies. Thanks to Liu Yuhao's foolish actions last night, Ling Mo realized that there was indeed a pattern to Shana's current bipolar situation. Normally, Shana would exist in a seemingly human form, being able to reason and mumble out a few words, albeit at a much lower mental capacity. But when she has encountered something stressful or physically threatening, she will immediately lose those shreds of reason and transform into a vicious and murderous zombie. But under Ling Mo's manipulation, her mood gradually stabilized and does not hold strong hostility towards Liu Yuhao and Wang Cheng. But because of the special spiritual connection between her and Ling Mo, it seems that the people closest to Shana is Ling Mo. For example, right now, Shana is staring blankly at Ling Mo, one hand tightly pulling him. "Shana, do you recognize me?" After crying out her name hundreds of times, Shana did maintain impression to her own name. She will react as long as someone calls. But that was as far as she could respond to someone talking. Ask her a question, and you would get nothing but a stupefied expression. But Shana has demonstrated strong interest to her own long knife. Whenever seeing Shana holding the long knife, somewhat sluggish and in the state of confusion, then suddenly grabbed at the scabbard of the sword, that sense of momentum is even stronger than the prior Shana. But then she refused to put down her long knife. And Ling Mo always felt that Shana is the same as Ye Lian. They should all have the opportunity to completely regain sanity. Therefore, he did not force her to give up the long knife. As long as there's obsession, it's much better than completely reduced to senseless zombies. It can be said that in Shana's current situation, it completely firmed Ling Mo's confidence. Zombies are indeed terrible, but the culprit behind the zombies is, after all, the virus. And from the current situation, Ling Mo already has a mind forming. With the continuous evolution of virus, zombie strength will continue to grow, and at the same time, they will eventually grow into rational monsters. Shana's situation illustrates this point. She absorbed too much virus at one point and appeared to the current state, and Ye Lian, who after evolution also shows signs of senses. Therefore, different from Liu Yuhao, who is in the mood of grief, Ling Mo right now is full of energy. Big brother Ling. Shana's current state right now. Liu Yuhao right now is afraid of getting too close to Shana. He can only sit far on the sidelines, watching every move of Shana. It's not difficult to tell from his expression that he is not only filled with doubts, but also feels sad for Shana. Any normal person would not want to become zombies, even if not so completely. Ling Mo deeply looked at him, said, "Instead of letting Shana die, or turn into something like Liu Xen, don't you think that the result had been very fortunate?" This, Liu Yuhao's face emerged a hint of hesitation, then nodded heavily. Yes, right now at least is better than dead, and at least she is not showing hostility to Big Brother Ling. As he said the last sentence, Liu Yuhao's tone is somewhat bitter. Ling Mo did not tell him about his ability to control zombies. Therefore, Liu Yuhao thought that Shana is close to Ling Mo, is completely out of her instincts, but happens to not have any memory to this comrade who has been fighting side by side. This, of course, made Liu Yuhao a little heartbroken. Ling Mo rubbed his nose, said, "Maybe I'm talking that perhaps Shana will slowly recover her senses." What? Liu Yuhao is surprised, no longer having a depressed air, suddenly locked his eyes on Ling Mo's face. Ling Mo slowly said, "As you have seen, Shana right now is different than those ordinary zombies. You could not say that she completely still have her senses, but at least not completely controlled by instincts. This situation probably never occurred on any zombies before. But no matter what, as long as her rational ability is not completely erased, then there is hope to restore. But this time frame might be short or might be long." What he said were all predictions, but Liu Yuhao's eyes have already become extremely hot. Hope is good, but right now Shana only sees you. After the excitement, Liu Yuhao then again become depressed. With Shana's current situation, he could not even be too close to her, not to mention be the same as before. Just as Ling Mo was going to reply, he suddenly sees Wang Cheng running like a trail of smoke, then stopped at a place that is quiet far away from Shana, said with a joyous face, "There are people on the street. Survivors. Survivors." Following Wang Cheng to the balcony, Ling Mo see through from the window, and of course see the survivors. But after one look, Ling Mo could not help but twitch his eyes. There's not only one survivor down there, but an entire survivor group. There are about 20 young women and men, all carrying different kinds of backpacks and holding all kinds of weapons at hand. It seems like they have been searching for food from early morning, but right now was attacked by dozens of zombies. After watching for a while, Ling Mo realized that even though this group of people are normal people, but there are a few young men with very good combat ability, and they attack much more viciously than others. But what made Ling Mo pay attention is their methods of killing zombies. Those few young men rushed at the very front. The rest of the people is scattered around, using the automobiles as cover and started to deal with zombies. Even though their combat abilities are not very strong, but they become horned into each other, take care of each other, even if they could not confront the zombies like those young men, but they could get rid zombies one by one during the process. Seeing here, Ling Mo could not help but want to call out good. This kind of team in his perspective is the real survivor group. But there, after all, does not have enough battle personnel. In a place like zombie dense area, they're soon in the state of danger. Attracted by blood, More and more zombies from all directions drilled out and lunged wildly at them. And after these people persisted for a little bit, they had to stop the battle and retreat. Eventually, they actually retreated into this area and directly toward the building where Ling Mo and his people is staying. Soon, there came the muffled bang sound from downstairs. Obviously, these people have already rushed into the safety staircase. But soon after a loud sound immediately came over, is those zombies crazily hitting the staircase door. Listen to the sound. It seems that not for long, the staircase door will be forced open. At that time, a group of zombies will swarm inside, and Ling Mo and his people who are hiding inside the house may also be in danger. At this time, the best way is to hide in the house and not making a sound, but with the sound of messy footsteps, Ling Mo suddenly somewhat despondent. These people, they actually came upstairs, and they even rushed into the corridor on the second floor. In fact, it is not difficult to understand when these survivors fled into this building. Their reason is probably the same when Ling Mo and his people chose here. First of all, this building is the closest to the door, and it also has the best geographical conditions here. One side is the artificial creek. The other side is the fountain square, which is a certain distance between the surrounding houses. This way they will not fall into a zombie horde, and still have several escape routes. Most likely this group of people wanted to go through this building to temporarily break free of the horde, then try to take the opportunity to escape from the other side of it. But as soon as these people stepped on second floor, followed by a loud noise from downstairs, the door was apparently completely broke down. This movement and their footsteps also immediately lured out zombies that were hiding within the building. Then, a cacophony of chaos erupted from the hallway down the floor. Sounds of flesh being stabbed and screaming of survivors being ripped apart by the zombies greeted Ling Mo and the rest of his group. Ling Mo quietly walked to the door, looked out through the cat hole, and saw these people have retreated to a suite diagonally opposite, and quickly locked the door. A large group of zombies is densely packed in the corridor, frantically charging at the door. The sound of tearing and chewing are amongst it. Ling Mo guessed that they must have appeared causalities, and now the corridor should also be full of corpses, zombies and human alike. Retreating into a suite like this will not hold off the zombies forever. Most likely that group of people is planning to jump off the building to escape. That would be a good way to attract the zombies that were chasing into the staircase, then jump out of here. So even if not to completely throw off the zombies, they still acquired enough time to escape. To jump off from the second floor is actually quite dangerous, but Ling Mo knows that it's all grass field outside of this building. As long as you're not particularly unlucky, should not be able to break your leg. Especially in this kind of emergency situation, it's not easy to find another foolproof solution. Coming up an apartment meant that you have just cut off your routes to escape to only the stairwells, which has been rendered impossible by all the zombies clamoring about, or out a window. What should we do? Big brother Ling, should we help? Hearing the sound from outside, Liu Yuhao walked to Ling Mo's side with an extremely fearful expression, whispered. Ling Mo looked at him sideways, said, "There are at least 30 zombies outside. As soon as we open the door, we will be turned into human hamburgers with extra giblets. How can we possibly help them?" Liu Yuhao is suddenly speechless, and Ling Mo is secretly shaking his head in his heart. Liu Yuhao has a heart of gold and would never let someone suffer in his eyes. But that means that he does not know when to back off and let people go. Sure, it may make Ling Mo sound like a heartless jerk, but sometimes you have to save yourself first. But hearing more and more zombies outside the door, some zombies even started to bang on the door here. Ling Mo's face suddenly becomes somewhat gloomy. "We cannot stay here, let's go." Zombies hitting the door does not necessarily mean that they found Ling Mo's trail, but in the temporary loss of the target, and stimulated by the smell of blood, where they reacted extremely violently. Not only banging on the door at Ling Mo's place, but also the other doors are also being struck. Wang Cheng has already been scared to death by the movement outside. At this time, he subconsciously asked one thing. "From where do we go?" "Down." But even though saying words like this, Ling Mo will not rashly jump off the building unless it is absolutely their last course of action. If they land and break a leg, they become sitting ducks. Fortunately, he has used furniture to block the door last night. At this time, even though the doors were knocked with bang bang, ringing, the barrier appeared to be too sturdy to break down, but the zombies were piling up at their door, finally realizing that there are survivors within. Time is running out for Ling Mo. Ling Mo quickly dug out a climbing rope from the backpack, which was salvaged from breaking down a barrier from a general store. He never imagined it would be useful up until now. He quickly tied it into a knot, then fixed it after. Ling Mo then manipulated Ye Lian and Shana went down first, grabbing the rope. The second floor is not high, and the window air conditioning unit can also be used to break their fall. Plus, these two zombie sister skill is much more flexible than average person. They soon dropped to the ground and immediately started to clear the area of zombies nearby for Ling Mo and his people. Liu Yuhao's face is white as a sheet, and he insisted to not go first. Ling Mo yanked on the rope twice to check if it's steady, then grabbed the rope to jump on the air conditioning unit, then rappelling down, jumped down, and let go of the rope when there he is still 1 meter above the ground. Soon followed by Wang Cheng, and at last when Liu Yuhao is jumping, zombies finally breached the barricade and forced the door open. Several zombies directly rushed to the window and did not hesitate to jump down. But how could zombies know how to use the rope? As soon as they jumped down, they fell flat face first on the floor. More zombies rushed out the window and landed on the crushed zombie corpses, charging to attack. Ling Mo and Ye Lian did not give them the opportunity for them to get far. Shana's eyes immediately turned red as she started to attack, but Ling Mo's scalp went numb, quickly strengthened control over her, and not letting her to continue attack. Go. Now. In the blink of an eye, there are soon several more zombie bodies on the ground. It is conceivable that soon the entire horde will divert their attention at them. Thus Ling Mo immediately brought Ye Lian and the rest to bolt away towards the side entrance of the district, which was relatively less populated by zombies. But just as they went along this residential building to the back of the lane, they bumped into that group of survivors. These people jumped from the other side. Their target was also to escape from the side door. As soon as Ling Mo saw this group of people, he realized with a sinking feeling that they must have attracted the horde over. But only a few isolated zombies found them, and the rest of the horde remained at the back of the apartment. One of the young men is running in front, most likely opening the road. Therefore, immediately seeing Ling Mo and his people, suddenly exclaimed loudly. Most likely they never thought that there are still survivors in this residential building, and much less coincidentally bumping into them. Ling Mo rolled his eyes, taking advantage that these people are left behind at the rear. To quickly escape is a serious matter. Who knows what kind of methods they used? That group of zombies did not appear for a while. When Ling Mo brought Ye Lian and his people running all the way out of the compound, then heard the movement of zombies coming over. Hey! The young man from before still is persistent, panting, and called out to Ling Mo and his people. Been forced to give up their temporary foothold this early in the morning. Ling Mo's expression is not looking very good, and his tone is also unhappy. What? The young man was by no means stupid. As soon as he opened his mouth, he started to apologize. Sorry, we didn't know that you guys are here. We dragged you down. This is not the place to talk. How about come with us to our camp? Camp. This group of people still has a camp? Ling Mo suddenly showed a hint of surprised looks. Originally, he wanted to refuse, but then he glimpsed at Liu Yu Hao standing behind him. Of course, he does not want to go to any kind of survivor camp. What with him having a growing posse of zombies behind his every step. Wang Cheng's life and death he also does not care, but Liu Yu Hao this person gave Ling Mo good impression. But his personality decided that Ling Mo could not keep him by his side. The best result is to let Liu Yu Hao find a good place to go with the survivors. The young man anxiously looked at Ling Mo, realizing that he would be the leader of the group. Where is your camp? Ling Mo frowned and asked after a long moment of silence. The young man probably did not expect Ling Mo to hesitate so much when being asked to join him. Any ordinary people encountering another survivor group will all rushed up like gummy bear, editor's note. Means to stick together like glue. The reason of why he invited Ling Mo and his people is that partly because he felt guilty for driving them out of their hiding spot. On the other hand, he is somewhat surprised by the combatability by Ling Mo and his people. Although on the road to the direction of the side door, there weren't that many zombies, but there's always a few coming out to block the way. Originally, the young man thought that they would not stand a chance, and would have to sacrifice a few survivors just to get past those zombies. But to their great surprise is that this seemingly very weak team of strangers, two strange-looking red-eyed girls, two teenagers, and one young man are exceptionally strong. These scattered zombies did not even cause the slightest effect on them. A group of people like this one is obviously not a burden, but well worth any food they want. District Ginkgo. How about it? Would you like to join us back to the camp? The young man somewhat eagerly asked. District Ginkgo is not very far away from here, just 2 blocks detour to go. But this gang evidently seemed just left camp. Why go back so soon? In such matters, Ling Mo did not intend to conceal and opened his mouth to ask. The young man quickly said, "You are mistaken. We came out 2 days ago, gathering supplies in this neighborhood. Originally, we planned to take the risk and look for something today around this area, but did not think that here is really the tiger and dragon's den, indicating full of zombies. Right now, we are set back. We intend to immediately return, to avoid greater injury to persons. That's why." Ling Mo nodded and looked back at Ye Lian and Shana. At the moment, Shana is emotionally stable, same as Ye Lian, where one could not tell that she was truly a zombie from appearances, but for safety reasons, Ling Mo quickly manipulated Ye Lian and pulled out a cap to wear on Shana. This little movement did not rouse the attention of the young man, because at the same time, Ling Mo was speaking with him. "Well, then we'll go back to camp with you." "Great, let's go." The young man showed a hint of joy. To the camp, newcomers generally mean 2 cases. First, 1 more mouths to feed. Second, an extra boost. Ling Mo and his people are clearly the latter. Regardless of the place, these people are welcome anywhere. The people of this team did not object to Ling Mo and his people joining. Most of the people even nodded at them to show welcome. A closer look at these people allowed Ling Mo having a much more intuitive understanding. There are both men and women in this group. They all seemed very young. The oldest is only in his early 30s. Youngest looked about 15 or 16. Although just experience a life and death battle. But these people do not look frightened. Just their forehead is covered with sweat, showing tiredness. The only one that had a heavy expression is a girl in her 20s. Her eyes were red, but did not shed tears. In the process of advancing with these people, Ling Mo heard that young man whispered a few words of comfort to that girl. Then he knows that girl's elder brother was 1 step late in jumping off the building while he was trying to delay the zombies, and was pulled back in front of her eyes to the window. He's probably no more than a skeleton now. intend to give up the search for supplies. The group then detoured to a small alley from the main street. Ling Mo also had some doubts, but the young man who was leading the way seems to be very familiar with the route. Then he put down some of his doubts. There are not that many zombies within the alley because this alley is caught in the middle of two buildings. Both sides have fences, and except the occasional scrap vehicles, there's little obstacles. After walking through this alley for about 5 minutes, these people then turned on to a narrow street, and more zombies also appeared. The group's organized way of fighting, coupled with Ling Mo from time to time, reduced stress for them. It did not take very long to go through this street. Soon, this group of people arrived at Ginkgo District. Compared to the high-end residential building across the third high, even though Ginkgo District is also a luxury real estate, but was only repaired recently, not many people stayed formally. This also means that a relatively clean environment and fewer zombies within the district. But at the gate there is still a small amount of zombies. This is entirely determined by the location. What can we do when there's a busy commercial street near it? The young man said that their camp is situated in an elevator apartment within the district. This apartment's gate was constructed well, can also play a protective role, although it will be useless if facing a large horde, but it is no problem to withstand a small amount of zombies. And there are people guarding right behind the gate. Seeing the young man brought back a few strangers, they only looked at Ling Mo and his people with a few judging looks and did not say anything else. Our people here have to take turns on duty, and there are also people upstairs to watch. If the situation is going south, they will organize us to evacuate or conceal. The young man, seeing that Ling Mo seemed to be curious, he explained voluntarily. Walk the second floor along the backup staircase. These people then entered a residential site. To Ling Mo's surprise, there are no one living here. Only a bespectacled woman helped these people to take down the bag, took out a notebook, making detailed records while counting the inventory brought back by these people. You guys wait for a bit. After the young man accounted Ling Mo for one sentence, then he took off his own backpack. Ling Mo stood by the door for a bit and found out that these people brought back quite a lot of things. In addition to a variety of goods, there are a mess of drugs, clothes, and even some female products. After that woman finished indexing the goods, he let the young man sign, then indicated that they could leave. And those supplies were all categorized by her and moved inside the room. Ling Mo looked from a distance, realized that bedroom has been converted into a warehouse. Glimpsing between the opening and closing of the doors, he could see that the supplies deposited in there is not small. The young man came out with a smile. You see, I did not have the time to tell you that in fact I am not qualified to permit you guys to join. We had to ask the big boss. But don't worry, our boss is a good person. Right now, I will take you guys to him. Ling Mo nodded indifferently. Eyes suddenly flashed. He asked tentatively, what you guys just did was? Oh, nothing but registration. Our people here are divided into 3 teams. Each squad turns out to search for materials. It is necessary to register storage when back here, then signed by the captain. By the way, my name is Liu, the captain of Team 2. Liu's eyes flashed a hint of proudness. When other people came out from the storage, they all returned to the other residence room, and Liu took Ling Mo to the 3rd floor. For this so-called leader, Ling Mo is still interested. After all, to establish such survivor camp within a short time, this means the boss can be considered quite the leader. It's not easy to arrange for such a rigorous style of leadership in such a chaotic time. And Ling Mo is indeed impressed that these group of survivors were able to pull off. Before meeting this boss, Ling Mo's mind made a lot of assumptions, but he did not think that when the door at 3rd floor opened, appeared before his eyes, turned to be a little girl that looks a little sick. But this is not the focus. What really let Ling Mo stare and instantly transfixed is that this girl, he actually know her. That neighborhood girl, whom he thought died in Wang's handmade sword shop, is Wang Rin. And when Wang Rin looked at him, Ling Mo almost unconsciously blurted out, "Oh hell no." When Ling Mo last saw Wang Rin, he thought that he had left her for dead with the mutated zombies. His last thoughts of her was that delicate, beautiful girl being turned into a pile of bones as her flesh was being ripped apart by the horde. He could not have expected that he would actually see Wang Rin alive, much less here at the same camp. And Wang Rin also blandly looked up, about to give the standard introductory talks to yet another group of survivors. But after seeing the group of people standing by the door, she immediately widened her eyes. Her whole body jumped up from the chair, a slender arm lifted up, pointing them. She tightly and tensely said, You. Hey, you guys know Big Sister Wang Rin? Liu surprisingly asked, having no idea of their past relationships. Big Sister? This girl who looked at most 17 or 18 years old. You big man is calling her Big Sister? Ling Mo still did not completely recover, then went into a shock. His eyes looked to Liu also suddenly become somewhat incredulous. Liu blushed after looking at Ling Mo. He whispered, Big Sister Rin is very strong. Sometimes even the boss could not control her. Last time she even took the boss back to home. Before he was finished, Wang Rin took a deep breath, strangely returned to calmness. She walked slowly in front of Ling Mo and his people, with some strange eyes, one by one looked at them. Just as Ling Mo is still trying to think of a way to open the conversation, Wang Rin has already spoken with a slight tone of disdain. Yo, Shana, you're still not dead, ah? Ling Mo's heart suddenly made a thump sound. He was too much in shock the moment before. He forgot that this chick is Shana's relative. But listen to Wang Rin's cold tone. It seems like she has some faint hostility towards Shana. But think about her expression a moment ago. It was obviously very excited, but when she spoke, it has turned to be very cold. This Wang Rin must really hate her guts. Hearing someone shouting her name, Shana actually gave little reaction. Her dazed eyes turned toward Wang Rin. After glancing back, she actually silently looked away. This is not because of her haughty attitude, but the after effects after being infected and become a zombie. But Wang Rin knew nothing. Seeing Shana giving this reaction, suddenly emerged a hint of anger. Being an ice queen? Sure, people like you will never die, but seeing I'm still alive, don't you feel very disappointed? Obviously Shana will not answer, and Ling Mo is suddenly showing a hint of a strange look. But listening to Wang Rin's tone, it's not only sour, but still seemed a bit aggravated. Was it because that Shana's reaction is too calm after seeing her? But if it's Ye Lian, Ling Mo could still manipulate her to suggest some reaction, such as nodding and shaking her head, but Shana, be able to suppress her and not attack randomly is already good. He can only make her follow him by forcibly controlling her movements. Even though she is not a mutated zombie, but the difficulty of manipulation is not any lower than mutated zombies, but even more complicated. Had Ling Mo's spiritual power not gone through evolution, he really could not be able to control both Ye Lian and Shana at the same time, much less continue it nonstop. Shana is not speaking. Wang Rin gave another heavy cold sneer. Looking at Ling Mo and his people, her expression has become even more bitter. Who the F are you guys? Ling Mo suddenly froze for a moment, but then he showed a hint of smile. He indeed remembered this chick, even felt a bit sad for her supposed death, but never thought this chick completely did not know himself. He was glad that she did not go Lu Xian's route and try to exact vengeance on him. It's no wonder, no matter from which point of view, Ling Mo is the most normal person, thrown into the crowd and no one would take another look. Even though this chick met with him face to face a few times, but it's normal to not remember, since he is just a nondescript, ordinary person. On the contrary, Lu Yuhao suddenly said with a little surprise, Rin, seems like Shana has a cousin named Wang Rin. Humph. Wang Rin gave an unhappy cold cry, looked at Shana sideways, seeing that Shana is still not showing any reactions, her eyes suddenly expressing fire. But just she was about to get angry, she suddenly caught the short knife by Ling Mo's waist. This time her attention immediately shifted away from Shana to Ling Mo. From the start, when Ling Mo walked in, Wang Rin did not see him properly, but right now is locking her eyes on Ling Mo's body. Hey, you're the one that stole my short knife. How could you be with Shana? Steal? What is stealing? In the end of the world, a completely abandoned shop, anyone could walk in. Or else you want to say that mutated zombie is the owner. But Wang Rin seemed to be indicating something else. Could be that on the day when he went into the Wang's handmade sword shop, this chick is hiding somewhere and peeping. Ling Mo is still thinking. When he looked towards Wang Rin's eyes, it seemed to reveal this kind of meaning. See what? Right, give me back my knife. I made it. How dare you taunt me by holding it right in front of my eyes? Wang Rin stared at Ling Mo once, then barked very bluntly. Return back the knife? At first Ling Mo was stunned, then his shocking expression slowly faded away, replaced by a little touch of indifference and some gloomy. Indeed, Wang Rin initially made this cold knife, but it was Ling Mo who took the risk and pried it out of a mutated zombie's cold claws for it. Right now this chick is standing before him with a breeze, extending her hand to ask him to return back the knife. Where could you find something this cheap? Moreover, for this knife, Ling Mo had already paid a certain price, and that is helping Shana and her people break into the third high. Reasonable in the circumstances, he does not owe Wang Rin anything. Looking at Wang Rin with an impatient look, Ling Mo somewhat coldly asked, Why should I return it to you? Wang Rin was suddenly stunned, and Li Yu on the side is looking at Ling Mo with a somewhat baffled look, secretly tugged Ling Mo's sleeve. This is big sister Wang Rin's treasure blade. You dare keep it? Return it to her at once. His expression right now is filled with regret. If he knew that the people he brought back would get into conflict with Wang Rin at first meeting, he would not have bothered. But Ling Mo only gave a grunt and did not answer. But his expression is clearly indicating his resolve. This short knife, he will not take it out. What do you mean by why? After Wang Rin returned to her senses, she immediately said with a raging tone, This knife is originally made by me, and it is the first finished product that I am satisfied. You went into my family shop, took the knife I made. How could it be any different than a thief? Right now the owner is asking you to return it, and you dare to ask why? Wang Rin's cold tone is making Ling Mo feeling very uncomfortable. A deep sense of superiority, and there was that high above the momentum, all showing that this seemingly sick chick exudes sheer style in her command. Not to mention Ling Mo. Even Lu Yuhao's eyes looked to Wang Rin have become somewhat unhappy. His is secretly thinking in his heart that even thought they are cousins, but Wang Rin is much less compared to Shana. As for Wang Cheng, he is somewhat looking at Wang Rin warily, and quietly went back a step or two. He did not want to be involved in this dispute. Wang Rin seemed to have some status in this survivor camp, but Ling Mo's strength also left Wang Cheng a deep impression these 2 days. He even had the feeling that though Wang Rin spoke very bluntly, her look also seemed vicious, but Ling Mo will not buy it. But at this time, the inside door suddenly opened, and a man about 30 walked out. He was clearly alarmed by Wang Rin's brawl. As soon as he walked out, he asked depressingly, Wang Rin, who are you with in an argument again? Seeing Ling Mo and his people, This man suddenly froze for a moment, especially when he saw Shana. His expression becomes somewhat wonderful. The same as when Ling Mo saw Wang Rin. This man's eyes looked towards Shana, also seemed like seeing a ghost. This, Wang Rin's cousin. A few days when we went to her house. Weren't there no more living people? The man blurted out, without noticing that Wang Rin's ugly face stared at him. Ling Mo's brows raised. He thought in his heart that maybe this girl is really cold outside, but warm inside towards Shana. But this does not mean that Ling Mo will be impressed. No matter what, something he took risk to acquire, he will not return it back to Wang Rin. You are also here. The man quickly turned to Ling Mo and spoke to him as if he already knew Ling Mo. That day, when you killed that mutated zombie, I also seen that. You are very powerful. Did not think that you would be coming to our camp with Wang Rin's cousin. This beauty is the one that were with you that day, right? Then Liu also timely interrupted. This is our big boss song. Boss, these people are the ones we met at the 3rd High District. What boss? Just call me Song Tian. Song Tian smiled. Ling Mo deliberately ignored Wang Rin, who was glaring at his eyes, also smiled and said, I am Ling Mo, with Shana, and Wang Rin's cousin is... Speaking here, Ling Mo himself is somewhat tangled. Right now Shana is a bona fide zombie. If Ling Mo slips up for a second, she will be a monster. But with Shana's strength, and his heart's some faint trace of bearing, Ling Mo does not want to give up on Shana. Therefore Shana's relationship and him should temporarily be friends. I'm Shana's friend. And these two boys are Shana's classmates. Ling Mo said, it really is fate. Song Tian literally clapped his hands, and his face emerged a hint of embarrassed look. Wang Rin, you still miss your knife? Of course. Wang Rin's brow rose, said with a natural course, it's Ling Mo, right? Hurry up and return me my knife. No. Ling Mo also answered firmly, this knife is made by you, but it was me who took the risk and got it out. You say you want it now? This is really gangster logic. Hearing Ling Mo rejected her directly, Wang Rin's face immediately turned very ugly. But Song Tian laughed, spoke with some rounds. Wang Rin, knock it out. We'll talk about the knife case later. You finally see your cousin. Why don't we ask them to stay first? What do you say, Mr. Ling? Song Tian has a plain and ordinary face, but his body is very tall and burly, his stance vaguely showing off his military experience. Although Wang Rin appears to be cold and arrogant, she seemed to listen to Song Tian's words. Therefore, right now, she only gave a cold sneer, then turned away and shut her mouth. But her eyes still occasionally looked back at Ling Mo with derision, sometimes also stared at Shana impatiently. Unfortunately, neither Ling Mo nor Shana responded to her disapproving looks. After asking Liu about the situation, Song Tian then sent him away, then invited Ling Mo and his people into his office. After all, he is the camp leader. His room on the 3rd floor was much more upscale than the rest of the survivors' dorms downstairs. Not only is it renovated and furnished, it seemed that the rooms were well maintained even as the zombie apocalypse rolled through the area. In Song Tian's bedroom is one of the bedrooms that were fully cleaned. The excess furniture were all removed, leaving only bed and desk, and also stood a 4-seater sofa. Wang Rin also followed inside. With a look of unhappy expression, she slouched over on the bed. Sit down. Don't worry, it's all been cleaned. Song Tian himself also leaned on the desk, motioning the crowd to sit down on the sofa. But his last sentence gave Liu Yu Hao and Wang Cheng a hint of strange look. Song Tian's sentence clearly meant that someone just died on the sofa, or was killed. But after many days fighting and killing in the end of the world, even Wang Cheng had already cultivated a psychological resistance against death during these 2 days. He could sit among the corpses, not to mention a sofa in which someone died on it. Liu also said a moment ago, it was my team's people that dragged you guys down. I am really sorry about it. Hearing Song Tian open his mouth to apologize, Wang Rin immediately gave a dissatisfied and bitter grunt on the side. Ling Mo originally wanted to say something to make up with the boss, but seeing Wang Rin's reaction, he suddenly gave a sneer remark and said, we were originally living well over there. As soon as your people got there, we were forced to give up the place to the horde. It's not a big deal of switching places, but it's regretting that the supplies in which we waste a lot of effort in gathering were all left in there. After listening to Ling Mo's words, Liu Yu Hao and Wang Cheng's expression all became somewhat puzzled. They did leave in a hurry, but besides a climbing rope, Ling Mo should not have lost anything, right? He said this kind of thing at this time. Did he want the other party to compensate? Don't forget, here is their camp, and in the apocalypse, supplies are much more important than lives. Even if Song Tian's attitude seemed to be very gentle, but to ask him to compensate with supplies, then it is somewhat far-fetched. But the things they could thought of, how could Ling Mo not? Since he dared to open his mouth with outrageous remarks, then he must have something to back his words on. First, there is the presence of Shana. If Song Tian wants to do something violent, then Wang Rin will not allow him, therefore they won't have 2 ugly arguments about it. Second of all, is that they have the combat ability as a backup resort. Not to mention Ling Mo himself, just Shana and Ye Lian, these 2 female zombies, they are enough to deal quite considerable damage to the camp. Even though there are some people among this camp that can hold their own in a fight, but compared to 2 mutated zombies and Ling Mo, they stand little chance. Most importantly, Ling Mo, despite appearing to be brutal, did not want to rob the place. After he finished, he especially glanced at Wang Rin, and Song Tian immediately and accurately catches this glance. Ling Mo's intention is clear. You guys dragged me down, caused me to lose my supplies, and even asked me for my knife back. Song Tian suddenly feels some headaches. That day, the scene in which Ling Mo killed mutated zombie is still fresh in his mind. Therefore, he is somewhat afraid of Ling Mo's strength. Because of this, he temporarily stopped Wang Rin and intended to seek a more modest way to ask for the return of the knife. But since Ling Mo has opened his mouth, even if Song Tian has a much thicker skin, he would be too embarrassed to ask. Assume a tough stance to insist. Even though they are at their own camp, but Song Tian worked very hard to build this kind of camp, of course he would not want to see any trouble. Since the camp is only built recently, even though it appears to look orderly, but internally there's still a lot of problems. Forcibly taking a knife from a survivor would set a horrible precedent for the rest of the survivors, as the leader is implying to encourage his followers to steal from one another. In the end of the world, strength is the money to talk. But in the early establishment of the camp, Song Tian knew that he still needed to win over the hearts of the people below with trust, not fear. Most critical point is, as soon as Song Tian sees Ling Mo the first time, he hatched an idea, which is to make Ling Mo and his people stay. A strong person that could kill a mutated zombie single without a bead of sweat and joins the camp, it is tantamount to inject a shot in the arm, editor's note. Means to get superpowers. I'm really sorry about it. Song Tian bit the bullet and ignored the crude shot thrown from Wang Rin and said, "What do you propose to do, Mr. Ling? Just call me Ling Mo." Ling Mo frowned carefully and paused for a moment and said, "I know that you have a lot of people at your camp. You must also be short on supplies. I'm not going to make you guys compensate. But this short knife?" Withstanding Wang Rin's almost killer looks, Song Tian pretended and boldly smiled. "Just a knife, it's a gift to you. One knife to trade a new member whom is with very good skill. It's worth it." As for Wang Rin, no big deal but to eat her rolling eyes for a few days. Coward. Wang Rin angrily swore and stormed out. Song Tian smiled awkwardly and spoke again. "Made you guys lost the place you live and lost your supplies. I'm really sorry about it. How about it? Our camp is in need of hands right now. Why don't you guys join us?" Although the camp is small in size, and Song Tian's need for strong survivors is evident, but Ling Mo still somewhat admired him. But to join the camp? Come on, bringing two female zombies together with a large group of survivors day and night. This is the equivalent of dancing on the tip of knives. Moreover, two female zombies, especially Ye Lian, still needs to swallow more gels to achieve evolution. There are too much restriction in joining the camp, and he still needs to hunt mutated zombies. Therefore Ling Mo shook his head without hesitation and said, "Thanks, but me and these two girls still have some business to complete. We cannot join you right now. But my friend right here does have some fig thing skill." As he said, he turned to look at Liu Yu Hao. This result suddenly made Song Tian very disappointed. But seeing that Ling Mo did not reject in an absolute tone, therefore Song Tian vividly felt that this business still have some hope. After all, Shana is Wang Rin's cousin. Therefore, thinking here, Song Tian's disappointed look became much lighter and looked along Ling Mo's eyes to Liu Yu Hao. "You are willing to join? What about that one?" His second target is naturally Wang Cheng. Hearing this, Wang Cheng then glanced at Ling Mo somewhat cramped, then resolutely nodded. "I am in." This camp obviously is not a place to keep moths, and whole healthy-bodied teenagers like him will naturally go out to search for supplies. Therefore, Wang Cheng's decision can be considered that he put down a lot of determination. Not joining? Ling Mo will not feed him. Most importantly, he knew in his heart that Shana by Ling Mo's side is actually a zombie. Staying with a zombie from day and night, this kind of thrilling thing, Wang Cheng felt that his heart will not take it. But with Wang Rin here, he would not dare to expose this secret. Who knows what is Wang Rin's attitude toward Shana? Especially Shana's appearance looked the same as ordinary people. Would anyone believe him if he spilled the truth that Shana is a zombie? Under the uncertainty situation and the threat of crossing someone like Ling Mo, this is a death sentence. When it was Liu Yu Hao's turn to go, he showed some hesitations. It's not difficult to tell from his expression that he could not let Shana go, although his heart clearly knew that the current Shana is impossible to stay with him. As for Ling Mo's relationship with them could not be said as very close. It was clear that the two parties were together for the purpose of mutual survival, but that was as far as their bond went. Keeping such dangerous Shana by the side already made Liu Yu Hao extremely grateful to Ling Mo. If it was for someone else, even if not killed Shana, for sure they will immediately leave her behind to die like any other zombie. Of course, this was because that Liu Yu Hao did not know that Ling Mo has a special ability, zombie puppet, and did not know that during the process of Shana's mutation, Ling Mo even took out 2 virus gel taken out from the mutated zombie's brain, fed Shana. Nevertheless, in Liu Yu Hao's opinion, if Shana wants to continue to live like a person, the only way is to follow Ling Mo. And it's impossible for him to give her back before she turns back into normal. But follow Ling Mo and leave? Liu Yu Hao not only once thought about this idea, but Ling Mo's attitude is very clear that he does not need to have draggers around. He seemed pretty stoic about his goal to slaughter and harvest brains from mutated zombies. But is he a burden? Liu Yu Hao asked himself this question a lot. He naturally knew about Ling Mo's strength, even though Ye Lian rarely fight, but it could be seen that her strength is not weak, not to mention Shana, After turning a zombie, her strength is not only not diminished but in a way much more stronger. In contrast, Liu Yuhao is only someone with somewhat greater courage, an ordinary teenage that only knows a little about slashing and dodging. Thinking here, Liu Yuhao looked at Ling Mo with a complicated look. He wanted to receive some tips from Ling Mo, and Ling Mo also became aware of it at once. To Liu Yuhao, Ling Mo does have some good sentiments towards him, especially compared him with his classmates. But he is taking 2 zombies with him. Still needs to continually hunt mutated zombies to power up. Bringing Liu Yuhao will certainly be inconvenient. Moreover, Ling Mo still does not want anyone to know about his ability of zombie controlling. Therefore, from the moment when he successfully controls Shana, Ling Mo has already thought that he is ready to find a place to let Liu Yuhao go, hopefully someplace safe. The survivor camp built by Tian from Ling Mo's view is a very suitable place. Therefore, when Liu Yuhao turned to look over, Ling Mo looked at him deeply, then casually eyed Shana, then nodded. Liu Yuhao's eyes immediately flashed a hint of disappointment, but it also had a decisive, faint taste of resolve. I will also join, even though right now is still cumbersome, but someday. Although Ling Mo and the 2 girls refused to join, Tian still seemed very happy because he got to keep the 2 healthy youth. A survivor camp like this one that was just established, every day they lose a handful of survivors to the horde from searching for supplies. Bringing suitable survivors back to the camp, this has become a requirement. But besides a handful person like Ling Mo, most people would have joined the camp with overjoy. After all, one-person survivor ability is very limited. Even if not join. But isn't this Miss Xia not Wang Rin's cousin? How about stay for the day? Tian's proposal can considered reasonable, but Shana will not answer for this. And Ling Mo always felt that Shana's situation is still not very stable. The longer they stay here, the more dangerous. What Shana decides to go unleashed, wouldn't that be even more terrible? Therefore he smiled and refused. I do want these 2 to catch up, but we do have some emergency matters. How about it? After we take care of our business, I will bring Shana back. These remarks are purely to fool the leader. Liu Yuhao and Wang Cheng all knew what is going on, and they all knew, after departing, Ling Mo will not return, and most likely they will never meet again. This is the end of the world. Zombies everywhere. Everywhere there are hidden crises of death. You could say that the survivors that are living on this world, anyone can die at any time. To make a promise under this situation, it all seemed a bit feeble. Wang Cheng secretly gave a relieved sigh. He is afraid of Ling Mo, but even more afraid Shana, who has turned into a zombie. Who knows what she can possibly do? Liu Yuhao's eyes is somewhat red as he's trying to choke back tears. His eyes kept glued to Shana, but just happened that he does not dare to go near her. Besides Ling Mo, Shana does not recognize anyone. I see. Then I cannot force you. But before you get going, still let Miss Xia meet with Wang Rin and talk. By the way, she's always that bitter, don't mind it. As Tian sees that he could not invite them to stay, he turned and said, do not care? That kind of attitude. How could he not care? Before Ling Mo still feels some pity for Wang Rin, but after this encounter, he no longer has any good impression to Wang Rin. But Tian is right. After all, Shana is her cousin. If not letting them see each other before they go, then is not justified. As Tian got up to leave, Liu Yuhao suddenly pulled Ling Mo. He whispered in a quiet, sincerely voice, Big brother Ling, I hope that you can take good care of Shana, even though she is zombie, but you have seen that she won't hurt you. If you could help her to recover her senses, that is the best. Even if not, don't abandon her, I beg you. Tears flowed down his face as he spoke. Looking at Liu Yuhao's looks, Ling Mo is still somewhat touched. He secretly sighed, patted on Liu Yuhao's shoulder. You also live well. Wait. Just when Ling Mo was about to move, Liu Yuhao again pulled him to a stop, but this time his tone has more firmness. I will also become much stronger than right now. Therefore, I think that one day I will go find you guys. This sentence suddenly surprised Ling Mo, but then he showed a hint of smile. Then you keep working. The chance for Liu Yuhao to find them should be very, very low. But a person living in the world, they should have some hope. May will be a good thing. Besides, to bump into someone like Wang Rin again means that this world is truly smaller than it appears. Tian went around the building and searched for a while. He finally took Wang Rin, who still is very unhappy, and walked over. And at this time, Ling Mo and his people already walked to the building gate, ready to leave for good. Not be able to get back the knife, lost face in front of Ling Mo. The expression when Wang Rin looked at Ling Mo is very unfriendly, and her eyes did not look any more hospitable when she looked at Shana. Probably because she is not convinced, Wang Rin directly walked before Ling Mo, and Shana even reached out and gave Ling Mo a heavy punch. Ling Mo could have totally avoided this punch, but little girl's pink fist, how lethal could it be? It would not hurt an itch when hit on the body. That Liu is really scared of Wang Rin, and even said that she is very strong. In addition to momentum, Ling Mo totally did not see where the little girl is strong. Don't think that when the 2 of you become allies and will be able to bully me. That knife, sooner or later, I will have you to spit it out. Mercilessly dropped such a sentence. Wang Rin then turned away to upstairs, but just as she went on 2 steps, she suddenly turned over and said, Don't bully my cousin, or else I will not let you go. Ling Mo is stunned to see that Wang Rin went upstairs thump, thump, thump. This chick, she knows how to throw merciless words, but before she yelled hard, but still sold by Tian. As for bullying, Ling Mo turned around and looked at Shana, who was beside him, his mouth suddenly showing a hint of strange smile. What he is doing to her now, would it be considered bullying? Watching Ling Mo's trio leave from upstairs, Wang Rin's mouth suddenly revealed a strange trace of a sneer. I've got you in my sights. And behind her, Tian patted his head that is somewhat with headache. You did something on his body, right? None of your business. Wang Rin bluntly glared at him, and then blinked slyly. You don't help me. I will do it my own way. Right now, Ling Mo, who is walking out of the Ginkgo District, did not know that Wang Rin has quietly left a small mark on his body. Ling Mo was finally relieved when he has put a large distance between himself and the camp. He rubbed a hand on his forehead and put in front of his eyes. His palm is full of cold sweat. And Shana on the side, her eyes glowing a faint hint of bloodlust. To firmly suppress Shana is too difficult. Shana, what has he done to you? Ling Mo looked deeply at Shana. The moment when she met with Wang Rin, Shana's mood suddenly appeared very volatile. If Ling Mo did not forcibly restrain her from acting, most likely she will go berserk and decapitate someone. It now appears that his decision to leave the camp and the others was too hasty, but from the results, it is still with great satisfaction. Settled Liu Yu Hao somewhere safe, got rid of the freeloader Wang Cheng. Right now, only his side, Ye Lian and Shana, leaves 2 female zombies. One is a mutated zombie that is evolving to become stronger. The other one still retains the final point of reason, at the verge of between normal people and zombie. Ling Mo already has a lot on his plate without these 2 zombies. But on the other hand, without any other survivors nearby, Ling Mo's mood is more relaxed. With others at the place, he must always keep an effort at suppressing his powers, lest someone see him openly control another person's mind. But the most important business right now is not to immediately chase down mutated zombies, but to scout around his surroundings to secure a safe point. A place like 3rd High District is absolutely inappropriate. Once Ye Lian has swallowed virus in the brain gel and start to evolve, he will also be strongly impacted and will probably be turned into a sitting duck. And if he encounters a horde the likes of this morning again, most likely he would be a pile of bones right now. Therefore this foothold must be hidden. Touch the gel on his chest. Ling Mo showed a hint of smile. He jogged briskly with Ye Lian and Shana, soon turned into a deserted street, taking comfort in the silence without anyone else to impede his work. This neighborhood environment, Ling Mo is not familiar with, but he knew that along this street, he would be able to find a suitable place. After all, it is by the downtown area. Shops are on the 2 sides of the street. Upstairs is residential building. From time to time, they will encounter zombies. But with Ye Lian opening the road at front, zombies were put down to the ground before they had the time to react. But Ling Mo is not daring to wander on the street blatantly. He was very careful to stay hidden in the shadows, slowly sneaking forward. It's not because that there aren't any suitable hiding places here, but it's too close to Ginkgo District, which to Ling Mo is not very safe. For others, a survivor camp like that is the perfect sanctuary, but for Ling Mo, controlling 2 zombies mixing among a large group of people, this is much more dangerous than living in Zombie Central. After going through this street, a square appeared in Ling Mo's eyes. This newly built plaza Ling Mo had been to a few times, surrounded by shops, and even a grand hotel. Ling Mo observed from far away for a while, then set his eyes in a small 2-story riverfront residential building. The ground floor is a small building shop, while the second floor is a tea house. What Ling Mo set his eyes on was that the narrow staircase that go through the tea house, and there's an iron gate to completely close it. Plus there are some distances with the building next. The backside is a shallow river. Even if surrounded, there are opportunities to escape. Most importantly, it's at a relatively secluded location. It looks somewhat inconspicuous. After slowly touched downstairs, Ling Mo first let Ye Lian went into the first floor of the shop. Unsurprisingly, there are still 2 zombies left in the shop, but these normal zombies will not attack Ye Lian, and after Ling Mo gave some thoughts, he did not kill them. Leaving the mutated zombies, even if there are survivors passing by, they would not imagine that there are still people living up there. Shana, of course, will also not attract these 2 zombies' attention, but rather Ling Mo held his breath, manipulated Ye Lian, and threw a rock to attract their attention. Then he quickly went upstairs. At this time, Shana has done a thorough search inside the tea house. She found a total of 3 zombies, which she quickly killed 2, while the last remaining 1 spotted and frantically rushed towards Ling Mo. There are numerous obstacles inside the tea house. He was just blocked by one of the tea table, and Shana has already caught up from behind, stabbed it down using the long knife. This method of attack, compared to Shana's tyrannical blade, that his self-awareness is much weaker, but wins in faster and more ferocious force. The knife stabbed and directly stabbed these zombies' necks. Skills are important, but when their strength reached a certain level, it is rather that this kind of straight attack is even more amazing. And Ling Mo vividly felt that this so-called mutation is to make humans completely driven by instincts. Body's potential can therefore become emerged, but defects are also more obvious, and that is they don't understand about tactics and does not know what is advance and retreat. For example, when Shana is conscious, Ling Mo might be better at killing zombies than her. But if the 2 of them fight, most likely Ling Mo will not be stronger than her, even though he has improved in all aspects. But his combat skills have all been figured out through actual combats, and is not comparable to Shana's knife skill. And even though Shana, who's after mutation, feels stronger, but Ling Mo felt, if facing Shana in this state, even if he could not beat her if they lock blades, but it is easy to dodge the attack. As for evolution, evolution is the key in allowing zombies becoming strong. After Ye Lian went through mutation, she appeared to have a hint of awareness, but mutation may only let humans completely become monsters, but evolution will let zombies become sensible monsters. If a bloodthirsty monster has received sanity, what kind of horrible fighting machine would it be? But this idea just flashed across Ling Mo's heart. He did not catch it, because soon his attention was quickly shifted to the current more pressing things. Rummaged a little in the tea house, Ling Mo found a big lock from the inside. It should be used to lock the iron door downstairs. Manipulated Ye Lian to go lock the door downstairs. Ling Mo then let Shana to throw these zombies one by one out of the window with him, thrown into the river on the back. As for the bloodstains on the floor, they could only pretend not to see it. There are no beds in the tea house. Mostly is a two-seater sofa, barely able to lie down. After lock the door, and then use some heavy furniture to block the door, Ling Mo finally showed a hint of smile, took out the viral gel from his chest. But as soon as he took out the gel, Ling Mo's face suddenly becomes a bit strange. What is going on here? Ling Mo has spent an entire day farming zombies for their gels. He gave 2 of the least pure virus gels to Shana. The rest have been carefully hidden in his body. However, in order to avoid being infected with the virus himself, he carefully packed these gels into a plastic bag. Even touching these gels for a mere second made Ling Mo queasy to the heart, thinking of all the destructive impacts that this virus caused. Using the bag as a shield between his hand and the virus, Ling Mo pulled out the gels to inspect his spoils. When given Shana to swallow yesterday, the gel's appearances have not changed, but after only one night, the gels has turned out to be like this. Originally, there was still a handful of gels, but unknowingly they quietly merged together, could only barely separate them. What's more shocking is that the overall volumes have been reduced more than half than before. Is it possible that between the virus gels, they could actually devour each other? Ling Mo moved the bag before his eyes and realized that the gels from yesterday even looked far different from a freshly harvested one. More transparent and more bloody red. Originally, those red parts are like blood vessels distributed inside the gel, but now almost completely enveloped the virus gel. What exactly is this virus? Ling Mo is full of doubts, but he does not have the relative knowledge to this part. His understanding to the gel all came from the observation from Ye Lian. But virus gel becoming more pure will be even more useful to Ye Lian. This point is always correct. But Ling Mo did not expect that as soon as he took out the gel from the plastic bag, Shana's mood immediately appeared a glimmer of volatility. Her eyes quickly become enveloped in a layer of red, both eyes staring intently without blinking at the gels in Ling Mo's hand. Even though she has been infected and mutated into a zombie, but Shana's situation is still much different than ordinary zombies. Ordinary zombies, their biggest feature is a complete loss of rational thought, but Shana, under the absence of craziness, occasionally show off a hint of dazed look, as if she was in thought, and to familiar people such as Wang, she even showed some reaction. Not only that, as long as someone calls her name, she will turn her attention to the other side. This is not something that can be done by an ordinary zombie. But on the other hand, Shana has also completely gained a zombie's characteristics, and that is offensive. Most likely because during the process of mutation, she has swallowed 2 viral gels, even though her strength is not as strong as mutated zombies. But her behavior is completely the same as mutated zombies. Relentless attack to her own kind, and also the desire to the gel. At this point, Ling Mo took out these 2 viral gels who have obviously went through an upgrade. Not only Ye Lian immediately convey the desire to Ling Mo, even Shana has started to become restless. But Shana's speed in devouring gels are just way too fast. She already swallowed 2 mutated gels. Not even 48 hours has passed. Ling Mo somewhat hesitantly looked at Shana, but a slight tingling immediately came out his mind, and the redness in Shana's eyes has also become more and more bright. Seems like if she does not get the gel, she will most likely break through by force, and directly pounce to rob it. Ling Mo felt as if her willpower is starting to slip through his mind control ability. Without a choice, Ling Mo could only hand one of the gel to Shana, and as soon as Shana took the gel, she immediately stuffed it into her mouth, as if she were a starving human finding food for the first time in weeks. But after devouring this extremely pure viral gel, Shana immediately grew extremely pale, as if her skin was wrapped with a heavy sheet of cellophane. Ling Mo is very surprised, but just as he extended his hand to hold Shana, he immediately felt something strange. From the outside, Shana's body temperature is supposedly to be very high, but just as he touched Shana's skin, he felt nothing but coldness. And followed, within Shana's eyes, she appeared to have a hint of struggled look. She even whispered her lips, as if trying to say something. Not only this, Shana's brain seemed to be actively fighting back Ling Mo's mind control. If it wasn't for Ling Mo who bit his teeth and persistently suppressed her, most likely Shana would have broken free. But this situation only lasted half a minute. Shana then crooked her head and then collapsed. Ling Mo finally exhaled a sigh of relief and also slumped to the ground. The moment where he just forcibly controlled Shana already made him felt very difficult. He cannot even keep it for 1 minute. Fortunately, Shana finally could not withstand the impact of the virus, completely fainted, and her brain also instantly went from a boiling state to the calm silence. This silence, it is somewhat weird. Even when Ye Lian was just controlled by Ling Mo, it was not completely silent. That time, her instinctive desire is already stronger than average zombies. But average zombies also could not be described by silence. They are rather completely empty, without any feelings of emotions. But Shana's current emotional state is like as if all movements have stopped, but under that calm surface, maybe there is a tidal wave. Unfortunately, Ling Mo's spiritual power is not strong enough to peek into others' mind. Right now, he could only feel all the desire that came from Shana. Resistance all disappeared completely, but just not completely blank like average zombies. After Shana has swallowed the gel, Ling Mo also felt a hint of subtle change. Most likely because his connection to Shana is still not very strong, and her current mind is also completely quiet as water. Therefore, before she had been transformed by the viral gel, the connection through to Ling Mo is not very deep. But even though Ling Mo could felt that with a trace of emergence of rage from deep within his head, his heartbeat also started to become very strong. At the beginning, this feeling made Ling Mo cared somehow, but after waited for a while, there was not further change. Ling Mo thought that maybe the change Shana brought to him is only this level. This Shana, what will she become eventually? Looking at Shana, who still tightly held her long knife, even she fainted, pale face, lips pinched, Ling Mo could not help but to emerge a hint of pity. She used her own ability to survive in the end of the world, and even fed so many of her classmates, but in the end was hurt by one of her own, and ended up turning into this. And Ye Lian. If it wasn't for coming to make dinner for him, she would not have been trapped in the bus, most likely still have the chance to survive, but now has turned into a mutated zombie. Ling Mo secretly sighed, carried Shana to the sofa, and took the last piece of viral gel and walked to Ye Lian. This piece of viral gel has greater volume, and the color is even more red. Different than Shana, Ye Lian has been starved for a couple of days. And since the start of encountering Shana and her people, Ye Lian have not eaten any viral gels. Until today, her desire has reached a limit. This is why Ling Mo is in a hurry of separating from Liu Hao and those people. Even though he felt that Liu Hao is a good person, but still not enough to trust a lot, not to mention completely ingratiate. No matter of the ability he has grasped, or this method of accelerating the evolution of zombies, he does not want anyone else to know. After this kind of methods, in the eyes of others, is not only strange, but also simply madness and horror. The thought of helping one's enemies become stronger does not sit well with any survivor. Not to mention that among the subjects of his manipulation, there is Shana. Until separation, Liu Hao has thought that because Shana has remnants of vestiges of reason, coupled with being close to Ling Mo, therefore does not have the intention to attack Ling Mo. He could have never thought that a normal person like Ling Mo actually have the ability to control zombies. If he knew, most likely the situation will be very different. And the things that Liu Hao could not accept, could Wang accept it? Not to mention these people who have connections with Shana. Even for a stranger, they would not completely accept this kind of fearsome ability. Therefore, even though the puppet control ability is good, but if he is not strong enough to a level, he must keep it a secret to all people. Seeing Shana is not going to be awake for a while, Ling Mo handed over a viral gel to Ye Lian. The spiritual connection between him and Ye Lian has been very strong, even though Ye Lian's eyes looked very hot when she looked at the gel, but she did not hide her intention in snatching the gel up. And when faced with Ling Mo, her instinct reaction has also weakened a lot. This is not a surprise. Right now, he and Ye Lian is like one mind, controlling two bodies. Manipulating Ye Lian is like in controlling a second copy of his own limbs. Naturally, there will not be problems like Shana. But while it seemed okay controlling a couple of normal zombies, but to control Ye Lian and Shana at the same time for a long time, not so easy. Ling Mo knew that he still needed to power up in order to maintain full control. Ling Mo somewhat lovingly touched Ye Lian's cheek, watched her swallow this piece of high-purity gel. With the gel going into the body, the high-purity virus will also spread to Ye Lian's whole body, eventually will most likely gather in the back of her head. Just did not know what exactly is that virus doing inside her brain, or how much it has changed already. But at the same time, while staring at Ye Lian, Ling Mo also become very tense in an instant. Different than Shana. Once Ye Lian evolved, he will also be greatly affected. The last time, when Ye Lian evolved, even though he indirectly received great benefits, but the process was still very painful. In that time, she only swallowed one piece of gel, but this time instead she swallowed an extremely pure viral gel. Even if the contact does not exaggerate to the extent of 1 to 10, but 1 to 5 is certainly there, indicating that the pain will be maximized at least 5 times. Sure enough, as soon as Ye Lian swallowed this gel, her throat immediately issued strange sound of giggle. Her eyes have already turned black after last evolution, but after just swallowing the gel, the whites of her eyes all of a sudden instantly became bloody red. Even the pupil also seems to cast a red mist in general. Luckily, she did not have any signs of resistance, nor did she faint directly like Shana. The trembling Ye Lian's eyes is full of bloodthirsty atmosphere. If a stranger walks by and notices her demented appearance, the stranger would assume that a dormant beast is about to strike. Before Ling Mo thought that murderous intent thing is simply bluffing, simply did not exist. But look at the current Ye Lian. Ling Mo finally deeply appreciate what is called murderous intent. Although she is not moving while sitting on the chair, but Ling Mo, who is standing close right before her, did not even dare to move. As if he even slightly budged his little finger, it will lead to her attack. Of course, this is just the feeling of the moment. Because the spiritual connection between Ling Mo and Ye Lian was not shaken, it is impossible for her to attack on her own. Even so, Ling Mo still felt very surprised. This undisguised fury breath is something Ye Lian never had before. And then, the impact conveyed through the spiritual connection also suddenly startled Ling Mo. A surge of violent thoughts instantly swept his mind. Different than before, this time Ling Mo did not feel any discomfort on the body. On the contrary, at the same while his eyes reddening, fists clenched, what he felt was a strangely comfortable and almost pleasurable state. Upper and lower body, as if every pore is completely open, the mind clearer than ever, even though his vision has been saturated with red. But that feeling of power filled each of Ling Mo's arms and legs, leaving him feeling very satisfied. But at the same time, his mind was also completely affected by violent, murderous intent. Everything that appears before the eyes, he wants to destroy madly. Although the pleasure on the body has already been allowing him feel fantastic, but Ling Mo felt that if he could let go and destroy everything, his inner heart could only be really satisfied. The pleasure will also be doubled. He even felt that at this moment, his way of thinking, the feeling conveyed from his body, is exactly the same as the zombies. If it wasn't for that, his spiritual strength went through an upgrade. Perhaps Ling Mo will completely fall down in this feeling and start wildly attacking. But just as he is gradually slipping to this warm grasp on his body, there came a wave of revolt from Ye Lian, and all of a sudden awakened Ling Mo. He just appeared this trend, and Ye Lian almost went out of his control. No wonder zombies lose sanity and became monsters that only knew how to kill. That feeling of handing over the body to instincts is like press down a button that was as addictive as cocaine, and as soon as this gate is opened, most likely will no longer be closed. Ling Mo, who has once again become sober, felt fear on one hand. On the other hand, is resisting very hard to keep down this new sensation that's still sweeping through his body. But even if he has extraordinary willpower, in this case he still could not help but involuntarily started having coarse breath, covered in a slight tremble. This is not because of the pain, but because of the waves of pleasure getting more and more intense. Ye Lian, who is sitting right before him, also has a flushing red face. Eyes looked at Ling Mo, seems to have also fallen among that feeling. Ling Mo finally lost control to his urges and suddenly flew on to Ye Lian's body and clutched her firmly in the arms. Only in this way, he could shift his attention to allow him be freed from that desire in wanting to destroy everything. However, hold firmly is not enough. He still needs more. Ling Mo suddenly lifted up Ye Lian's cheek. Under her bloody red eyes gaze, he is trembling, suddenly kissed her on the lips. That cold lips and warm tongue finally let Ling Mo's violent heart felt a trace of calmness. He hugged Ye Lian, selflessly draw her sweetness. Warm and crazy kisses landed on Ye Lian's cheek, neck like raindrop. His palms also wandered around Ye Lian's waist, caressing her delicate spine, smooth and rounded shoulder, that slightly raised collarbone. Did not know how much time has passed. Ling Mo gradually woken up, and by the time he recovered, he and Ye Lian has already rolled together on the carpet. He has already torn Ye Lian's shirt into pieces. Just with that small pieces of underwear alone could not completely obscure her impressive peaks. On her chest, he even left a hickey, which is naturally the masterpiece by the mad Ling Mo. In the case of almost losing the soul, Ling Mo was completely out of instinct, completely woken up the desire to Ye Lian to resist that kind of violent feeling. It now appears that the effect of distraction is good. However, kissing with a zombie? Press the zombie under the body? He must be the only one that could have done this kind of thing. But whatever, who says zombies cannot be kissed? This taste is also very good. Of course, Ye Lian in his heart is not a bloodthirsty zombie, and not some sort of monster. She may be not a person, but in Ling Mo's eyes, she is still the girl that moves his heart. But after gradually calmed down, Ling Mo suddenly felt as if someone poured a pot of ice water down from the head. Liu Xian and Shana's current existence all but confirmed that virus can be transmitted through blood. What about saliva? Just a moment ago, under the condition of losing sanity, he took a lot of saliva from Ye Lian's mouth and unnamed orifices. And the most critical problem is that Ye Lian also just swallowed a piece of viral gel. Is this not directly equal to drinking the virus? When a person's head is swimming, they will lose the ability to think. Not to mention with the influence of the external forces, it was already good that Ling Mo did not directly lose control of his senses and gone mad on the spot. But taking the time to calm down, Ling Mo suddenly broke into cold sweat. As long as you were a normal person, they would not want to become a zombie. And as soon as he mutates, Shana and Ye Lian would instantly be unleashed. Most likely Ye Lian will strike and empty his own brain on the spot, then disappear in the horror city that is filled with zombies. What about Shana? Most likely she will not escape from Ye Lian either. What to do? Ling Mo is sitting there coldly, started at Ye Lian blankly, mouth gradually emerged a hint of a smile. His first kiss turned out to be life-threatening. 10 minutes later, Ling Mo still felt as though his blood was burning up from panic. But strangely, he is still very clear. In addition, he didn't feel like he's been infected by the virus. Ling Mo's mind desperately thinks about countermeasures. He did not know whether he will join his girlfriend and Shana as a zombie, or God forbid, to be something like Liu Xian. Ling Mo still does not want to give up until the last minute. Right now, he also deeply felt Shana's mood at that time. The kind of desperation feeling slowly floating up to the heart. But Ling Mo does not regret it. If he had not released his tension to Ye Lian a moment ago, most likely he would have already become a violent madman. That kind of extreme freshness and desire, while scouring and caressing a person's body, is very easy to let people become crazy. And right now, even if becoming a zombie, at least in the meantime, he still resolved the problem with first kisses, and it was with Ye Lian. Should he be like Shana, first swallow some viral gel? Or a more direct approach, to drink some of those zombie blood? Maybe in the end, he will be like Shana, still have a trace of sanity. Thinking to this point, Ling Mo then turned his attention to that plastic bag that has been thrown to the side. While the gel has been already fed, there was still some traces of the virus in the corners. But while he is completely sane at the moment, eating this kind of thing, even for Ling Mo, who has been spending time with zombies every day, he still felt an enormous psychological pressure. This was pulled out from the brain of the mutated zombies. Just the small amount of toxicity most likely is much greater than the virus in an ordinary zombies. But in terms of completely becoming a zombie, or to retain a line between sanity, Ling Mo's heart of balance still gradually favored the latter. He frowned, holding out his hand, slowly picking up plastic bag cautiously, not daring to touch the inside of the bag. Just as he picked the plastic bag before his eyes, an extremely pungent taste formed the inside, drilled out into Ling Mo's brain to make him violently cough. But he is joyful instead of angry, and his heart also became a little relaxed. Since he is still extremely aversive to this viral gel, it means that he has not yet began mutating. This gel has an extremely strong, pungent taste, and to eat this thing under the condition of pre-mutation, Ling Mo had no doubt that he will throw up from his stomach as soon as he opened his mouth. Therefore, he chose to wait. As soon as there is any sign of mutation, he will eat this residue. A little hope is much better than completely giving up. Bang, bang, bang. Heartbeat sounds are ringing next to the ears like a percussion ensemble. He also felt that his body was sapped of all strength, as if he had just returned from a college party. 20 minutes, most likely will be soon. Shana also started to mutate at this time. Ling Mo sighed in his heart. He nervously clenched the plastic bag in his hand. As soon as there is slightly sign, he will eat it, rather to fight strong than to die. Even though he had survived this long in the end of the world, but Ling Mo naturally does not want to die. He wanted to live. But once this crisis is on his head, he did not lack the courage to face it. Most importantly, he had spent days and nights with zombies. Therefore, this zombie thing does not have that kind of deep fear like other humans. Become a zombie is to obliterate a large living intellect and turn into killing monsters. Although this is much more terrible than death, but better to let him die immediately. Ling Mo waited with paranoid air for a whole hour. Delusions about transforming manifested themselves in his head. However, not only did Ling Mo not show any signs of mutation, his heartbeat also slowed down gently. Lost strength also came back to the body little by little. What is happening? Could it be that saliva is not contagious? Originally, Ling Mo, who was already depressed, after realizing this problem, he instantly became very excited. Not contagious through saliva. Does that mean it will also not be contagious through? Ling Mo's eyes subconsciously looked over at Ye Lian's body, especially that pair of legs together. Not contagious is good. Not contagious is good. Ling Mo jumped to his feet. If not for the fear of disturbing the zombies downstairs, he would have already laughed 3 times. Originally, he thought that he is dead for sure, but did not expect that saliva is not contagious. However, in ecstasy, Ling Mo did not notice that in the hour-long wait, he gradually stopped having the resistance expression to the plastic bag. He did not even notice that originally pungent smell is no longer working on him. And once he confirmed that he will not mutate, the plastic bag is also thrown to the ground by him. Just as Ling Mo is silent laughing, Ye Lian's eyes has also returned to normal. When Ling Mo looked at her, she is staring at him firmly with a somewhat dazed eyes. This made Ling Mo's heart suddenly thump sound. He immediately rushed past, grabbed Ye Lian's shoulders, firmly shake it. Ye Lian? Ye Lian looked at Ling Mo, suddenly stretched out a hand, touched on Ling Mo's hand. Then she slightly wrinkled brow, seemed somewhat confused as she looked at her hand. This action is already very human. Ling Mo's heart suddenly light up, stared at Ye Lian, but unable to speak. Usually he only maintained spiritual connection between Ye Lian, did not bother to deliberately control Ye Lian's actions. Therefore Ye Lian's movements right now all came from her. Sure enough, as Ye Lian continued to evolve, her sanity will also gradually be restored. But seeing that Ye Lian did not intend to open her mouth to speak, Ling Mo's excitement in his heart also calmed down gradually. He knew in his heart that Ye Lian's recovery is not something to be done by overnight. To reach things to such an extent has already been very good. Sure enough, after some brief confusion, Ye Lian resumed her deadpan look. But the look when she stared at Ling Mo is no longer emotionless like before, but there's a subtle hint of dependent, whether because of both spiritual connection or because of some other things. Right now, when Ye Lian is seeing Ling Mo, there's already been some subtle change that take place. But knowing that Ye Lian's saliva will no longer be harmful, Ling Mo could not help but to hold her tightly and give her lips a fierce peck. I will be the first human to kiss a zombie. The spiritual connection between Ye Lian and Ling Mo is very tight. Even though he has made a close move to Ye Lian, but Ye Lian does not show any resistance. Of course, she does not have any reactions. Her performance only shows in her look to Ling Mo. As for the rest, Ling Mo is not in a rush anyways. Rice has to be spooned one bite after another. The road is a step-by-step to come out. At least he could be rest assured to do more intimate contact with Ye Lian. Just be careful not to be stained with blood. Thinking here, Ling Mo suddenly showed a hint of an extremely incomprehensible smile. No blood? Then my wish to push down Ye Lian. How could it be achieved? Ye Lian, she's still a young bird, indicating she is a virgin. After swallowing a piece of fine high-purity virus gel, Ye Lian not only received encouraging progress on her intellect, her body physically also seemed to be showing some changes. Even though her skin still was a morbid shade pale, but among that delicate body seemed to reserve a vast amount of power. It is not possible to unleash full-scale trials in the tea house, but when Ling Mo allowed Ye Lian to try small maneuvers, he only found out that Ye Lian's speed has become extremely rapid. Before, Ye Lian could only be said to be like a cheetah, but this time she almost entirely transformed into a shadow, moving around quickly, as if charged by lightning. Amazing! Ling Mo could not help but be somewhat dazed, but soon he is caught between excitement and eagerness. When he was kissing crazily with Ye Lian, although that continuous sense of freshness was forcibly thrown into the back of the head, but the impact on the body is real. But when Ling Mo clenched his fist, he did not feel the increase in power, which makes him suddenly frown. But soon, he turned his eyes to Ye Lian, who has stopped, then suddenly revealing a hint of understanding look. His evolution is intricately linked with Ye Lian. If Ye Lian's evolution started to lean towards speed and agility, then maybe it's the same for him. Thought of this, Ling Mo then walked to one side of the tea house, and then took a deep breath, took off, and started to run. To run in an environment where there are numerous obstacles, under the condition in which you do not have the immediate nerve reaction and the corresponding physical reaction rate, there's only one result, and that is fall badly. Although Ling Mo felt that his body indeed achieved some flexibility, and perhaps the speed is also much faster, but has not yet achieved the ability like Ye Lian to fast shuttle through the obstacles. But Ling Mo miscalculated. He did not think that when he run at his best, the speed is that fast, even though it is still incomparable to Ye Lian, but is still much faster than average folks. And at such a breakneck speed, to rush before the sofa table is only a blink of eye. Most importantly, on that sofa, there is still Shana, who is lying unconsciously. Oh, can't dodge, impossible to dodge. Ling Mo swore in his heart, but foot brake was too late. Just as he was about to hit that coffee table before the sofa, Ling Mo suddenly twisted his body a bit in this critical moment. To make evasive action while moving at high speed, this is a lot of difficulty, but to not let himself get injured, and to not let Shana suffer unexpected calamities, Ling Mo bit his teeth and did it. But the temporary action, even if you succeed, but the effect is still greatly reduced. Ling Mo only had the chance to tilt the body, although he escaped the table, but the foot has lost its balance and fell forward directly. Just as Ling Mo uttered a low scream, his body already soared upward, then fell down. Hurts! Ling Mo landed on his knee. Despite the floor being carpeted, he still suffered a nasty scrape. But fortunately, Ling Mo's upper body did not fall, or else he would have definitely blacked out from the impact. A faint scent floated into Ling Mo's nasal cavity, and when Ling Mo tried to stand up with both hands, his left hand seemingly grabbed something soft. Ling Mo subconsciously looked up, suddenly froze. Although he did his best in avoiding of falling on Shana, but things did not go planned. His upper body still hit Shana's body. And right now his right hand is pressed down on Shana's flat belly. Left hand is clutching one of Shana's breasts. Probably instinctively, subconsciously Ling Mo even further tightened fingers and pinched. Very soft. But then, Ling Mo's face suddenly became redder than a beet, because when he turned to Shana's face, he only found out that Shana has already opened her eyes. That pair of substantially different from ordinary people's eyes is staring at him right now. Ling Mo's heart suddenly dropped into the floor. Although he did not do it intentional, and also knew that after Shana became a zombie, she should not have any feeling to this violation, but Ling Mo still gave a concealed cough, then slowly released Shana. But what made him froze instantly was that on Shana's face suddenly emerged out of a trace of fury, then spoke two short words using clear voice. Pervert. What did she say? Did I heard it wrong? Ling Mo suddenly jumped to his feet. Before Shana swallowed the viral gel, then also spoke after woken up, but after that she never opened her mouth. Therefore in Ling Mo's eyes, at that time she was still in the process of mutation, not counted as a zombie completely. Thus to speak one or two sentences under the state of days is no big deal. But after a day and night of observation, Ling Mo is sure that even though that time, when Shana had not become a complete zombie, but certainly right now she is a zombie without mistake. When he found Ye Lian, she is already a mutated zombie, and has been through an evolution, does not yet know how to speak, even though Shana's general situation is different than ordinary zombies. But would it because that after eating a high-purity gel, Shana did not mutate further to become more like a zombie, but more like a human? However, this virus thing, who can make it clear? Ling Mo looked Shana with somewhat dizzy head. His heart is both excited and full of doubts. And Shana also looked at Ling Mo, then turned her look to Ye Lian. After a brief confusion, she frowned and said, I know you guys. Nonsense, of course you know us. After hearing Shana speaking again, Ling Mo suddenly uttered a scream. Hands directly reached to Shana's shoulders. Are you back to normal? Did not know if he used too much force. Originally Shana, whoever turned back to normal, eyes suddenly turned red. Even though she did not directly attack Ling Mo, but that diced bloodthirsty breath instantly broke out. This made Ling Mo suddenly surprised. Fortunately, although he was excited, but the ability to respond is still there, he used force while grabbing Shana's shoulders, then once again pressed her down on the sofa. After several minutes of struggling, Shana again calmed down, then slowly returned to normal. But Ling Mo finally has seen through. Shana at this point has completely become schizophrenic. Under the condition in which no one provoke her, she is half human, with a little judgment, but once someone make a move at her or made her feel hostile, her zombie instincts will immediately be stimulated. As for Ling Mo's manipulation, what made Ling Mo depressed was that before Shana's spiritual world has appeared that kind of strange change, but after she woke up, even though the connection between them still exists, but he could no longer control her. Not only that, even if he wanted to further enhance control, is also temporarily impossible, because as long as Ling Mo enforced this idea slightly, there came a strong rebound from Shana's mind. Fortunately, even if just maintaining connection with Shana, she would not attack Ling Mo. Ling Mo suddenly felt the current Shana is much more trouble than the real zombies. Fortunately, the contact can be gradually deepened. Perhaps once after his own spiritual connection is enhanced, maybe he will again be able to manipulate her. Thought here, Ling Mo slowly creeped up, overlooked Shana who was on the sofa, suddenly asked, Could I pinch one more time? Shana looked at Ling Mo, slightly dazed for a moment. Her judgment ability is clearly not yet fully recovered, but the violation a moment ago inspired a girl's nature, and right now most likely for self-preservation instinct, she rejected with some poor voice. No. How about 2 times? I don't know. 3 times cannot be less. This night, Ling Mo is in a very good mood. He even opened a can of beer to treat himself. A long unopened gift given to him from Liu Yu Hao when they parted for good. And in front of him, there sit Ye Lian and Shana, these 2 mutated female zombies. In Ling Mo's perspective, Shana also counted as a mutated zombie and seemed to be in some sort of evolution process. It's just that her evolution direction compared to Ye Lian's is totally opposite. Ye Lian herself already have great strength among her evolution process, even though her rational recovery clearly very slow, but the strengthening of the flesh can be clearly seen the result after each evolution. It's clear that she's becoming a better and better zombie with every gel she consumes. But Shana is different. She was originally affected through secondary sources and did not completely fell down among the mutation process. As the virus continued to absorb from the host, it did not only allow her to become a zombie completely, instead allowed her to slowly be restored to the normal side. As long as she did not feel threatened, or when she was not subjected to danger, Shana is the same as normal people, except that the brain is somewhat less active. But on the other hand, when her zombie instincts awakened, she would go crazy like zombies to fight madly, without any tiredness. Although the appearance are 2 pretty beauties, but only Ling Mo clearly knows that no matter Ye Lian or Shana, they are both horrible humanoid killing weapons. And Ling Mo's wish is to let these 2 weapons gradually regain the sanity of human beings. It would be best to be restored back to normal people. Shana's spilt. Ye Lian's trace of changes all made Ling Mo even more determined that one day his wish can come true. No longer have to face Ye Lian's emotionless eyes. Occasionally Shana would even speak a few sentences. This result, how could Ling Mo not be happy? Not to mention his own speed also received great improvement, even though the strength was not as great as he would like it to be. But when facing zombies, to have a pair of running legs is also pretty good. While drinking beer at the same time, Ling Mo turned his head and opened the corner of the curtain, looked out to the window. The shadow that appeared on the square from time to time are all zombies. Compared to ordinary people, they have an advantage at night. So nights like this, basically you would not see any survivors on the streets. When those zombies don't attack, they go into a sort of power saver mode. Slow movements, bodies shaking unconsciously, most of the zombies will remain in this state for a very long time, without the disturbance from survivors. But zombies also get hungry, even though their physical exertion is much less than the average person, but eventually they also need a lot of food. This square is an open terrain, no supermarket around to scavenge food. Therefore Ling Mo is certain that there haven't any survivors appearing for days. And people like Ling Mo right now who have the courage of hiding in a 2-floor building, quietly watching these zombies are not many either. Ling Mo's relaxation was suddenly pierced by a bumping noise suddenly coming from the shop downstairs. One zombie, under the eyes of Ling Mo, suddenly rushed out of the shop. With the help of moonlight, Ling Mo vaguely saw her covered with blood. Hey, the other one was eaten by her. This is very likely. That slight movement a moment ago sounds like wild dogs gnawing on a bone. It really is a murder in a dark and stormy night. Hands off during the day, but had to wait during the middle of the night when there is bad light. This is the first time when Ling Mo seeing ordinary zombies attack their own kind. He only saw them eating the bodies of their own kind, but never seen the first step towards a real mutation, and that is to attack their own kind. Ling Mo is suddenly very interested. His eyes are firmly fixed on that middle-aged female zombie who rushed from the store. He wanted to see what she would do next. After this female zombie got rid of her own kind, she directly rushed to another one of the nearest zombie on the square. That zombie was still catatonic. Therefore, it did not even struggle and was relieved of its head privileges by the female zombie. And she is eating, madly holding that head too far across. Ling Mo did not know whether or not if she pulled out the brain and eat it. Watching zombies eating human flesh, even if the target object to be eaten is a zombie, but to Ling Mo, it still made his scalp somewhat tingling. Even though he has two zombies by his side, but they don't have this kind of bloody eating habits. These zombies, to put it bluntly, they're living people who are infected by virus, different than those zombies who were revived after death in the movies. But because they attack living people and have the kind of eating human habits, most likely no one is treating them like humans. Originally, there were not that many zombies on the square, and most of them gathered on the other side, relatively far from the location where Ling Mo is at. But this middle-aged female zombie's actions immediately attracted these zombies. Dozens of agile figures quickly rushed over, if not seen with his own eyes, who would knew that 1 second ago, they were still slowly shaking? These zombies did not come to attack the female middle-aged zombie, but to eat. Their own kind's bodies, to them, are no different than living people. When a large number of zombies moved together toward one direction, inadvertently, some other zombies were torn to pieces by the ravenous crowd. Zombies also do not have it easy, Ling Mo suddenly thought. However, their number advantage is the most important thing. Who cares if there's zombies dying every day? The numbers of survivors were reduced much faster than zombies. Seeing her own kind rushing to snatch for food, middle-aged female zombies again showed her extremely vicious side. She made a dive for the nearest zombie, but to Ling Mo's surprise, she encountered a revolt. This zombie mostly likely is on the edge of going mad. Originally, he could have honestly continued to wander slowly if he were given something to eat, but this female middle-aged zombie was the first one to attack him. Stimulated by blood, strong sense of hunger been provoked within this diminutive zombie, it suddenly became mad. Fight between ordinary zombies is the first time Ling Mo seeing it. He opened his eyes widely, afraid to miss any detail. When the two of them tussled, the other dozen zombies have already eaten clean that corpse. Their speed of eating is really a terror. But obviously, one near body was not enough to eat, and at this time the two zombies who were battling like beasts all have new wounds on their bodies. When seeing those zombies turn attention to them, even Ling Mo, who is watching at a far distance, is aware that most likely on this square, there's an outbreak of a total brawl. Compared to ordinary people, zombies' speed, stamina, strength, all are much better. Especially their kind of crazy attack. Most likely normal people will be terrified if seen. As long as there is one breath left, these zombies would not back down, and their battles are more like fights between beasts. That middle-aged female zombie is probably the one who got to eat the most. Therefore, her performance is the craziest. Ling Mo saw with his own eyes that he caught one zombie's arm in the midst of the battle. Then she tear it down. This force is too horrible. Even one zombie could not do that. This is why zombies usually use their mouth. Compared to the power of their hands, their bite force is much stronger. For a time fleshes are flying on the square, zombies' throats issued muffled roar. The bloody scene would make people vomit. Even though Ling Mo is curious about zombies' mutation, but only stuck for a little, then did not want to see anymore. But when she turned his head, he saw that Shana stood up unknowingly and is staring out the window. This seemed to Shana, who still have some sanity remained. What kind of effect will it be on her? Ling Mo somewhat thought with curiosity. The zombie brawl soon ended, but the sole winner was not the middle-aged female zombie, but a male zombie that looked very thin. It seemed that physical strength is no longer useful after turning into a zombie. Middle-aged female zombie obviously belonged to the brute type, but after she was cornered by a few zombies, her strength also could no longer follow up. Even though she had no intention of withdrawal, her attack power was not enough to fight back. On the other hand, that thin male zombie relied on his nimble movements. He eventually had the last laugh. Dozens of mutilated corpses were sprawled over on the wet pavement as the male zombie began to feast. Even though this process is disgusting, but to figure out exactly how zombies evolve, Ling Mo still paid full attention to watch his movements. In the beginning, there was nothing special. He was eating flesh like any other zombies, but when he ate that middle-aged female zombie's head, he suddenly frantically started to roll on the ground. What the hell? After all, the lighting at night is very bad. The distance is also far away. Even though Ling Mo's mental strength and vision are very advanced, but to be able to clearly see that male zombie's every movement is not very easy. Fortunately, this zombie soon returned to normal, but after standing up, he no longer has interest towards any of the other corpses. Ling Mo stared curiously at this zombie. He'd like to immediately let Shana or Ye Lian to capture the zombie and to observe it, but the zombie got up and made a frantic dash back into a building. Ling Mo immediately looked in that direction, even though it was difficult to identify clear, but he did vaguely see some pitch-black shadows. So there's zombies attracted over. Ling Mo suddenly showed a hint of sneer. Night thoroughly belongs to zombies, and in this totally dead city, perhaps things like this happens everywhere. Zombie evolution will happen even if there were no survivors there to see it happen. Another group of zombies fight broke in the other corner of the square, even though he could not see from this faraway distance. But fortunately, he still has 2 mutated zombies at his side. Taking into account that Shana's situation is not very stable, therefore Ling Mo manipulated Ye Lian to go open the door downstairs, then turned around to lock the door, then flew towards the brawl, eager to see firsthand what is happening. Under the night, Ye Lian's agile figure is like a strange shadow that shot across the square and stood quietly under the eaves of a shop, looked toward the battlefield, not far away. This distance is the limit of Ling Mo's manipulation. But with Ye Lian's vision that is not limited to light, she could already be able to clearly see where everything happened. That male zombie came back again after the brawling zombie started to die down, and again he did not eat these corpses completely, but only targeting their heads. Precisely, it is the back of the brain. Through Ye Lian's perspective, Ling Mo is watching all while frowning. It seems that normal zombies' back of the brain also have the presence of the virus gel. However, to Ye Lian's kind of mutated zombie, she is no longer interested in the gel inside normal zombies. She needs mutated zombies' brain gel. And Ling Mo could see it clearly. This male zombie did not pull out the gel using his hand, but instead stuffed their brain into the mouth. This scene immediately reminded Ling Mo when he first found Ye Lian, those zombie corpses inside the bus. He did not look carefully at that time, but thinking now, those zombies' brain were indeed being hollowed out, and not like Ye Lian's technique in which she only take brain gel. With such thought, Ling Mo's heart suddenly felt a hint of weirdness, but he soon dispelled this feeling. So what of eating human brains? He's going to take Ye Lian for sure. Besides these zombies, they're no longer people. After pulling out these zombies' brains, this male zombie seemed to feel as if not enough. He even went back and dug out the remaining zombie's brain. Even with zombie appetite, he has more than enough to eat. To continue to eat, his stomach will most likely burst. But after eating, he actually turned his head and uttered a quiet, but menacing growl, making Ling Mo's heart suddenly skip a beat. This zombie, is he actually going to mutate? Even though at a relatively far distance. But Ling Mo clearly see that the redness in his eyes is even brighter, and when he gave the low growl, the bones of the body seemed to be crackling. Although this is only a feeling, but Ling Mo feel that he is really seeing. His body suddenly stretched a little, bloodthirsty eyes light up even more hotness. Mutated zombie. Although slightly weaker than the mutated zombies he have seen, but it is really a mutated zombie that born under his eyes. Ling Mo is suddenly very excited. He knew that the smell of blood will soon attract other zombies. Therefore, while this newborn mutated zombie is still growling, he manipulated Ye Lian and rushed at the back of this zombie. The mutating zombie stood no chance against Ye Lian and promptly received a dagger down his neck. When zombies attack, they only focus on dealing as much damage as possible, not on self-preservation. As this zombie was scrunched over and beginning to mutate, he had absolutely no chance to evade the blade. Satisfied with the kill, Ling Mo commanded Ye Lian to bring the zombie back to him. Ye Lian appeared to be very relaxed while dragging an adult male zombie with his frail body. No struggling at all. At this point, there are no more zombies in the shop downstairs. Therefore, Ling Mo did not take caution, ran down personally and opened door for Ye Lian, then locked the iron gate. Research zombie. After going back upstairs, Ling Mo immediately sit in front of this zombie with excitement, involuntarily rubbed his hands. Ling Mo did not know a lick of medicine, and the only piece of information he could remember from science class was that the mitochondria was the powerhouse of the cell. So his research method is very simple and crude. Dissection. He ordered Ye Lian to drag this zombie into one of the booths in the tea house, then use Shana to perforate the zombie's abdomen. At this moment, although Shana would not be manipulated by Ling Mo, but she is still Ling Mo's zombie puppet, still listened to simple commands. Not to mention that as she regained some sanity, to Ling Mo's words, she can understand some simple tasks like disemboweling. This time Shana showed her zombie side. Her expression is very indifferent, no mood swings, as if the body she cut open is not a human. When the thick smell of the blood drifted out of the corpse into her nose, her eyes flashed a hint of carnage. Luckily, her eating habits are the same as mutated zombies, as she was not interested in the flesh of corpses, but rather that juicy brain matter. But after Shana is done, she somewhat looked at Ling Mo in a haze, apparently did not understand what he wanted to do. However, even if there is doubt, with Shana's current stumbled thought process, she could not sort these issues into a sentence, not to mention to open her mouth to ask. But even so, she quietly stood aside, closely watching Ling Mo's every move. This kind of dirty work naturally Ling Mo would not make Ye Lian to do. Therefore, he took out a knife and then picked open this long wound. Ling Mo was sure to lower the curtains around the tea house before he turned on his flashlight to look into the corpse. The last thing he wanted to do was to serve as a lighthouse beacon to a hungry zombie as he performed surgery without a medical license. Even though Ling Mo was still far too inexperienced to understand human anatomy, his experience with eviscerating zombies after the apocalypse sure played in his favor when he realized the zombies' innards looked nothing like a normal human's. As Ling Mo stared at the viscera, he realized that the organs were covered with some kind of blood-red screen, glassy in appearance. This substance had the same meshwork consistency of the veins in the brain gels Ling Mo always used, suggesting that this tissue was thanks to the virus. Even though the screen looked thin, it appeared to be still pulsating and moving. No wonder. Probably mutated zombies' tyrannical strength came from here. These viruses are sure enough transforming zombies' bodies. Most likely it also happens in ordinary zombies' bodies, but because the absorbed virus is too little, therefore it was not obvious, and this mutated zombie just swallowed numerous pieces of brain gel. At this time the virus is rapidly spreading throughout the body. Somehow, this zombie was still alive and was beginning to struggle and twist around to try to get up. Ling Mo quickly commanded Ye Lian and Shana to pin the zombie back down so that he could not move. But his body is still desperately struggling and twisting. At the same time, when blood gushed out, Ling Mo could not see anything. Hey, rest assured, you'll soon be liberated. Ling Mo smiled at this crazy zombie, then used a short knife and went for the throat. Trachea was cut. Mutated zombie's long breath that originally could not be heard soon became the bellows sound. He spit out a futile last breath and died for good. Honestly fresh human brain Ling Mo did not want to see it at all, but when this human brain was pulled out, he could not help but to glance, then showed a look of shock. Inside this newly minted, mutated zombie's brain, the virus has not yet appeared in the state of gel, but his brain surface is filled with that red thread that were filled on internal organs and blood vessels. Presumably, if you were given more time, these threads will gradually gather together and condensed into a focus at the back of the brain to become the much-desired viral gel. Gaze steadily at that group of brain for a while. Ling Mo suddenly slapped his thigh. I understand. Normal zombie's brain also is full of these threads, but because the amount of virus gel is too little, low purity, therefore it is invisible to the naked eye. But this new mutated zombie absorbed large amount of virus as it feasted, so this threads then appeared visible to the naked eye. After the virus has taken hold, it begins to alter the zombie's mind to start going straight for the brains, instead of eating the flesh. As the viral gel condenses, it grows smaller and more pure. Maybe to a certain extent, it will become a very small one. And, at that time, the zombie that has it will perhaps restore sanity. Shana's special point was that, originally she has a smaller volume of virus in her body, and before it was fully spread to the brain, she continued to swallow 2 viral gel, later swallowed a piece of extremely high purity gel. As a result, before her brain was completely eroded, the virus may have simply condensed into a small point in her brain, not being able to completely wipe out her conscious mind. Ling Mo does not know whether his thoughts are right, but to see from the current mutated zombie's condition, this is probably the closest answer. Sure enough, his direction is right. To the current Ling Mo, there is nothing else that could made him even happier than this discovery. He is not some doctor. This inference may have a lot of mistakes, but the results it is quite possible to actually be real. Prove that this hope does exist, and the probability is large. Then the next thing to do is to make this guess become a reality as soon as possible. After a full 10 minutes of excitement, Ling Mo finally realized a hint of strangeness. In any case, a large living being himself in front of such disgusting corpse, smiling and carrying thoughts, is always a little weird. Throw it into the river. Well, tomorrow we'll have to find a new set of clothes. This smell of blood, unless zombies' noses all become rotten to not smell it. Why do you laugh? When Shana helped to lift the body, she suddenly asked with puzzled tone. Not easy. Silent for a long time, then she finally spitted out a whole sentence. Ling Mo blinked at her strangely, said, because I thought of one thing. The place on you really do feel good, just a little small. If possible, Ling Mo would love to bring Ye Lian and Shana to find a secure shelter, then have a period of relative secure leisure life. But after witnessed the birth of a mutated zombie last night, Ling Mo really could no longer sit still. What is the population in this provincial city? Million. A conservative estimate of the number of zombies is at least about a few millions. And what is the concept of millions of zombies? 20 zombies are enough to make fighting back pointless. And like Song Tian Survivor Group, even though if they defend using geographical advantages, it won't take any more than 50 powered-up zombies to destroy them. Meanwhile, just thinking about it makes the scalp tingling. Fortunately, these zombies are undisciplined. They are scattered in various corners of the city, even among many buildings. But even so, it is sufficient to show that the city is perilous. Zombies to normal people are already very terrible, not to mention mutated zombies. If it wasn't for the ability to control zombie puppets, Ling Mo would not dare to confront mutated zombies. It is simply seeking death. And something like last night in this city, maybe it is happening at every moment. They will quickly grow into mutated zombies with horrible strength, and will continue to evolve. On the other hand, whether it is Ye Lian or Shana, they all need to continue to eat, and their food source are mutated zombies. Therefore, no matter from which point of view, right now is not the time to take refuge. And, as a survivor, Ling Mo have no choice but to shuttle throughout the city, hunting mutated zombies in order to acquire more viral gels. They must evolve as their foes do the same. The next night, a few zombies appeared again on the square. They were all attracted by the smell of the blood. After eating, they just wandered on this square slowly. And on the ground are dry plasma, as well as scattered bones and clothes debris. After Ling Mo ripped Ye Lian's clothes apart, temporarily there is no available change of clothes. Fortunately, there's a clothing store on the square, as long as they get rid of these zombies. As soon as they opened the iron gate, when Ling Mo just appeared, he immediately attracted the attention of these few zombies. They frantically rushed over. Under the sunlight, their face was covered in blood plasma. All blood-stained hands even could see clearly the ground meat within their nail gaps. Not even right in front, an intense smell of blood on the nostrils instantly carried over, plus their extremely twisted, hideous face do serve the purpose of scaring people to death. These zombies did not blindly rush up to bite. Their actions are very flexible and with great strength. Therefore, as soon as they were before Ling Mo, they all flung their arms at Ling Mo. One of them even used rushing power to jump upward and rush towards Ling Mo through the midair. Attacked by several zombies at the same time, Ling Mo is basically in a situation where he could not avoid. But he was not nervous when these zombies were about 5 meters away. He had already used his zombie puppet control ability and reigned in control over 2 of the attacking zombies. Without worrying of exposing his ability to any survivors, Ling Mo can finally show off the true power of his zombie puppet controlling ability. 2 zombies that were controlled by him at the first turn around and blocked the zombies in the back and immediately attacked them. And that zombie who jumped midair, although looked very ferocious, but with Ling Mo's current speed, to avoid is very easy. But he did not hide, but also jumped in midair with his hind legs, right arm swung. A coldness immediately slashed through the zombie's head. Gah! With the blade into the meat, this zombie immediately fell heavily onto the ground, but even though he was badly beaten, but not fatal. Zombie's sense of not afraid to die immediately played a role. At the same time when he landed on the ground, he jumped up and just rushed before Ling Mo, who just landed. Zombie's arm lashed across, even brought a sound of wind, and to get in contact with this zombie at such close distance, that strong smell of blood and rancid breath enveloped Ling Mo even more. But in the face of attacks, Ling Mo just slightly tilted his head. A sharp long knife stabbed out immediately, along with the zombie's arm that stretched, stabbed directly under his armpit, and then went clean through. Poof! Blood burst. This arm was immediately directly cut through. The tyrannical force even forced this zombie and triumphed him on the ground. Ling Mo did not hesitate and swung his wrist. Short knife blade went down in the instant where this zombie just straightened up his body, pierced into his heart. And behind Ling Mo, exposed Shana's figure. To normal zombies, their own kind like Shana, they would not voluntarily to attack, except zombies like last night that has already stepped towards and becoming a mutated zombie. At the same time, those 2 zombies that were controlled by Ling Mo also showed good victories. They stopped 2 of the zombies and soon got rid of them. And Ye Lian strangulated the rest of the zombie easily. But it is useless to keep these 2 zombies. Ling Mo gently waved. These 2 zombies immediately grabbed each other's neck and forced a twist at the same time. Zombie puppet controlling ability. With their own fighting strength, the collaboration between zombie puppets, even though not very collaborated yet, but Ling Mo is quite satisfied. Master was not trained in one day. Not to mention he does not control Shana, could only conduct mutual cooperation with him. After last night's evolution, Ling Mo could vaguely feel that between him and zombie puppets, there seemed to be countless threads connected. It was through these threads, zombie puppets could only receive commands from him. The thread between him and Ye Lian has already achieved the state of real terms, but the thread between him and Shana are translucent. Looks like through these threads, it could also visually see their handling efforts to zombie puppets. Really a genuine zombie puppet controller. Just as the real puppet controller control dolls used hands. I control zombies, use spiritual power. Instantly and easily got rid of these zombies. Ling Mo's mood is quite good, but corpses all over the ground is obviously not suitable to stay for too long. He immediately brought Ye Lian and Shana into that abandoned clothing store. This upscale boutiques, Ling Mo previously have never come before. Clothes that were thousands of bucks is simply downright luxury. But in the end of the world, these clothes are just crooked hanging there. Even some have been thrown to the ground, covered with blood, and most survivors would not even look at them. No matter how expensive the luxury items are, in the end of the world, they're not even worthy of a small cookie. Ling Mo casually put on a t-shirt, and then picked out a clean shirt from the shelf for Ye Lian. In this process, he unavoidably observed Ye Lian's body shape up close, touched a little on that delicate skin. As for Shana, she actually learned from Ling Mo and started picking on the shelves, soon took out a bright red shirt. No wonder she is a zombie, likes blood red. This one is too conspicuous. Ling Mo instantly grabbed this one from her, then found a black lace top, then with a strange hint of smile, looked at Shana. But when he handed the clothes to Shana, she is actually again with a trance of look, pushed the clothes back into Ling Mo's hand, and helplessly watched Ling Mo. After being sluggish for a while, Ling Mo suddenly react again. Shana's reason recovery is limited, and evidently seemed to be in a state of confusion. From her performance, it should be that she doesn't know how to change clothes. Anyways, he already pinched. Let's change. Ling Mo actually does not have any psychological barriers. Stripped her quickly, and then put this lace blouse on her. After finished changing the cloth, Ling Mo stepped backwards, then looked up and down, revealed a hint of a very satisfied smile. This should be regarded as the most sexy zombie, right? In that hollow, transparent lace top, in addition of barely covering the doublet, the rest of the place, such as flat belly and waist, is all exposed. Ling Mo spent all night pondering where to go next, and decided upon X University, which is not too far from here. Even though it is not the only high learning institution of X City, but is the most familiar one to Ling Mo. After all, Ye Lian was a student there, and he had therefore been there countless times. Large area, complex environment, located in the downtown area, countless zombies. This is Ling Mo's guess to X City's current state. At this kind of place, it is simply a perfect place to hunt mutated zombies. As for potential crisis, risks and benefits always coexist, which to Ling Mo is very clear. But when he just stepped out of the clothing store, he suddenly froze for a moment, then suddenly recoiled, hiding within the shadow of the store. On the square, 3 figures appeared. What made Ling Mo feel even more incredulous was that he actually knew these 3 people, and they just saw each other. Wang Rin and Liu, and Wang Cheng. How could Wang Cheng walk with him? Even if he is flattered, the jump is a little bit too quick. Ling Mo almost at the first time thought of a possibility. Could it be that Wang Cheng told Shana situations to Wang Rin? If it were that Liu Xan too goods for nothing, this possibility is very big, but a person like Wang Cheng, he should know his place, know what to say, know what not to say. Plus, he had no conflict with Ling Mo before. Therefore, Ling Mo did not have the thought of killing him. After all, even though Ling Mo has the ability of controlling puppets, but he is not some kind of killer. It is probably the first time out of their encampment. Liu constantly looked around, hand holding a sharpened iron bar. Face is a bit nervous. And Wang Rin is carrying a machete ahead. Wang Cheng is following close behind her. Ling Mo noticed at first glance, the iron bar in Liu's hands is hanging some fresh flesh. His body is also splashed with blood, and Wang Rin's machete is still dripping blood. It appears that both on the way here have been through bloody battle. Liu's combat ability is very good. His current appearance is not surprising. But with Wang Rin's delicate and sick body, she could actually kill zombies. As for whether or not there is fear, from her usual pale face, really do not see anything. The most critical thing is how did these 2 escape to here? Wang Rin walked straight up to the square, and the first thing she noticed was the bloodstains and debris on the ground. She gave a few glances over there, then turned to the buildings around the square. Seeing Wang Rin looking over, Ling Mo quietly stepped back, and Ye Lian, under his control, is also motionless. On the contrary, Shana is appearing to be a bit restless behind Ling Mo, but soon rested under Ling Mo's appease through his eyes. Soon Wang Rin discovered that tea house hidden in the corner. She waved towards Liu, who is staying alert to the surroundings, then went first before the tea house. As soon as she sees those zombie corpses on the ground, Wang Rin's face immediately revealed a hint of proud smile, and Wang Cheng, who was behind her, looked at her with a surprised look, then flattered and said, "Big Sister Rin, you are really amazing. Didn't you not also flatter that Ling to the sky?" Wang Rin snappily said. Wang Cheng smiled awkwardly. "Big Sister Rin, you asked me about his strength. I did not dare to lie to you. Whether or not you lie to me, we will find out once we catch up to him. I already warned you when we went out. If you dare to flicker me, I will throw you to the outside and let you fend for yourself." Wang Rin gave a cold cry, said, and Wang Cheng suddenly felt cold sweat down. He somewhat looked at Wang Rin with a frustrated look. His mind is naturally shouting bad luck. If he had known, he wouldn't have took the initiative to open up his mouth. Originally seeing Wang Rin take the initiative to ask about Ling Mo situations, Wang Cheng then said a few more words voluntarily, hoped to befriend with this girl who is obviously with a higher status, but did not expect this girl to take him along and be dragged out when he just got to the camp. Fortunately, this girl's strength is indeed very good, on the par with Shana. On the way here, he did not suffer any life-threatening situations. But the hell, the object she is looking for trouble is Ling Mo. Thought here, Wang Cheng could not wait to turn around and run away. But with his strength, as soon as he turns tail, he will be executed. Therefore, no matter how scared he is in the heart, he had to follow Wang Rin closely behind. Contrary, Liu Hao, who is silent with his mouth shut, escaped unharmed. OS. Liu, who rushed from behind, suddenly froze for a moment as soon as he saw the scene. How about it? I told you that he could not escape from my palm, right? You see the bodies on the ground. The blood is still flowing out. They were just dead. Wang Rin glanced at Liu, seemed to be very satisfied with each other's reaction. Liu walked in a circle around the corpses, could not help but to swallow saliva. But Big Sister Rin, we still have not fully caught up with them. It seems that they should have gone. Don't be afraid. Anyway, I must catch up with them today, Wang Rin said with cold indifference. But Liu hesitated, then he looked at the bodies on the ground, then said with determination, even if caught up, we can't beat him, ah. After saying it, his heart immediately thumped. Eyes did not dare to look at Wang Rin. And when Wang Rin heard these words, her face suddenly becomes somewhat ugly. Big Sister Rin, I followed you out secretly, will certainly be scolded by Big Boss Song when returned. Besides, you have already seen, this person's strength is great. All these bodies on the ground, all killed by him. Liu bit the bullet and continued spoke. Wang Rin stared at Liu somewhat angrily, said, "You are stupid. How could he kill all these zombies by himself? Of course Shana helped him. She would not fight with me. I would not believe if that thief could beat me one-on-one." Wang Cheng originally wanted to say something, but when he looked at Wang Rin's unhappy face, he decided to bite his tongue. Liu was speechless for a time. After another silent moment, he curiously spoke. "Rin's sister, could you tell me? How do you know which direction they went?" "Cannot tell you." Wang Rin gave a cold cry, turned to look at those shops, with a low voice inaudible to her. Too bad cannot accurately sense, so annoyed. But he must be around here. Seeing Wang Rin and her people stopped for a moment downstairs of the tea house, and slowly walked away from another street. Ling Mo, who was hiding in a clothing store, suddenly sighed. This girl is obviously coming to find him. Seems like she still did not give up on her short knife. But Ling Mo always felt that most likely seeking back the knife is only one reason. Find back her face is the key. Of course you cannot judge a person's face. In Ling Mo's imagination, she should be the gentle kind, soft-spoken types. Not only did not expect to be pungent outrageous, and have a very bad habit, that is entanglement. It is already the end of the world, actually still acted stubborn and unforgiving and brought people out to find him. Just took a knife, did not took your virginity. But how did this little girl know where exactly to find him here? This really let Ling Mo feel baffled. After complained a few sentences more, he reckons they've gone far. Ling Mo then took Ye Lian and Shana out from the clothing store, and then deliberately chose a direction opposite of Wang Rin and them. It really wasn't that he is scared of this chick, but because he still has Shana besides him. The best solution is to directly bypass her. She cannot actually always follow him the whole city, right? If she is really willingly to find, then go for it. In such a big city, full of zombies, let's see where you go find. While Ling Mo cursed, he turned into a side alley, but he did not know, just as he stepped into the alley, at the intersection of that street, appeared Wang Rin's presence again. Her face with a hint of sneer, seeing that Ling Mo walked into that alley. "Caught you. Dared to take my knife, and dared to blackmail Song Tian in broad daylight." Just walked less than 200 meters away in the small alley. Ling Mo suddenly stopped, and then looked back. His face suddenly became somewhat gloomy. Ye Lian was temporarily left in the small alley, and through Ye Lian's perspective, he clearly saw Wang Rin, and these three people walked over from the other side of the square. Sure enough, she's got some tricks. This girl can know my position. Ling Mo gave a grunt, looked from left to right, then took Shana into an internet cafe, and pulled back Ye Lian. There are at least a dozen zombies within the internet cafe, with a rough estimate. But because of the terrain, the threat they bring to Ling Mo is not significant. Ling Mo won by one, slaughtered all but 4 of the strongest zombies, which he took under his command, and took his makeshift squad up to the second floor. There are also several other zombie corpses killed by him on the street. Plus, with Wang Rin's characteristics like obstinacy, it's not hard to guess that he is hiding in this neighborhood. However, to find him in the second floor, the difficulty is great. Ling Mo knew that Wang Rin had a good idea of the general location of where he was, seeing how he left behind many zombie corpses on his way up the internet cafe. Just as Ling Mo was about to send Ye Lian out again to scout for her position, Wang Rin entered the internet cafe. Really lingered. Ling Mo angrily swore, then looked back at those 4 zombie puppets behind, suddenly revealing a hint of strange smile. "Welcome, Wang Rin. Let's have some fun." Wang Rin was full of pride that she has finally found where Ling Mo was hiding, and signaled her followers to stay back while she goes to confront him. Carefully, she glanced inside. Just as she extended her head out to face-check the room, she suddenly uttered a scream in shock. A bloody zombie rushed over from the side without a sound, and is holding an iron bar. Just as Wang Rin showed her head, that iron bar immediately slashed down across. Even though it slashed down along her cheek, but did not really hurt her, but Wang Rin is still completely scared less. She has not yet seen zombies that could conceal themselves and ambush attackers, much less zombies that know how to use weapons. But her reaction is still better than this zombie. Her machete cut down quickly. The target is the zombie's hand that is holding an iron bar. According to the habits of zombies who never flinched, at the same time, when Wang Rin is cutting down, zombies is bound to raise the arms to continue to attack, straight into the trajectory of the machete. Wang Rin's combat experience told her that this is the easiest way to disable an attacking zombie. But she never expected that this zombie actually took a step backward. While escaped her blow at the same time, he again smashed over with his iron bar. What kind of zombie is it? Wang Rin suddenly stared with wide-open eyes, and Liu and Wang Cheng, who caught up saw the movement, were also shocked. Seeing the iron bar going down, Wang Rin quickly dodged, but her body has excellent toughness. At the same while avoiding, her machete also slashed towards the iron bar in zombie's hand. Clang! A sound of metal clashing came immediately, and when Wang Rin hit the iron bar at the same time, her wrist immediately twisted, machete chop changed to cut, straight down the right hand of the zombie. She moved quickly, and the response was sufficient. With attack skills in place, this blow in her eyes is inevitable to come by. Even Liu, who was preparing to rush forward, also stopped his movement, secretly applauding Rin's knife skill in his heart. But all of them did not expect that. Just as these three's attention were attracted by this strange zombie, there suddenly appeared another zombie, behind Wang Cheng, suddenly covered his mouth so that he couldn't scream, and quickly dragged him to the side. Wang Rin's knife did not fall. As the blood started to splatter, the zombie's 3 fingers were chopped off. The iron bar in hand also fell on the ground. This injury is not effective in stopping zombies' action, and Wang Rin is also very clear on this point. After disarming the zombie's weapon, she moved her feet a step closer toward the zombie, once again slashed down with the machete in hand. From her experience, zombies do not care whether or not if they are injured. As long as their movements are not affected, their attacks will not stop. Therefore, when Wang Rin's knife slashed down, zombies should have just rushed under her knife. But the zombie didn't continue to attack. After this zombie lost his weapon, he actually suddenly turned around and rushed the inside of a building. He escaped. This zombie actually ran away. Wang Rin's face suddenly became extremely astonished, and behind her, Li Yu's mouth cannot be even closed. Know how to use tactics, know how to use weapon, and know how to escape. If it weren't seeing his pair of red blood eyes and that twisted face, most likely they would have never believed that this is actually a zombie. And Wang Rin was almost slashed by this zombie. Seeing this zombie actually escaped, she suddenly emerged in a fit of rage. How are you still a zombie? I'm not going to take this kind of crap from a simple, lowly zombie. Wang Rin, who was in shock, soon recovered. But just as she was about to keep up, then Li Yu suddenly uttered a scream. Where the F is Wang Cheng? Wang Cheng is gone. Just under their noses, quietly disappeared, and not even a drop of fresh blood at all on the ground. This unexpected situation immediately let Wang Rin's face become extremely frightened, and in Li Yu's eyes is full of undisguised dismay. Wang Cheng does not have any combat ability, and almost all the way here he followed them closely, if saying that he would take the initiative to escape. Both Li Yu and Wang Rin would not believe. But such a large living being, how could he disappeared under their eyes? Must be that Ling Mo. Wang Rin's brow wrinkled suddenly. Maybe this Wang Cheng has already discovered Ling Mo, so he quietly slipped away to seek refuge with him. So this Ling Mo is in this neighborhood. Wang Rin eyed several buildings around her. Heart is with some drums, indicating she is not sure and a little uncertain. Who knows if that kind of weird zombie is not the only? What if they run into him again? Otherwise, let's not care about that Wang Cheng. Let's go. Li Yu somewhat cautiously proposed. That zombie a moment ago seemed like it has intelligence. This is really too strange. Wang Rin's mouth could not help but twitched a little, but she still nonchalantly gave a cold and angry cry. What to be afraid? That zombie still cannot beat me? Maybe the same as mutated zombie, just a little different. Didn't you see that he could only escape? Besides, meeting this kind of special zombie, we should find out more about his situation, so when we go back, we can provide everyone some information, or else in the future when we encountered we will be at disadvantage. Speaking here, the shocking gradually disappeared in Wang Rin's eyes, replaced by excitement and emotion. Discovered a new breed of zombies. Did not expect that after chasing that thief, there's still such a pleasant surprise. Thinking now, that zombie is not actually very scary. He even escaped when facing me. As for Wang Cheng, whether or not if he escaped by himself, or if something happened to him, Wang Rin's heart does not care. To put it plainly, someone's lack of combat skills makes him a burden to her. You're still looking for that knife? Li Yu asked again. Find. Why not find it? But cannot let him have the opportunity to run away. You stay out here guarding. Wang Rin said unquestionably. When Wang Rin separated with Li Yu, Ling Mo, who is standing beside the window on second floor of the internet cafe, suddenly revealing a hint of satisfied smile. Fight with me? You are nothing but a minor chick, although have a little skill, but this judgment may be enough to choke. One zombie puppet is enough to distract her attention. Right now you're not at Song Tian's camp. When Ling Mo started to use his ability, he doesn't have any scruples in his heart. Besides, who could have thought he actually knows how to control zombies? As long as Ye Lian and Shana's identity are not exposed, most likely no one would think of it. Not to mention his purpose is to completely regulate this chick and must figure out by what method did she able to track him. Whereabouts are mastered but also lingers. It has touched Ling Mo's bottom line. Cannot seek survival by ourselves. Must come to find trouble. This is the typical case where you don't walk the road to heaven, but must break into the doors of hell. Well now, I'm not afraid to importune you. The more you bite and hold, your end will be more miserable. Following that strange zombie's bloodstain, Wang Rin followed it closely into that building. And Li, although somewhat frightened, but had to bite the bullet and stayed in place. He would never have personally come to chase Ling Mo and his people. But Wang Rin's insistence left him with cold headache. Fortunately, there's her cousin Shana. Should not have too much conflict. But the appearance of that zombie undoubtedly upset the plan. Originally only planned to find Ling Mo. Now, they have to distract their energy and to find that zombie. This is just great. It's no problem that Wang Cheng inexplicably went missing. The remaining two also forced to spilled up. When the entire alley is only left with him, Li Yu suddenly felt a burst of inexplicable heart palpitations. He took a deep breath, clenched the iron bar in his hands. Calm, although that zombie might sneak attack, but Wang Rin has already went chasing him. This kind of zombie should not be a lot. Even if nearby, be careful should be no problem. After all, just looking at the combat ability, he is no different than ordinary zombies, even weaker than ordinary zombies. Normal zombies does not know how to escape. Liu encouraged himself in his heart, really felt a trace of courage, but just as he straightened up his spine, he suddenly heard a light sound behind him. The sound is very slight, but in Liu's ears, it is no doubt like a clap of thunder. He almost turned around the first time, iron bar, cross at the front, nervously looked to the direction of where the sound came from. However, Liu only saw a pebble, rolling on the floor. Oh no, I was set up. Before Liu could turn around to confront his assailant, the zombie with a twisted face grasped his collar and started to drag him out of the building. If you don't want to come find me, then I will find you. Within the internet cafe, Ling Mo's eyes flashed a bit of malice. At the same time, that zombie who towed away Liu immediately brought him into a musty room, filled with rotten air, and threw him on the floor. Under Ling Mo's manipulation, this zombie quickly shut and barred the door and came back into the street, and then got into the building where Wang Rin went in. When Ling Mo got rid of Liu, another zombie puppet also dragged a person behind him. With a bang, muffled sound, that zombie then hurled Wang Cheng from onto the ground. But Wang Cheng, whose eyes are closed, tightly lying at the foot of a zombie, but he did not respond at all, apparently fainted. Even in a coma, his body also shivered involuntarily. But zombie did not cause his coma. This zombie did not have the time to put his hands on him. Wang Cheng has already fainted from fear. But Ling Mo did not just find a place to leave him, but let his zombie puppet brought him here. But now is not the time to deal with Wang Cheng. Ling Mo still have to manipulate those two zombies and manufacture a surprise for Wang Rin, who's now all alone. Ling Mo was too excited over the prospect of toying with these intruders to feel the mental burden of controlling so many zombies at the same time, not noticing the beads of sweat rolling down his face. Two zombie puppets skulked into the building one after another, silently surrounded Wang Rin in the middle. But Wang Rin did not know her escape route has been cut off. She was holding the machete, warily walking on the corridor of the third floor. This was originally a small hotel room. All rooms on both sides of the corridor. Some rooms are tightly closed, but some fully. Even if walked close to the door, it's not possible to see inside the room clearly. She has carefully gone through the second floor, but found nothing. But her mind is clear. This building only have 3 floors. That zombie, that sneak attacker, must be waiting in here. To search for that zombie under this environment, Wang Rin's mental pressure is still very large, but the machete in her hands made her feel much more at ease. That Ling Mo, mostly hiding around here when I get rid of this zombie hump. Wang Rin, somewhat depressed, frowned her eyebrow, then stalked towards one of the closest door, gently pushed it open with the machete. No one home, but the tightly closed bathroom door made Wang Rin weary. This kind of zombie know how to sneak attack, escape. Maybe it also know how to close door? Wang Rin began to laugh at how absurd this situation is. We're zombies. Monsters without any IQ. Even though today's zombie's performance extremely surprised her and made her very concerned, but she also did not think that this zombie would shut himself in the bathroom, quietly hiding. Just as when Wang Rin is ready to go to the next room, she picked up a very light, but clearly audible sound from the bathroom. She was surprised for a moment. Then her mouth revealed a hint of sneer. Play with me. Clenching tightly the machete in hand, Wang Rin slowly walked close to that tightly shut bathroom, then held out her left hand, grasping the door handle. As she slowly twisted the door handle, at the same time, behind her suddenly came a muffled slam. Bang! Wang Rin subconsciously snapped her head back, but found with dismay that the door was shut. She found herself to be shut in a room with a zombie, which immediately started to rush towards her. At the same time, the bathroom door in front of her also suddenly exploded open. A pitch-black figure suddenly rushed from the inside out. Even though Wang Rin has good knife skills, but this strange situation has totally confused her. She could not even react and was directly pressed on the ground by this figure. But Wang Rin, who was thrown onto the ground, has a fierce reaction time. Through her panic, she twirled up her knee at the zombie and reached for her blade, ready to strike. But the zombie that threw her down immediately skipped to the side, making her completely miss her attack. Not to wait for her to get up, the zombie from the hall rushed over and grabbed the wrist that is holding the knife. Wang Rin's face suddenly became pale as she tried to use her knee to kick the zombie away. The other one crawled over and pinned her to the ground, its rotten face approaching hers. Faced with 2 coordinated zombies, Wang Rin has completely lost the ability to think. She now only have one thought in mind. I'm going to die. I'm going to be eaten by them. Seeing this zombie's mouth getting closer, faster, that pair of blood-red eyes firmly fixed on her. But no matter how desperately she wriggled, she could not free herself. Wang Rin's heart for the first time emerged extreme fear. Even when the end of the world just broke out. Although she was frightened, but not like this fear. This zombie is approaching her very slowly. While normal zombies would have went for the throat and started to go to town, this one is seemingly enjoying its kill. Her mind went blank. Even the struggling body also froze. Whole body seemed to have lost strength. Inside Internet Cafe, Ling Mo's eyes appear to be quite satisfied. And under his control, this zombie did not open his mouth to bite Wang Rin, but instead hoisted her by her arm, kicking her machete to the ground. Seeing Wang Rin's eyes lax, apparently lost the will to fight, Ling Mo immediately controlled zombie puppets grab her other hand, and 2 zombie puppets used strength together and pulled her up from the ground. This sudden turn of events made Wang Rin's eyes suddenly appear a glimmer of concern. What is happening? Do they not want to eat? Zombies in her heart are no more than human-eating machines. But these two zombies are obviously exceptions, because after they pulled her up, they didn't try to dismember her, but did something extremely lewd. That zombie with 2 full hands, after freeing her of her machete, actually freed a hand in her very rounded buttocks, forced a slap. Bah! The pain conveyed from the butt, and this crispy slapping sound completely let Wang Rin collapse. Spanking. She was spanked by a zombie. Wang Rin never dreamed that one day she would be spanked, and it was actually a zombie that did it. Ling Mo is very satisfied in his heart after seeing Wang Rin's mortified reaction. The spanking thing is just the beginning of her education. In fact, if it wasn't for Wang Rin's stubbornness at trying to get the knife back, Ling Mo would have never bothered to toy with her that much. In fact, Ling Mo have to admit, Wang Rin is very strong indeed. Her skills with a knife is on par with Shana. Unfortunately, she is after all just a girl. Encountering this kind of zombie that defied normal behavior, she obviously didn't stand chance. Ba-ba-ba. 3 consecutive spanks, all accurately shot on Wang Rin's butt. And then she finally reacted, but when she just uttered a shameful scream, then felt her arms been gripped by pincers. With the power of zombies, to tie the hands of a little weak girl like Wang Rin, it can be described as extremely easy. Filled with anger and shock. But without the machete, she's like a sick cat that lost its paw. Even if she constantly pedaling the legs, but did not have any impact on zombies who is immune to pain. Therefore, when that zombie in the back tied behind her hands and forced her to straighten the body, Wang Rin only knew, what kind of nightmare is she going to face? For all normal girls, I'm afraid they could not accept a distorted face, exuding strong blood stench zombie, slowly leaned over toward, and the purpose is kiss. Under Ling Mo's manipulation, the other zombie cupped Wang Rin's face, pursed that foul mouth, wide open blood-red eyes, and leaned toward Wang Rin. Such obvious move. How could Wang Rin not guess this zombie's intent? Her mind, almost the first time, shout out an idea. Zombie is about to awakens me. Under the situation where she could not resist, the terrified Wang Rin could not withstand this tremendous mental stress, screamed shrilly, and fainted. And the zombie manipulated by Ling Mo stopped at about 10 centimeters distance before Wang Rin. As manipulators, Ling Mo can completely receive zombies' perspective. So from his point of view, it felt like he was the one who was going to kiss Wang Rin. Should he really kiss? Well, the one who get the benefit is not him. Seeing Wang Rin fainted so quickly, Ling Mo could not help but to feel somewhat bored, but also feel a little funny. A girl so arrogant could not even stand up to be scared. Hey, wake up. Ling Mo extended his hand and pinched Wang Rin's cheek, bringing her face in front of him. After hearing the cry, Wang Rin slowly opened her eyes, awakening from her slumber, then suddenly struggled up, mouth in horror shouting, "Do not touch me. Do not touch me. Calm down." Ling Mo quickly caught Wang Rin, said in a low voice, and held her tightly as she calmed down. Wang Rin became fully awake and asked, "Why are you here?" Zombie, where are those 2 zombies?" Just as she said, she immediately nervously looks down at her clothes. Seeing her like this, where could you even see the shadow of prior arrogance? Ling Mo suddenly cold sneered. After scared Wang Rin to faint, he brought Shana and Ye Lian over, as well as Wang Cheng. After all, his intention is not to simply teach Wang Rin a lesson, but to figure out how did she find him. Seeing Wang Rin is still having some aftershock, Ling Mo quietly raised his brow, pointed to the door, "Over there." Wang Rin looked towards the direction of Ling Mo's finger, suddenly sighed in relief. Those 2 zombies' corpses were laid across the door, beside Shana and Ye Lian outside the door. Wang Rin turned to look at Ling Mo, somewhat surprised, and asked, "Did you actually save me? This is the effect I want." She would have never guessed that I was directing the zombies to do my bidding, and Wang Rin for sure did not thought of it. In fact, until now she thought, that is a new type, zombie, and is the pervert among zombies. Ling Mo laughed loudly. "Your screams are too loud." Wang Rin was surprised for a moment, then face suddenly reddened. She opened her mouth, wanted to protest, but the thought of that he just saved her had to shut her mouth depressingly, uttered a muffled hump from her nose. "What? I saved you. You did not even thank me." Ling Mo rolled his eyes. This chick is really not likable. Wang Rin's face suddenly became a little embarrassed, but just came into contact with Ling Mo's playful eyes. She opened her mouth and spoke with indifference. "No big deal. That knife is a gift for you." After this outburst, Ling Mo is suddenly a bit annoyed. "So your life only worth a knife, eh?" Ling Mo gave a cold sneer, just stood up. "Just to make it clear, this knife is already mine. You do not need to give it to me." "You." Wang Rin is somewhat angry, but seeing Ling Mo's disdained expression, she could not help but feel somewhat guilty. Seeing Ling Mo is not intending to pull her up, Wang Rin clenched her teeth and slowly got up, leaning from the wall. "Then what do you want?" "I have nothing else to give to you." "All right, my machete." She circled on the ground to find it, but did not find anything. Suddenly, heart surprised, turned to look at Ling Mo. Sure enough, Ling Mo took that machete from back of his waist pocket, playing with it in his hand. Seeing Wang Rin want to grab it, he not only did not intend to give it back to her, but showed a hint of sneer. "Don't go too far. I already gave you the knife. You still want to take this one from me?" Though Wang Rin is still somewhat weak in hands and feet, but she still rushed over with tons of fury. But Ling Mo's skill is not worse than her, just twisted the body to the side and let her rush aside. Wang Rin suddenly became frantic. She sees that she could not rob it from Ling Mo, actually turned to shout to Shana. Shana, anyhow, I am your cousin. How can you help outsiders to bully me? Hearing her roar, Shana actually looked at her and then turned around emotionlessly. This action completely angered Wang Rin, but when she just stepped out, Ling Mo raised his hands and stopped her. Stop. His eyes suddenly become somewhat sharp. Who are you calling an outsider? I'm talking to Shana, don't interrupt. With your attitude to Shana, what right do you have to complain about her? Let me tell you, when you relied on Song Tian settlement, Shana on her own fed dozens of people. Do you have this credential? No matter from which side, she can burst you in 8th Street. Indicating she is far more skillful than her. Wang Rin froze for a moment. Then her face suddenly sank down, pulling a little pout. Do not think that you saved me. So you can? Bah. One crispy sound. Let Wang Rin suddenly stared. Whole body is stunned. She holds her side cheek, looked at Ling Mo as if she was a deer caught in headlights. You actually dared to slap me, but not finished. The chill suddenly jumped up from her feet. Ling Mo looked at her with extremely chill eyes. No one has ever stared at her like that. Hit you? Hit you is light. If you weren't Shana's cousin, on account as my half-sister-in-law, you would have already been torn apart by zombies. How dare you hit me? Just as Wang Rin rushed forward a step, another slap mercilessly struck her in the face, sending her back down to the ground. For I am better than you. This slap made Wang Rin's face pale, and Ling Mo stepped closer with a cold face. And right now the world talks in strength. Ew. Under Ling Mo's contempt, Wang Rin, whose both cheeks are burning hot with pain, finally felt a trace of fear. She could not help but to step back 2 steps, somewhat frantically said, Didn't you say I'm your sister-in-law? That depends if I was willing to help you. Didn't you just said that I am an outsider? I will give you one chance to take your words back. Ling Mo raised his hand. This action frightened Wang Rin in a cold shiver. Even her eyes could not help but cringe a little, but Ling Mo just patted her face with cold smile. Listen, I am not a heinous person, but when someone put their lives on the line to give me trouble, I will not be able to guarantee if they get to keep their lives afterwards. What are you trying to do? Shana will not let you mess. Wang Rin's face suddenly became very pale. Ling Mo's look could not help her to think of that zombie's movement. Is Ling Mo going to OXX her? Thought of this. Her mood suddenly went out of control. No, don't rape me. I am Shana's cousin. You can't do this to me. Ling Mo stiffened for a moment, then with a teasing smile. Rape? You think too highly about yourself. Girls like you do not excite me at all. Besides, you are wrong about one thing. Shana is mine, whether or not you count as her cousin. I have the final say, understand? Not interested. Nice try. A strong sense of humiliation made Wang Rin whole body trembling slightly. But Ling Mo's cold and chill eyes a moment ago, and that 2 merciless slaps completely destroyed Wang Rin's courage. I have a question. You better answer it honestly, or else I will leave you here to fend for yourself. Seeing Wang Rin nodded in terror, Ling Mo's tone suddenly became severe. Right hand at the same time grabbed Wang Rin's chin, mouth almost posted on her lips. Tell me, how did you get here? You are hurting me. Do not tell me about special scientific and technological gadgets. I checked on my body. There are nothing. Ling Mo's face revealed a faint hint of impatience look. I cannot say. Ling Mo's face suddenly became somewhat strange. He suddenly leaned down beside her ears and said, Do you know what I saw when I came in? That kind of taste. Do you still want to try again? Wang Rin's face suddenly became very pale, her eyes flashing at Ling Mo, suddenly said with strangely, You won't believe me even if I said it. To believe it or not is my problem. You say it first. What if I tell you that I have supernatural power? Wang Rin gritted her teeth and said, After much talking, she then stared hard at Ling Mo, want to see something from his face. Seeing Ling Mo not speaking, she suddenly tensed up. I knew it that you won't believe me, but what I say is true. In fact, Ling Mo's mind is indeed very shocked. On the other hand, he has to believe this statement, because he has special abilities too. So it seems that he really is not the only one with superpowers in this world. He firmly fixed his eyes on Wang Rin for a while, until her scalp is tingling, and eyes started to dodge. Ling Mo then opened and asked, What is your ability? Does it relate to tracking me? You believe me? Ling Mo's reaction is far beyond expectations, but under Ling Mo's firm look, she had to speak. Induction ability. Sure enough, is totally unrelated to his zombie puppet ability. Under careful inquiry, Ling Mo grasped a more comprehensive understanding of Wang Rin's induction ability. Her ability is like his zombie puppet ability, all rely on spiritual power to cast. But unlike Ling Mo, her power does not help her in battle one bit. The so-called induction sounds like turning herself into a radar receiver, but before she can start tracking, she must have physical contact with the target. As Wang Rin continued to describe her power's limitations, Ling Mo immediately thought of the punch she gave him when they were parting. With physical contact, she is equivalent in installing an invisible tracking device, and then through telepathy, she could probably be aware of the approximate location of Ling Mo. In fact, after when Ling Mo left camp, she had been sensing his orientation. Originally, she worried that Ling Mo would be going far away, then the spiritual connection between her and the tracker will automatically disconnect. Fortunately, Ling Mo is seemingly aimlessly going in circles around the camp, meaning they were never too far at all. Aware that Ling Mo stopped moving, at the crack of dawn, she immediately took Li Yu and Wang Cheng towards his direction. Moreover, this kind of tracking time can only last 12 hours. After time passed, it will also fail. But she never expected she would encounter the kind of strange zombies here, and was nearly raped. From Wang Rin's eyes, Ling Mo is sure that what she said is true. She has been completely scared to death. Talking about supernatural ability, how could the effect be this useless? Ling Mo still felt somewhat unbelievable. The zombie puppet ability, he has been going through continuous upgrade. How come Wang Rin's ability is not much use? Wang Rin shook her head. I don't know either. No matter how much I used it, there is no upgrade. I've said everything. Let me go. Wang Rin looked up at Ling Mo, carefully asked. After she asked, she then nervously and immediately added, I will never come to find you trouble again. Really? I guess you would never do it again. Such a thought. Ling Mo showed a hint of joking smile. You could try to beg me. Beg. Wang Rin's eyes once again widened. In her life, she ever begged people. Right now, she has to beg for mercy. But looking at Ling Mo's smile, Wang Rin's heart is extremely terrified. She did not doubt Ling Mo. If she doesn't listen to him, he will for sure turn those threats into reality. Wang Rin bites her lips, want to cry but scared to do it. Besides Ling Mo, she was never hit by people before, and of course was never threatened. She's really scared. When Ling Mo looks at her with those eyes, as if looking at a dead person, Wang Rin viscerally felt a chill. Brother-in-law, I was wrong. These few words were almost burst out from between her teeth. When she finished, suddenly feel her body is about to collapse. Seems the whole body strength to be pumped out of her. You just need someone to teach you a lesson. Ling Mo smiled and patted Wang Rin's cheeks. Seeing her eyes emerges out of a layer of water vapor, suddenly felt a wave of pleasure. Considering that you were somewhat stupid, Ling Mo very seriously come up with an adjective. So, I'm going to warn you again, sister-in-law, never do stupid thing like this again. Wang Rin bit her teeth, slowly lowered her head. I know. Louder, I cannot hear. Got it. Wang Rin was actually a biotic. This news somewhat surprised Ling Mo. In fact, when he discovered that he had the zombie puppet ability, he had this speculation. During the end of the world, there should be more than one biotic, right? Even Ling Mo could not tell how this ability appeared in his body. When he first started to run for his life, everything was too chaotic. Thinking back then, besides being scared each day, he couldn't even get a whole night's sleep. This ability appeared suddenly. It was more like a kind of instinct that had just awakened at the right time. But what Ling Mo cared more about was how he could use this special ability to increase his odds of survival. But compared to the zombie puppet control ability, Wang Rin's ability was totally useless. There was no use, therefore what she relied on was her own knife skills. It would appear that the supernatural ability also had different degrees of strength. Each person's ability to grasp their skills should also be completely different. However, he didn't know how many Protoss there were, like himself. For some reason, Ling Mo had this vivid feeling that there seemed to be some similarities between people who had supernatural abilities and mutated zombies. If one treated supernatural abilities as a type of evolution, then the human Protoss were equivalent to the mutated zombies among zombies. Mutated zombies might continue to evolve. So would Protoss also continuously evolve? He could only experience it himself to find the answer. When the Ling Mo trio left, Wang Rin suddenly gasped. After waking up from that fear feeling of humiliation, her eyes suddenly became red. At the same time, her knees went soft, and she kneeled on the ground. The sentence said by Ling Mo when he left had echoed in her mind. Remember, do not do anything that will make me unhappy. There is no next time. When he said this sentence, Ling Mo's pair of icy eyes caused Wang Rin to feel coldness in her heart. After going downstairs, Shana, who was following tightly after Ling Mo, suddenly asked with a quiet whisper, You didn't kill her. Shana then said, I could feel that. You wanted to kill? Ling Mo's face suddenly changed. He did have the thought of killing Wang Rin, but considering that she was after all Shana's cousin, as well as most likely being Shana's only relative in this world, he dispelled that idea right away. She not only brought people to find trouble for him, but from the outcome of it, she not only did not bring him any losses, but learned a harsh lesson and took the last weapon away. But to Ling Mo's surprise, Shana, who seemingly stumbled, was actually secretly observing carefully and also seriously thinking. She is your cousin, with your blood. I won't kill her. Ling Mo smiled and said, I don't quite understand. Shana nodded her head, but if you killed her for some reason, maybe I would feel uncomfortable. Yes, after all, you're related by blood. Just as when Ling Mo was about to bring her and leave when he suddenly noticed that Shana's neck had something on it. He pulled her curiously and opened his hand to move the scattered hair on her chest. Shana's eyes flashed with a hint of a struggle. Don't squeeze. I do not want to squeeze your chest. Am I that kind of person? Ling Mo stared at Shana with righteousness, and then dug out the object on Shana's neck. It was a miniature jade knife that was incredibly sharp. Although Ling Mo did not know much about jade, he could feel this piece of jade was extremely valuable. It was finely carved, cold, and smooth. On the handle was also engraved a seal, Wang. Before, when Ling Mo helped Shana with the sponge bath, he had not seen this piece of jade. When did this? Right when they left, Shana walked behind him. Obviously, Wang Rin seized this opportunity and gave the jade to Shana. This caused Ling Mo to suddenly freeze for a moment. He involuntarily looked back behind at the hotel. Wang Rin's attitude to Shana was indeed very different than in her heart. It means that she acts differently than what she thinks. Did she especially come to not only get back her knife, but also to send this thing to Shana? Leaving aside her purpose, her movements and intentions were a bit too clumsy and offensive. After this time, she should have been taught a lesson. This counts as a Wang family heirloom, right? Ling Mo sighed, then put the jade back inside Shana's neckline. At this moment, he suddenly came to a realization. His face contorted into a bizarre look. Shana, you should have recognized Wang Rin, right? Or else you would not have allowed her to approach you. Not to mention allowing her to put this piece of jade onto your neck. Shana was silent for a while, seeming like she was organizing her words. Ling Mo was eagerly looking at her. I know her. She is my sister. Shana finally nodded affirmatively, then pointed her head. I thought a lot. Very messy. It's okay. No hurry. Think slowly. For sure you will remember everything. By that time, you will return to the Shana from before. Ling Mo revealed a satisfied smile and pinched Shana's cheek. However, Shana's next words allowed Ling Mo to be suddenly stunned. I don't want to return to the old Shana. I am the same as Ye Lian. So, I don't want to remember. To be able to think up to this level, Shana's reasoning had indeed recovered a lot. Ling Mo stared at Shana, his heart becoming bitter. That's right. Whether or not Shana would restore her reason completely, her zombie identity would never change. Even with the constant evolution, either Shana or Ye Lian, they would be far away from ordinary people. Even if they eventually restored their sanity, no one would treat them as human beings. And their relation with other humans would be like wolves with sheep. Ling Mo suddenly felt that he should have realized this point much sooner. Although Shana restored some consciousness, when she was facing strangers, she still was hostile. Even if she recognized Wang Rin, her attitude towards her was also very cold. Most likely because the memory section regarding her family had awakened, therefore she blurted out those words a moment ago. But this feeling was the memory, but not the feelings belonging to the current Shana. These were her instincts as a zombie. Although their diet had turned into viral gels and was no longer as vigorous as cannibalism, as zombies, they would still not act friendly towards living beings. Shana still had the appearance of old Shana, but inside, she had completely changed. And Ye Lian should also be the same. Seeing Ling Mo silent, Shana seemed to detect the conflict in Ling Mo's mind through a spiritual connection. She suddenly extended her hand, gently pinched Ling Mo's cheek. You are not the same as me, but, compared to others, you are also not the same. Ling Mo's felt a wave of warmth in her heart. With the spiritual connection deepening, she could feel that within the consciousness of Shana and Ye Lian, they were becoming closer and closer to him. Indeed, as long as they treated him differently than others, wouldn't that be enough already? Ling Mo made a self-depreciating smile. Remember, only I can pinch your cheek, but you cannot pinch me. In the future, if you want to express your friendship, use a kiss. Shana just had a confused look. Her mouth was gently pecked by Ling Mo. Remember? And do it once for me. I'm here to help you, you know. And okay again, this time deeper, tongue out. In order to not show favoritism, after a fierce kissing with Shana, Ling Mo also fiercely kissed Ye Lian. He did not expect that after he released Ye Lian, he suddenly felt as if his blood was boiling up, his heartbeat suddenly being amplified. Bang, bang, bang. His heartbeat sounded like drums in his ears, his body's blood flow quickly accelerated, and a wave of hot air jumped through the abdomen, instantly flow through the whole body. Ling Mo's look suddenly changed drastically. This feeling had appeared when he first kissed Ye Lian, but just after he did not experience a mutation. Ling Mo classified this feeling as a psychological effect, but appearing once again could completely prove that either before or now, this feeling was real. Obviously, this feeling was not a prelude to mutation. But why would such a response occur after taking their saliva? Could it be that apart from blood, the other fluids in their bodies also contain viruses? But if it was a virus, how come it did not mutate? Too bad these guesses could not be verified. Last time, this abnormal sensation lasted for more than 20 minutes. This time the duration was much shorter. After about 2 or 3 minutes, Ling Mo had returned to normal. Ling Mo suddenly found something very shocking. After that drunk-like feeling receded, his mind was actually unprecedentedly clear and bright. Even all the physical consumption seemed to have come back to him. The saliva produced by the zombie sisters seemed to not only be poisonous, but have many magical effects. Looking at the effect, it seemed somewhat similar to stimulants. Probably something like bee and snake venom, depending on method and concentration, could not only be harmless to human bodies, but also beneficial. The originally terrible zombie virus, after the zombies' purification, mixed into their saliva or juice, had turned into an edible stimulant. Ling Mo's eyes suddenly lit up. You are my zombie sisters. Your whole bodies are full of treasures. This sister saliva is a treasure, but I did not know that the other sister saliva would also be something good. Wang Rin was thrown back into the hotel. Presumably when she regained her conscience, she will naturally leave. As for whether or not she could find the Yu, it depends on their luck. As for Wang Cheng's treatment, Ling Mo was a little hesitant. For Wang Cheng, who had some heart, Xinji, and a vicious character, Ling Mo did not have any friendly intentions towards. Originally, Ling Mo thought that when he arrived at the survivors' camp, he will settle down and did not expect him to suck up to Wang Rin. With him at the camp, most likely Liu Yu did not have much chance of showing his ability because the two of them were classmates. And he knew way too much about Ling Mo. Though you could tell from Wang Rin's actions that Wang Cheng did not speak out about Shana being a zombie, there is still no guarantee that he would not bring any more trouble in the future. This counts as doing a good deed. Ling Mo thought in his heart, eyes slightly closed. When he opened eyes again, the spiritual connection between him and that zombie puppet has been completely disconnected. A zombie out of control, a live human being that had not yet awakened. What was going to happen next? There's no need to think about it. Probably affected by that violent atmosphere. Ling Mo did not feel alarmed when he killed for the first time. But this did not mean that he would become a killer. Therefore, when he disconnected the connection, Ling Mo still slightly hesitated a little. But this slight hint of hesitation was forcibly thrown to the back of his head the instant he closed his eyes. During the end of the world, if you are not cold-hearted, you will be treated as a soft persimmon, easy to bully. Ling Mo's group carefully walked for half a day, killed a lot of zombies along the way, and finally found a residential building. Ling Mo decided to settle down there tonight. His destination was originally X City University, but was delayed by Wang Rin. It would be impossible to reach X City University today. Fortunately, the current location was not too far away from X City University. There was a waste site near the residential building. The yard became a parking lot, and the surrounding environment looked very gloomy. Fortunately, there were not many zombies around, so Ling Mo's group used the advantage of the cars to cover their whereabouts and carefully crept inside the residential building. There weren't many zombies inside the building, and most of the doors were wide open. Besides some broken furniture inside, the rooms were mostly empty. It seemed like during construction, it was treated as a dormitory for the workers. As for the original residents, they most likely already relocated. With Ye Lian and Shana's sharp sense towards zombies and their lethality, the building was soon clean of zombies. They collected all of the bodies inside one room, and then closed tightly windows and doors. This way, the smell of blood would not easily attract zombies. Ling Mo even wanted to find some lime to completely seal the doors. Ling Mo judged this area to be very suitable for hiding. Outside, 100 meters away was a street. The surrounding area was all densely populated by zombies. It just happened that this place was under construction, so there were less zombies around. When Ye Lian and Shana were cleaning zombies, Ling Mo was seriously looking for a suitable room to settle for 3 people. Fortunately, one of the residential rooms among the 3rd floor of this residential building had some buckets of pure water, some gas tank and pans. It was rare that these were not splashed with blood, just some dust. Not only that, he even found half a box of instant noodles and some instant bubble tea. The construction site really had some good stuff. Ling Mo excitingly cleaned a few spring beds, then started to prepare a pot of instant noodles. This place was very remote, so it was harder to attract zombies' attention than densely populated areas. As long as you were careful, there would be no problem. And right now, it was still early, fire would not attract zombies. After eating dry food for a long time, Ling Mo was really tired of it. It was rare to eat a hot meal. He was indeed happy from the bottom of his heart. Too bad, Ye Lian and Shana were zombies. They were not interested in normal food, or else he would love for them to try some. Smells so good. Before and after the end of the world, Ling Mo always had instant noodles, but after the end of the world, he almost always ate them dry. Such food with a strong fragrance, he had not smelled it for a long time. The most common and cheap food before the end of the world now made Ling Mo really hungry, with his mouth watering. Even Shana and Ye Lian were attracted by this smell of food and looked at it a few times. As soon as the noodles loosened, Ling Mo could not wait and used the chopsticks to stir up the inside the pot and blew out a breath in joy. He slurped the noodles inside his mouth instantly. Ah, cool. To be able to eat a bowl of hot noodles during the end of the world, this was a very luxurious thing for all survivors. This was really ironic when thought about. The things needed to be considered before the end of the world when eating instant noodles, like nutrition and taste, took away from the enjoyment of eating these instant noodles. On the contrary, in a place like the end of the world, where dangers were everywhere, you could become excited with only a bowl of instant noodles. Survival is the only thing all survivors were considering. To Ling Mo, another matter that was more important than living was to help Ye Lian regain her sanity, and let Shana slowly recover and become normal. After finished the noodles, he simply cleaned up the pots and pans. Ling Mo then sat down next to Ye Lian. Though they went out and rushed around all day, no matter if it was Ye Lian or Shana, they did not show any fatigue. This was not hard to understand. When zombies are not fighting, their physical exertion was very small, and though Ye Lian and Shana fought a lot along the way, most of the times it was Ling Mo who controlled the others using his zombie puppet ability. This eased the exertion on the 2 girls as they killed the defenseless zombies. This day, Shana's performance particularly surprised Ling Mo. Before, he could only maintain the spiritual connection between him and Shana, and could not manipulate her movements. This had troubled Ling Mo a lot. But to his surprise, Shana might have restored part of her sanity, and therefore could actually understand to collaborate during battles. Plus, she had very good knife skills, as if it was instinctively part of her body. After regaining part of her sanity, her combat ability immediately improved, and her knife advantage also gradually revealed itself. There existed a spiritual connection between the two, therefore they coordinated very well. It was not much less than the coordination between him and Ye Lian. This was a pleasant surprise. But seeing the look of how Shana used her long knife, Ling Mo no longer wanted Ye Lian to continue to use her hands. Though her attack speed was very fast, and her 10 fingers were also very strong, among Ling Mo's heart, he always felt that pair of seemingly slender and soft hands were not to use for doing something bloody and violent. Originally, he wanted to give Ye Lian his own dagger, but this dagger was indeed somewhat short, with limited lethality. It would only work during normal days, but would appear useless during combat. Normal weapons would not suit Ye Lian. Not only would they not help her, but would lower her combat ability. And Wang Rin's appearance actually solved this problem very well. This chick was really delivering gifts during a crisis. Thinking about this, Ling Mo could not help but laugh a little. He took out the machete from the back of his waist. This machete, from the first look, appeared to be well suited for females. The handle was not too long and somewhat small. It had a crescent-shaped blade and was very light. Just looking with your naked eyes, you could see the sharpness. Although it was still a whole other level below his own short knife, it was enough to kill zombies. Although this Wang Rin was arrogant, but from the knife she made, she did have the skill to be proud. Mastering knife crafting at such a young age, she would most likely have been favored the family. Plus, she also had good knife skills in combat. How could she have put Ling Mo in her eye? But after this lesson, surely she would of course be wary of Ling Mo and will remember him firmly in mind. Handing the machete to Ye Lian's, and then manipulating her to swing it a few times, he felt it was very smooth. This time, finally, Ye Lian did not have to use her hands, because no matter how strong the fingers were, it would be incomparable to knife tools. Before the sky went dark, Ling Mo did not waste his time. He carefully went to the construction site and did some searching around, found some lime, and spread it outside the room where all the zombie bodies were. Not only this, he went and found a steel pipe and barred the residential gate. This was much useful than putting a lock. After taking care of these businesses, the sky had already went dark. The city again had become the world of zombies. Most likely, all the survivors have returned to their hiding place. Within the room, Ye Lian had already put together 2 fairly complete spring beds under Ling Mo's manipulation, then turned all the batting surface to the other side and laid it over the top. Tonight, we can finally sleep in peace. Just when the first light appeared over the horizon, Ling Mo was already awake. He had too many things that needed to be done today. Hunting mutated zombies, refilling the viral gels that were running out, and stocking up on food. The food he collected before was running out, but he had found half a box of instant noodles the night before. However, in the long run, it was far from enough. Spending most of his time fighting and walking, and using his spiritual energy had made Ling Mo's appetite even more scary. Of course, the majority of this hunger was because the food he collected were mostly not nutritious. It would not have refilled his energy no matter how much he ate. To just fill the stomach was far from enough. Before going out, Ling Mo would always be well prepared. When he got up from bed, he immediately started to pack his backpack. His destination was X City University. This place right now was already close. While on the way here, Ling Mo already discovered that to move through the downtown area was very difficult. With a complicated terrain, numerous buildings, an amazing number of zombies, all these factors mixed together had resulted in this area becoming extremely dangerous. Compared to head diving into X University with unknown situations, Ling Mo was much more willingly to use this building as his base while getting to know the surrounding area than planning again. Of course, during the process of searching areas, you could also collect materials. If you're lucky, most likely you could find some places with possible mutated zombies. Considering the fact that the number of zombies in this area was double the number near the 3rd high school, Ling Mo decided to leave behind some things he would need to use to reduce his weight. The on-site parking lot and construction site all had zombies wandering around. Even if there were survivors coming through, they would most likely not have thought that the residential building was occupied. Thus, there was no chance of theft. A knife and a dagger were tied to the waist, and the last few chocolate bars were also stuffed into his shirt pocket. Lastly, he also dug out a military canteen and filled the pot with mineral water. The rest of the stuff was poured out from the backpack and piled together with the instant noodles. For a long time, he had not carried an empty backpack. Although assignments were arduous, Ling Mo still could not help but feel much more lightweighted. To be precautious before taking Shana and Ye Lian out, Ling Mo had specially hidden all the things in a room under the bed, then messed up the bed, disguised it as if it was uninhabited. He then opened the door widely, then reassured himself and gone out. As part of the downtown area, although this place was not part of the main streets, the number of zombies was already outrageous, and the extent of damage to surrounding shops had also increased significantly. Just the amount of abandoned cars and the residual trace of explosions already made people feel frightened, not to mention after the plasma coagulation that gave the floor a layer of red carpet. As soon as he walked onto the street, Ling Mo's expression had become serious. Although he had Ye Lian and Shana, These two mutated zombies here, to collect and hunt in such dangerous places, the pressure was still very huge. As long as they made the tiniest movement, they would most likely attract a large crowd of zombies. The method of using cell phone music to attract zombies would be impossible here. This place not only had no cover to protect them from attracting zombies, but also had very deadly terrain characteristics. There were accessible roads and surrounding alleys. As soon as the music started, surrounding zombies would flock over, even if he used the zombie puppet control ability to make sure not to drown among the zombie crowds. But he will be trapped for sure. This type of digging his own grave, Ling Mo would not do it. The safest and the simplest way was to kill a few zombies as far away as possible, so as to not attract the zombies' attention. Although these zombies still had their five senses, they also had their weakness. When they don't have any prey, they would only be swinging slowly around, moving within a small area. Therefore, although there were a lot of zombies on the road, they were not tightly squeezing together. As long as he used the space between them, he could do it. This kind of thing was hard to ordinary people, but Ling Mo had the ability of zombie puppet control, and it was not hard to implement it. At first, he quietly dug behind an abandoned vehicle under the cover of Shana, then manipulated Ye Lian and walked towards the closest zombie crowd. In order to avoid attracting distant zombies with blood, Ling Mo did not let Ye Lian use the machete, but used a more violent way, wringing their necks. With Ye Lian's power, there came the sound of ka-cha the instant she covered the other's head using both of her arms. Then he slowly put down that zombie body on the ground. But even such a light sound still immediately attracted the rest of the zombies. But normal zombies that were not berserk would not attack their kind. Therefore, they only turned their heads, but did not attack Ye Lian. At this time, Ling Mo stretched his neck out from behind a car. The instant when these zombies discovered him, he immediately used the zombie control ability. But Ling Mo also noticed at this time, after an upgrade, his zombie puppet control ability also seemed to have changed. Before, he could only control the zombies when he used both eyes to look at them, but when he was very focused, two of the zombies that slightly turned their heads slower and were not even looking at him also fell under his control. But now was not the time to think. With his zombie puppet control ability slowly being casted out, countless invisible threads immediately controlled these zombies tightly. After successfully controlling these zombies at the same time, Ling Mo's mouth also twitched with a hint of ugly grinning. After these zombie puppets fell under his control, they immediately started to kill each other, and under Ling Mo's deliberate control, they all died very cleanly. Thanks to this prudent method of combat, Ling Mo soon broke through to the door of a small supermarket. Although this supermarket was small-scaled, it also had a lot of remaining food. This was not very difficult to understand. After all, not all survivors had the opportunity to search for food in this place. After leaving Shana at the door to guard, Ling Mo and Ye Lian immediately started their search within the supermarket. With the backpacks soon crammed with a lot of food, Ling Mo's mood also lightened up a little. During the end of the world, it really was the bigger the risks you took, the bigger the harvest there was. Using this method, Ling Mo swept through 2 small supermarkets, collecting all the goods. In the process, he thoroughly tested his zombie puppet control ability and found that it had indeed improved. Before, when he could not see the invisible threads, he could only see the zombie puppet's spiritual ball when he made eye contact with them. But right now, the invisible threads were becoming more clear, so much so that the limit on his zombie puppet control ability was greatly reduced. To establish links between zombie puppets, he only needed to wrap that invisible thread around the zombie's empty spiritual ball. But to become able to manipulate them, he must bury the threads deep into the ball. For example, the connection between him and Shana were only kept of using the threads wrapping around the spiritual ball, but between him and Ye Lian, he had to completely integrate the threads with her spiritual ball, thus becoming able to naturally control her. And Ling Mo gave this kind of thread a very appropriate name: spiritual threads, and for short, tentacles. Seeing the countless threads spreading out from him and connecting Shana and Ye Lian tightly together with him, Ling Mo's mouth could not help but break out with a hint of an evil smile. If these tentacles could really turn into a tangible substance. Not to go any further, Ling Mo immediately gave a self-deprecating laugh. It's only a spiritual ability. Even if they could turn into a real substance, wouldn't I become a monster of tentacles? On the other hand, he also found out a very important thing while battling. Being zombie puppets, Ye Lian and Shana worked well in harmony and were not as aggressive as their own kind. But the two of them did not know how to work together, especially when Ling Mo reduced his control on Ye Lian and allowed her to fight based on her instincts. This disadvantage was particularly obvious. They fight by themselves, plus both of them were mutated zombies, only knowing how to attack. It was easy to attract a lot of trouble in this densely populated zombie area. But if Ling Mo was the core, and those 2 girls were the supporting force, this problem would be easily solved. No matter Ye Lian or Shana, they all cooperated with Ling Mo's movements, which made the fight suddenly become extremely efficient. It seems that without me, it would not do. These 2 mutated zombies only knew how to work with Ling Mo. This was also another big challenge for Ling Mo himself. Fortunately, after his body upgraded, although the power of the body did not improve, his speed was much faster. Not only could he follow up with Ye Lian's attacking speed, he could also guide Shana to attack quickly. This combination of 1 human and 2 zombies could be described as good teamwork, coupled with careful propulsion No one was injured on the way, and they were able to eliminate a lot of zombies. Feeling as if his stock of food has been sufficiently replenished after 2 to 3 hours, Ling Mo then turned his attention to hunting zombies, continuing to use the zombie puppet ability, but also maintaining spiritual connection between the two female zombies, no matter how strong Ling Mo's spiritual tentacles were. Right now, they had become softer. Instead of enhancing body strength, it should have been the tentacles. No, improving spiritual power was much more important. Viral gel was really urgently needed goods, and the greater the number the better. But ordinary zombies filled the streets. It was rather difficult to find mutated zombies. Therefore, in advancing through the streets, Ling Mo was also observing. New Times Square shopping mall. A far distance apart, Ling Mo saw a large mall. He recalled that the New Times shopping mall was the biggest mall around this area. The daily flow of people was amazing before the end of the world. In such a place, there must be mutated zombies. But after reaching the mall, Ling Mo did not enter in a hurry. He went to the corner to slow down a moment, along with observing the situations inside the mall. A shopping mall located downtown. The number of zombies inside was beyond imagination. Looking ahead, inside a huge shopping mall, almost everywhere was full of zombies. But compared to a huge number of zombies, the exit of this mall seemed way too narrow and too obscure. Originally, Ling Mo worried that there had been survivors appearing and attracted all the zombies out, but after getting closer, he found that he worried too much. Big shopping malls like this, survivors all seem to stay as far away as possible. The things they sold in here were all not related to food. Besides survivors like Ling Mo, who had a special purpose, why would other people approach here? But without survivors approaching, it did not mean there were no traces of killing. On the contrary, the gate near the shopping mall was almost completely covered in bloodstains. Layers of plasma and flesh coagulated together and seemed to have covered the ground with a layer of an extremely rancid bloody carpet. Tattered clothes everywhere, and scattered human bones. You can imagine, this place once had a disgusting feast of human flesh. And the inside of the shopping malls had no trace of clean space. Even Ling Mo could not help but frown at this strong odor, but Shana and Ye Lian, these two female zombies, were rather excited. Even Shana's eyes were becoming slightly red. In that regard, she was not as calm as Ye Lian. Therefore, Ling Mo vividly thought that though Shana gained her sanity much faster, in terms of the evolution of body and nature, Ye Lian still had a higher degree of improvement. In any case, the smell of blood was a very strong stimulant to zombies. But with this thick smell of blood, he did not have to worry about being discovered as a human being by the zombies through their noses. As long as he was careful with not making any sounds and hiding his whereabouts, this shopping mall that seems like a meat grinder could also be broken through. Ling Mo had gone to this shopping mall before. He knew that the higher you go, the higher end the shops were, with naturally less people. Besides, during the outbreak of the disaster, most likely all the people were rushing downwards. Therefore, although there were great numbers of zombies on the first and second floors, maybe the upstairs were empty. In the worst case, Ling Mo had enough confidence that he could get out safely using the few staircases inside the shopping mall. After making up his mind, Ling Mo then ramped his breath quietly along the periphery of the mall and walked through before finally going in through the side channel used by employees. As for Ye Lian and Shana, although these two could have completely free access to the zombie population, but looking at the large number of zombies wandering around the inside of the mall, Ling Mo was feeling that something was not normal. Therefore, he made these two mutated zombies follow him, and did not make them force their way through the main entrance. Going in through the employee road, it was a semi-enclosed space. He could see the inside of the shopping mall and was able to quietly creep up using the stairs to the half-open doors. Although he did not have direct contact with a large crowd of zombies inside the shopping mall, but to go so in-depth to the zombie crowd still made people feel very nervous. As soon as the three entered the door, they encountered two zombies, but the instant they rushed up, they were controlled by Ling Mo, Shana, and Ye Lian quickly wrung their necks and laid them on the ground. Sure enough, when these two female zombies collaborate with him, they could work very well as a team. As Ling Mo guessed, the first floor of the New Time shopping mall gathered a large number of zombies, but upstairs revealed to be a bit empty. Within 9-foot shopping malls, there should be a large amount of mutated zombies. Ling Mo could be considered to be very knowing about the habits of mutated zombies. After all, he had a real female, mutated zombie besides him, Ye Lian. Under the circumstances of being hungry, Ye Lian would attack ordinary zombies, but after she fulfilled her desire to attack ordinary zombies obviously declined. But there was one exception, and that was when there were mutated zombies nearby. Ye Lian would immediately break out with a strong desire. Between these mutated zombies, there seemed to exist a certain resonance. Most likely because they all had those condensed viral gels. Compared to ordinary zombies, mutated zombie bodies contain much purer viruses and would provoke Ye Lian's hostility. Other mutated zombies were also like this. For example, the few mutated zombies Ling Mo met before, their priority target were all their own kind, such as Ye Lian, and not Ling Mo. But to Ling Mo's curiosity, after Ye Lian and Shana entered here, they did not exhibit any response. And when no movements came from those zombies, the whole shopping mall seemingly appeared to be filled with zombies, but it seemed to be quiet and horrifying. This place could no longer be called a shopping mall, but more of a zombie concentration camp. This strange quietness made Ling Mo grip his knife even more tightly. There was such a large number of zombies gathered here. There must be births of mutated zombies. Would it be possible that those zombies all left? Or killed each other and died off? Different kinds of speculation and guesses flashed through his mind, but that faint sense of unease was growing strongly. It seems that I'm still not experienced enough to calm down. So what if there are more zombies? What am I scared of? Ling Mo secretly cursed himself. Nervousness in his heart slowly receded a little. Although he had the ability, his strength was too weak to face that group of terrifying zombies. Venturing deeper into the enemy's lair, even if there existed huge potential benefits before, it was also inevitable to feel nervous and scared. But on the other hand, it also brought a strange stimulus to Ling Mo. He even felt that his spirit was focused unlike before. Every nerve seemed to tense up. Sure enough, there will be power if there is pressure, and also more likely to invoke his potential. And the focus of the spiritual power brought Ling Mo great observant ability and stronger zombie puppet control. Although he had not yet attacked zombies, Ling Mo already discovered that the contact between himself and Shana seemed to have some breakthroughs because of this opportunity. Before, his tentacles seemed to just stay on the surface of Shana's spiritual ball, but now they seemed to have forcibly broken into it. As for the sense of obstruction that came deeply within Shana's spiritual power, it did not seem to be a great obstacle to Ling Mo like before. This was quite some unexpected fortune. Ling Mo was secretly delighted, although this level was not enough to control Shana. But when Ling Mo looked at Shana, he clearly saw that at first, Shana looked at him with a confused look, but then revealed a hint of a friendlier look. Sure enough, strengthening the links, he could make Shana become even closer to him like Ye Lian. Is this not favorability? Ling Mo's mind suddenly flashed with this kind of thought. When favorability reached a certain level, he could successfully conquer that charming body. There were much less zombies inside the safe passage than outside, but in order to not disturb those zombies at the hall, Ling Mo still spent a lot of time. The closer you were to the prosperous place, the harder it was to survive. Ling Mo experienced this firsthand. A big shopping mall like this could be said as being very crowded in the past, but right now, it had become an off-limit area. If it wasn't for employees' safe passage, even Ling Mo would not dare to come in. After all, adventure and death were two entirely different concepts. Right now, Ling Mo and his trio had entered the third floor. Obviously, the number of zombies were greatly reduced here. As a result, their movements became bolder. But to Ling Mo's annoyance, Shana and Ye Lian did not sense the existence of any mutated zombies. Yet, that feeling of uneasiness has been shrouding over Ling Mo's mind, and even made him feel a little irritated. Could it there really are no mutated zombies? Oh no, we might return empty-handed. The more they went up, the less the number of zombies. Ling Mo already had no hope. He did not think that while taking the risks of entering the shopping mall, he did not even touch a hair of mutated zombies. This was really bad luck. Would he just return like this? Ling Mo did not want to retreat. He thought a little more and decided to walk further inside. The third floor were mostly jewelry stores, and the other half of the store had been designed into a supermarket, but all were selling goods such as home appliances, not worth collecting. There were less zombies wandering here, and most of them were sandwiched in the middle. Plus, there were a lot of obstruction in between, therefore as long as you don't exhibit any sounds, it would not be easy to attract their attention. To avoid falling within the zombies' encirclement, Ling Mo deliberately walked slowly inside against the wall. His goal was the washroom ahead, and that was right at the middle of the third floor. He thought very clearly. If he walked there, and still Ye Lian and Shana exhibited no response, then he could only admit his own defeat and return. Fortunately, this was the downtown area. Even if there were no mutated zombies in the shopping mall, there were always other places to search for. But as they got closer to the washroom, Ling Mo was becoming more disappointed. It seemed like he really would return home empty-handed. But to Ling Mo's expectation, the moment when he stopped walking and the instant he was about to return, Shana suddenly stopped, spoke in a low voice. I feel bad. Just as she finished her sentence, a shadow suddenly jumped out from the bathroom, and right under Ling Mo's eyes, directly dragged Shana back into the washroom. FML. Ling Mo's heart suddenly stopped. That black shadow just passed with him. He did not even have the time to recognize the appearance. After an upgrade, Ling Mo thought that his speed was already very fast, but this shadow, of course, seemed to be even faster, and faster than Ye Lian. If his goal was not Shana, but him. But no matter what the identity of this black shadow, Ling Mo only knew that he was on fire, grabbing people right under his eye, and he didn't even have the chance of stopping him. At the same time, when Shana was dragged away, Ling Mo has already followed over, and Ye Lian, under his control, also followed him tightly like an agile cheetah. It was a blink of an eye from the moment when the shadow appeared to the moment when Shana was dragged away. But when Ling Mo and Ye Lian rushed in one after another, the black shadow had completely dragged Shana into the female washroom. The door of this female washroom had already been broken down. The original clean inside looked just like a ripped zombie belly. Walls, floors, and even the ceiling all were covered in dark brown blood. The dazzling sun shone through the open window, but did not bring the slightest warmth. Instead, it made it even more eerie. Right now, Shana was pressed to the floor by the shadow, but after being attacked, her zombie instinct has also completely activated. eyes becoming bloody red. That long knife has already been used to withstand the shadow. But looking at Shana's shaking arm, you knew that she could not compete with the shadow's strength. She simply could not take it for too long. Speed, extremely tyrannical power. Ling Mo quickly made a judgment on the black shadow when he saw the scene. No need for Ling Mo to manipulate Ye Lian. She had already rushed forward under her zombie instincts. Her eyes were also covered with a layer of bloody redness. The instant she approached the shadow, the scimitar in hand also raised high, slashing across. But to Ling Mo's surprise, Ye Lian's fierce attack actually came down to nothing. The black shadow had such a fast reaction speed, movements also hardly seen by the naked eye. When Ye Lian's scimitar was slashing down, this shadow actually immediately dodged, sliding to the corner. A zombie that knew how to dodge. Even mutated zombies would not know how to dodge any attack. That was zombie's nature. Could it be the shadow was not an ordinary mutated zombie? After being shocked, seeing Shana finally breaking free, Ling Mo immediately dragged her over, at the same time also manipulated Ye Lian to step backwards and put on a defensive posture. This was not a simple zombie. He could not let Ye Lian attack crazily, or else she will suffer greatly. Right now, Ling Mo finally understood why he had this uneasy feeling the moment he stepped into the shopping mall. The source was mostly like this zombie. His mental strength was much stronger than ordinary people. Senses have also become rather sharp, and that kind of uneasy feeling should be the instinctive intuition when he got close to a strong enemy. Connecting to the fact there were no other mutated zombies in this big shopping mall, Ling Mo had already faintly guessed this zombie's roots. A zombie that hunted down all mutated zombies in the shopping mall at last turned into this kind of terrible monster, much stronger than mutated zombies, with more intelligence, completely on another level, understand how to hide, sneak attack, and to dodge when attacked. This was an advanced zombie. This advanced zombie not only was much smarter than ordinary zombies, but had upgraded to the level of obtaining a reasonable amount of senses. The flashing bloody red eyes under that hair, from Ling Mo's perspective, was no longer showing off the thirst for blood. He vaguely saw a trace of viciousness. That's right, viciousness. This was the first time Ling Mo was seeing some other kind of emotional movements besides being violent and crazy. Under Ling Mo's gaze, this advanced zombie maintained a very strange posture. Body lowered down, knees slightly bent, just like a hungry wolf that could attack any time. After a few seconds of confrontation, the advanced zombie started to be restless. As this advanced zombie slowly stepped forward from the corner, Ling Mo finally got a clear look of her. A messy, big, wavy curls, traces of heavy makeup from the heavily blood-stained face, wearing a dress that had long been torn up, revealing naked buttocks and thighs. But what made Ling Mo's eyes jump was that there hung a pair of colorless underwear on the female zombie's left ankle. Seems that during the outbreak of the disaster, this female zombie did not have the chance to put on underwear, and mutated. Ling Mo glanced at the female zombie's black forest part, then revealed a sneer. Right now he felt a great deal of pressure from this naked female zombie, but he actually calmed down because of it, though she was strong, and had a trace of sanity, but after all, was not unbeatable, just much trickier than ordinary mutated zombies. If it wasn't for Ling Mo's unwillingness of letting Ye Lian and Shana get hurt, he could have let these two mutated zombies rush up. Within such small space, this zombie will die for sure. But this was a method of sacrifice. Ling Mo would never use it. But there were no other zombies to be used inside this bathroom, or else just by using the numbers of zombie puppets, Ling Mo could still kill her. Taking advantage of the fact that this zombie was still moving forward slowly, tentatively, Ling Mo's pupils suddenly shrink. Invisible tentacles formed by spiritual power immediately swept towards her. But just as the tentacles touched her spiritual bulb, a strong rebound came immediately. The tentacles were shocked away. Ling Mo instantly felt a throbbing pain from his head, and he could not help but change his expression. Sure enough, this mutated zombie regained much more sanity than Ye Lian. With his current level of zombie puppet control, it's impossible for him to control her. Ling Mo's action angered this female zombie, not wearing underwear. Her throat issued a low, hoarse giggle sound. Her feet slightly stepped back, then suddenly rushed forward, targeting Ling Mo. Shoot! Ling Mo only felt an impact, although he dodged to the side on time, and at the same controlled Ye Lian to block using her machete, and even Shana grabbed her knife slashed forward towards Ling Mo's direction. But this female zombie's reaction speed was significantly much faster than him. Both Ye Lian and Shana's movement were one step too slow, and just Ling Mo went sideways. He felt a strong force came. This female zombie actually opened her legs, hands pressed his shoulder, and pressed him down straight to the floor. Heavily landing, Ling Mo immediately felt a wave in his stomach. His inner organs seemed to be shattered. Plus, with his head hitting the hard ground, he could not help but to feel dizzy. Even his dagger fell through his hand to the floor. However, at the brink of life and death, Ling Mo suddenly unleashed a lot of willpower. He forced himself to restrain the urge to vomit, hand smacking the neck of this female zombie and defending himself from being bitten immediately. At the same time, when he forcefully blocked the female zombie, Ye Lian and Shana also rushed up, the two flashing coldness at the same time as they cut toward the female zombie. This female zombie had a sharp intuition towards danger. But how could Ling Mo let her dodge easily when she almost killed Ling Mo? Although both arms seemed to be broken, Ling Mo did not have the intention of letting her go. Not only that, Ling Mo also bit his teeth and freed one hand, using all his power, and suddenly punched the face of the female zombie. Bang! With the female zombie's head involuntarily offset a bit by Ling Mo's powerful punch, a foul bloody spray flew out from her mouth which contained a few teeth. But this punch did not stun the female zombie, but stimulated greater madness. The hand she used to hold down Ling Mo actually suddenly pressed down much more. If Ling Mo did not struggle to compete against this force, most likely his flesh would have been torn open by her nails. But even so, that kind of gravity still pressed down on him. The intense pain immediately came through. Ling Mo even heard the sound of caw-caw from his shoulder. At the same time, his arms could not help but soften down. This female zombie seized this gap and suddenly jumped over his head. That naked white but passed from his eyes, and she escaped the two blades of coldness. The pain coming from his almost broken bones made Ling Mo's eyes flash across bursts of blackness, but he still bit his teeth and grabbed the distant knife. But just as he got up, Ling Mo saw Shana rushed past from his side. Flashing with a trace of bloodiness in her eyes, the long knife in her hands suddenly pushed forward, and at the same time, her slender waist used this torque, actually turned around along the female zombie's body, using a very elegant and graceful posture. This was the time that reflected the importance of technique in the case of close distance, although female zombies had fast speed, but did not have diverse attacks, and Shana used her excellent methods. Not only dodged the attack from the female zombie, but also got in a strike with her knife. But the long knife that was supposedly to tear her heart, wiped past through her left armpit when the female zombie dodged on time. Although it brought her a deep wound with blood flowing, it did not hurt her enough. Most importantly, Shana's reaction speed was far from this female zombie. When her footsteps were not yet firm, that female zombie was completely disregarding her own wound and immediately turned around when the attack fell off, arm waving back casually. Bang! Shana was suddenly knocked away like a broken kite. But as a mutated zombie, she already adjusted her posture in mid-air, lightly falling on the ground, seeming like she did not get hurt. But to be able to knock away Shana, this meant this mutated zombie was indeed very powerful. Seeing Shana being sent flying, Ling Mo rushed forward at Ye Lian, taking the advantage that the female zombie had used all her strength and was slower due to the wound, both waving blades to cut her. With two streams of blood flowing out, this female zombie's body was almost cut open. But before her corpse fell on the ground, Ye Lian has already walked behind her, used the machete in her hands, and took out her brain viral gel with a thorough, clean cut. Bang! As the body landed, a large volume of blood immediately sprayed out. Let's go. With no time to care for shoulder pain, Ling Mo immediately returned using the way they came from. Just as they rushed into the safe passage, all zombies on the third floor has been alarmed, all flapping towards the bathroom. These zombies that were just ghostly a moment ago soon filled up the bathroom and crazily biting the corpse of the female zombie. At a time, flesh and blood flying, blood scattered. Just looking at the advanced zombie's single combat ability, she was much stronger than the other mutated zombies. The most obvious difference was that this advanced zombie had already developed consciousness. Mutated zombies like Ye Lian could only be considered to have developed simple consciousness. However, that big sister zombie that wasn't wearing underwear obviously had a trace of real self-consciousness. It may not have been complete, but compared to zombies who relied on instinctual movements, it was a qualitative leap. You can imagine that if she had the opportunity to continuously evolve, in the future, she could become a terrible killing machine. Lurking in them all, she would have a large food source for a long period of time. Mutated zombies would continue to emerge as her evolutionary nourishment. However, the intrusion of Ling Mo and his crew ruined her life. This was the first time since Ling Mo had mastered his zombie puppet control ability that he was injured by zombies, and the first time he was almost killed. To say he had no fear was false. In fact, until he ran out all the way, Ling Mo's heart was still beating heavily. Too cruel. I did not expect there were already monsters much stronger than mutated zombies. Ling Mo's face was somewhat ugly, but his mood slowly calmed down. Obviously, advanced zombies like this kind was only a minority. In this large city where millions of zombies were gathered, there may be some more advanced zombies like her. But these zombies all slowly evolved on their own, and Ling Mo could use his own ability as soon as possible to get Ye Lian and Shana to level up. One advanced zombie is this strong. What as he is with two advanced zombies? Ling Mo even begun to guess how it would appear like with the existence stronger than advanced zombies. Ling Mo's eyes suddenly become hot. As Shana had said before, she did not want to return to the past. This meant that Ye Lian was the same. Since they cannot return to the human group, they must be strong enough to survive in this world, or else other zombies will later kill them. The incident in which Shana was attacked today alarmed Ling Mo. And the presence of advanced zombies showing basic consciousness also showed that the zombie's evolution was indeed a double upgrade of physical and mental abilities. This and his initial desire did not contradict themselves. The thought of himself bringing two of the most powerful zombies and moving freely in this city filled with dead zombies. How cool would that be? See, At this time, the pain of his shoulder immediately broke Ling Mo's beautiful dream. He covered his shoulder with a pained look and sat down in a fairly quiet corner. Taking off his clothes, Ling Mo's eyes could not help but twitch a bit. The strength of that upgraded zombie was too strong. Not only did it leave 5 bruised fingerprints on his shoulder, and also made his entire shoulder slightly swollen. Danger was everywhere in the end of the world. Even if he had special abilities and 2 strong mutated zombies at his side, there was always the risk of death anytime. If it were other people, they would try to avoid danger, but Ling Mo chose not to. Fantasizing was good, but to achieve it was not an easy task. To upgrade Ye Lian and Shana means it would require a lot of virus gel. On the other hand, after this battle, Ling Mo also found his own shortcomings. Encountering enemies, such as advanced zombie, his zombie puppet control ability was useless, and close combat was his weakness as well. His current fighting ability only had an advantage when he was facing ordinary zombies. And in the face of advanced zombies, it was simply vulnerable to it. If this continues, he will begin dragging down Ye Lian and Shana's. Being under their protection was absolutely unacceptable to Ling Mo. Ling Mo could feel that his zombie puppet control ability had a lot of room for development. After the battle today, with advanced zombies, it had completely awoken Ling Mo. Relying on the control of zombies was not enough. He must find out the secrets to further develop the potential of his special ability. Besides his current special ability, could he find a way to improve his combat effectiveness? Of course, this exploration process would not be so easy. What are you afraid of? Compared to those survivors who have nothing, he at least had the capability to struggle and the inspiration to live. Ling Mo secretly despised himself. Since he had the ability, he should play out the full advantage of it as soon as possible, no matter how difficult it may be. After all, compared to ordinary people, he had been very lucky. Ordinary survivors, besides of joining camps like Wang and to use their collective power to survive, there was almost no other way for them to avoid being killed. For those with thick skin, they could also rely on the strong. There were always some people that were willing to accept boars in the world. The example was Shana, who turned into a mutated zombie, but was a silly girl before. Most of the survivors in this dangerous and terrifying environment likely lost their old life goals. The new purpose of their life was to continue to live. But Ling Mo was different because he had a much more important purpose now. Therefore, he had the power and courage to go in and out of dangerous situations, and also had more reasons to continue to take risks to get stronger. He thought, while raising his arm and pressing the shoulder. Fortunately, I didn't fracture the bones. Shana, help me out. Ling Mo pulled out a tube of ointment from his pocket, which was the analgesic liniment he collected from the previous pharmacy. A $10 ordinary ointment like this was a very precious object in the present times. After all they had been fighting among zombies all day, it was inevitable to avoid injury. Usually some of the minor injuries could avoid treatment, but the trauma on the hands and feet all could bring very fatal danger. Like Ling Mo now, he had difficulty in raising his hands, let alone fighting. But when Ling Mo handed the cream to Shana, he suddenly revealed a wry smile. Probably because she was sneak attacked by advanced zombies, and after hit flying, Shana, right now, still had red eyes after a bitter battle. Under the condition of being a mutated zombie, though she could still understand his words, but to let the full aggressive Shana help him to put on medicine. Looking at Shana with her murderous eyes, lips slightly peristaltic staring at him, Ling Mo swallowed mouth saliva, silently turned to Ye Lian. Although controlled by him, but still Ye Lian personally handled it, under the touching by Ye Lian's cold hands. Despite Ling Mo convulsing under the pain, he still embraced the pain entirely. When Ling Mo again put on his clothes, his forehead had emerged a layer of cold sweat. However, even if he put on a layer of ointment, it will still take a few days to completely recover. In the end of the world, to have medicine to put on was already extremely luxurious. The rest will have to rely on their own body's regeneration abilities. If it's zombies, this level of injury will not bring any impact, and recovery is swift. Mutated zombies like Shana, even if she was sent off flying, it did not cause her any harm. Slowly after a breath, Ling Mo pulled out a plastic bag, and from the hands of Ye Lian, he took the viral gel. Even through the plastic bag, he could see the difference of this viral gel. Its volume was smaller than a mutated zombie's gel, but the whole gel was almost blood red. Before his eyes, he could see a crystal clear ruby. Although Ling Mo was full of resentment towards that advanced zombie, he had to admit that this piece of viral gel looked very magnificent, and the longer you stared at it, the more you couldn't move away your eyes. If nobody said anything, who would know that it was pulled out from a zombie's brain? An unimaginable look was written on Ling Mo's face when he woke up. After staring blankly at the viral gel for a while, Ling Mo's lips moved slightly. He slowly brought his nose closer to it before taking a deep breath. 2 seconds passed as he stared at it. His expression turned a little odd and said, "Why do I find this thing appealing as well?" This was an extremely grave and rather important issue. As a normal human being, Ling Mo was very amazed at this strange turn of events. Why would he find a viral gel that was pulled from a zombie's brain appetizing? Previously, just one whiff of it would be enough to make his stomach turn. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that another 2 sniffs of it would be enough to knock him out. Only the 2 zombie sisters, Ye Lian and Shana, would consider such a thing a delicacy. Ling Mo had on many occasions thought that this smell would have been acceptable if it wasn't so pungent, but he never thought that the day would come where he'd find it appetizing. This was a treat for zombies, not humans. Ling Mo stared dumbfoundedly at the piece of gel for quite a while before he suddenly stuffed it into his pocket, the look on his face turning extremely complicated. No, this was all an illusion. I haven't turned into a mutated zombie. Could his sense of smell have been affected due to his daily exposure to the zombie sisters? Although Ye Lian and Shana were mutated zombies, they didn't reek of blood. Ling Mo himself could vouch that they were cleaner than a majority of the survivors. He'd always give the two zombie sisters a bath as long as he could find some surplus water. Of course, this wasn't because he wanted to admire the impressive bodies of these two sisters. The only way for him to be influenced by Shana and Ye Lian was through their spiritual connections with him. Ling Mo became increasingly suspicious the more he thought about it. Whenever his puppets fought or received an upgrade, he himself would experience a feeling of rage, as if he himself had turned into a zombie. The only difference was the extent of his control. There were no problems as long as he was able to restrain himself. The only time he'd ever lost control was when he was in the tea house at the square. There, he allowed Ye Lian to swallow the piece of high-purity viral gel and undergo her evolution. But Ling Mo paid it no mind. At that time, he thought that it was caused by his lack of willpower, causing him to be affected so severely. However, after giving it more thought, he realized that his body's reaction towards the gel's pungent aroma had changed after that incident. At the time, he was gripped with apprehension at the thought of possibly being infected, so he didn't notice this particular detail. If that wasn't the cause, then how was he able to continuously improve his spiritual strength through his spiritual connections? Although there were no changes to his outer appearance and reasoning, but both his spirit and his five senses seemed to be continuously undergoing minute changes. Would Ling Mo's zombie puppetry ability slowly turn him into a human zombie? His heart unexpectedly skipped a beat at the thought of that. No, that shouldn't be the case. Ling Mo furrowed his brows as he thought. He had this vague feeling that he'd chanced upon an important point. The greatest change that Ling Mo's experienced as a result of his spiritual connection with zombies was most likely the improvement of his spiritual strength, followed by the changes to his physical body. To Ling Mo, spiritual strength was a collective term for one's ability to concentrate, their powers of observation, and their level of determination. If the feeling of rage Ling Mo experienced could be termed as an influence on his willpower, then the level of difficulty he faced when trying to control zombies should be affected by his ability to concentrate. But what about one's sense of smell? Could it have something to do with one's powers of observation? Ling Mo, who was filled with misgivings, pulled out the piece of gel once again and brought it in front of his eyes for closer observation. At this moment, an idea suddenly flashed through Ling Mo's mind. Would it be possible for him to use his spiritual power to observe this piece of gel in the same manner he did for a zombie's spiritual orb? With this thought in mind, Ling Mo was filled with vigor. But the viral gel in front of him remained the same as time ticked on. Suddenly, Ling Mo realized that his spiritual tentacles were covered in a faint layer of blood-red color. Could this be the reason why his body no longer rejected the viral gel? After all, his spiritual power grew by controlling zombies. Maintaining his spiritual contact with them would also cause his spiritual power to be infected. Weren't the spiritual orbs of mutated zombies like Ye Lian all red? Following this line of thought, the rage he felt and his body's reaction towards the viral gel all seemed to be related to his spiritual powers being infected. Indeed, although Ling Mo was still a human, his spiritual powers had been influenced by zombies. But Ling Mo's sanity still remained. Such an influence, when compared to the formidable spiritual power he got in exchange, didn't really amount to anything. Ling Mo very quickly rationalized this point. How could he expect to get anything without paying a certain price? Ling Mo was able to share in the 5 cents of his zombie puppets, even while he was deep in thought. This could be due to his spiritual power and a zombie's spiritual orb having become the same thing. However, his spiritual powers were too feeble in the past, which is why they couldn't display their abilities. Otherwise, he might have already had his spiritual tentacles, but was just unable to perceive them. Although he realized this point, Ling Mo was unable to make any headway in his efforts to control the viral gel. Just as Ling Mo was slowly losing faith and was about to label himself as a quack, a sharp stab of pain suddenly appeared in his mind. Following which, the piece of viral gel in front of his eyes suddenly began to change. Ling Mo's eyes went wide. A spiritual tentacle extended out towards the viral gel and wrapped itself around it, immediately giving Ling Mo a strange feeling. This piece of gel was alive. The sudden realization caused Ling Mo to leap in fright, almost tossing it away. The gel, no, more precisely, the virus within it was still living. Its host had already died, but the virus itself was still alive. What formidable vitality. It's no wonder that it was so infectious. Following Ling Mo's abrupt reaction, a trace of a smile suddenly surfaced on Ling Mo's face. As expected, sure enough, there was more to Ling Mo's zombie puppeteer ability than meets the eye. His previous way of thinking was far too narrow-minded, causing him to miss out on this line of thought. Where does puppeteer ability rely on? Spiritual power. He was able to control zombies because he transformed his spiritual power into spiritual tentacles and invaded their spiritual realm, seizing control from within. If he could invade the spiritual realm of others, then wouldn't he be able to use his tentacles to come in contact with other living things? The viral gel was one such candidate, whose main body was the living virus. Ling Mo's spiritual tentacles would definitely be able to come in contact with it. Taking it a step further, living organisms were also a type of substance. Since he was able to come in contact with living things, by extension, he might even be able to contact other substances. However, would he be able to control them after coming into contact with them? Either way, Ling Mo wasn't able to hurry onward with his journey. He needed to rest for a while. Therefore, Ling Mo was full of excitement as he decided that he might as well try controlling the virus instead. With Ye Lian and Shana keeping watch of the surroundings, safety wasn't an issue for the time being. The virus and zombies were different. Although zombies had no awareness, it was a bit of a stretch to say that they had absolutely no emotions at all. The virus, on the other hand, had absolutely no spiritual power, so Ling Mo's tentacles didn't face the least bit of obstruction when they entered. One could even go as far as to say that he was infusing this piece of viral gel with spiritual power. Ling Mo's tentacles entered unhindered. But even after entering, there were no particular changes to the viral gel. Movement? Impossible. The virus obviously wasn't to move. Ling Mo felt a little dispirited with his findings. But Ling Mo very quickly sensed that something was off. Ling Mo's spiritual tentacles clearly held a great amount of strength when it came to the volume this piece of viral gel had, and its characteristic complete lack of spiritual power. After such an overwhelming display of power, Ling Mo felt the viral gel stir when he was slowly withdrawing his tentacles. This definitely wasn't an illusion. While his eyes might have made a mistake, his tentacles hadn't completely left the gel, and the response from his spiritual power definitely wouldn't be wrong. Although he couldn't control the viral gel, he was still able to elicit a reaction from it with his tentacles. After overcoming his shock, Ling Mo immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. It turned out that the tentacles created from his spiritual power possessed another function. While he wasn't able to control it, his tentacles were still able to influence the actions of the other party. Who knows, he might even be able to influence the other party's senses and distort their judgment. This was the true method of utilizing his zombie puppeteer ability. He wasn't just limited to controlling zombies. It even extended to his own spiritual powers. As expected, my future still seems to be developing in the direction of a tentacle monster. Ling Mo's expression suddenly turned somewhat complicated. Ling Mo spent over an hour of his rest experimenting on a way to gain a greater freedom of control over his ability to manipulate his spiritual power. In other words, he was discovering how to go about making his tentacles even more lethal. With Ye Lian and Shana taking turns to be his sparring partner, Ling Mo very quickly caught onto a trick. Soon after that, he turned his attention to using his spiritual power to control objects. But Ling Mo's experience was only limited to controlling living creatures. Suddenly changing his target to objects had dumbfounded him for a while. Of course, it might be due to Ling Mo's spiritual tentacles lacking strength, resulting in multiple failures. The closest Ling Mo came to succeeding was when he managed to make a piece of leaf move a little. But just that bit of movement nearly made Ling Mo's brain explode. Although this was a little out of Ling Mo's expectations, the process of finding other uses for his puppeteer ability was one he had to take a step at a time. The previous result already made him feel very happy. Presumably, attempting such a procedure once again after his spiritual power had risen would lead to a much higher rate of success. To Ling Mo, the spiritual power that his puppeteer ability consumed was excessive. He was forced to stop after over an hour of experimentation. Continuing would only render him breathless. After finding that his shoulder had gotten a lot better, Ling Mo immediately set out once again with Ye Lian and Shana. However, their journey was met with torrential rain, causing Ling Mo to feel depressed. But Ling Mo decided to hurry on despite the pouring rain so that they could get back to the construction site before it got dark. Although zombies weren't afraid of getting caught in the rain, how could Ling Mo allow Ye Lian and Shana to get drenched? Therefore, he specially went to a roadside shop and got them some raincoats. 3 figures wearing deep blue raincoats made their way through the rain. These 3 were probably the only figures within the city at present. This was the first thunderstorm after the world had ended. Bean-sized droplets of rain hit the ground, washing away the bloodstains that had seemingly coagulated into paste. The rain on the ground converged into a reddish-black brook, gripping the hearts of those who looked at it. No one knew how many people had to die before it took on such an appearance. With Ye Lian and Shana clearing the way, their pace was brisk in spite of the rain. They managed to reach the construction site before dusk gave way to night. After doing some simple sorting of the items he'd gathered and cooking himself a nice meal, Ling Mo took out the advanced zombies viral gel. Ling Mo originally intended to share this piece of gel equally amongst Ye Lian and Shana. However, Shana showed some hesitation when he gave it to her. She then proceeded to further split her share, leaving roughly a third of it in her hand. Seeing Ling Mo look at her suspiciously, Shana haltingly said, "There's too much. It's too pure." Ling Mo came to the sudden realization that Shana's physical evolution was far from Ye Lian's. Her body wouldn't be able to handle such an excessive amount. For the sake of safety, Ling Mo made Shana and Ye Lian take turns to consume the viral gel. Their current evolutionary progress was probably what allowed them to take in such an incomparably pure piece of viral gel without passing out. It only resulted in their eyes rapidly turning red, awakening their zombie instincts. In such a situation, they were making an effort to brace themselves for the next step of their transformation that the virus would bring them. But even Ling Mo hadn't expected this time's upgrade to take whole 3 days. During this time, although Shana and Ye Lian didn't lose consciousness, they had no awareness of their surroundings at all. Even Ling Mo didn't dare to use his tentacles to penetrate their spiritual orbs and check on their condition, because both the insides of their bodies and their spiritual realms felt as if gigantic waves were roiling about. Ling Mo could feel his body being improved as well. However, similar to the previous time, the changes his body experienced didn't last for long. He only felt a modest increase to his strength and speed. On the other hand, the improvement to his spiritual strength was comparatively large. His spiritual tentacles had become even more flexible, and they took on a shade of red that was even closer to that of blood. Ling Mo was very satisfied with these changes. After finding out the true use of his puppeteer ability, having greater spiritual strength would naturally be desirable. Shana, who was the first to take in the viral gel, and was also the first to wake up, she looked somewhat perplexed as she stared at Ling Mo, before her gaze gradually filled with clarity, and said, "I feel like I've remembered many things." Ling Mo was stunned upon hearing Shana's manner of speech before he revealed an expression of extreme happiness. Her manner of speech was far too similar to Shana before she turned into a zombie. Although it still sounded a little indifferent and lacking in emotion, it was extremely close to how she was in the past. If she were sat beside someone who didn't know the truth, they probably wouldn't be able to notice any abnormalities, let alone guess that she was, in fact, a zombie. "What did you remember?" Ling Mo was filled with excitement as he asked. Shana stared seriously at Ling Mo as she spoke every word. "I remember you." Ling Mo's expression immediately turned very embarrassed. "You used giving me a bath as an excuse to feel me up." Ling Mo's expression continued to grow more complicated as Shana continued on. What kind of situation was this? Shouldn't the very first thing Shana do after regaining her sanity be to lament her life as she looked back on it? After which, shouldn't she thank Ling Mo for all the effort that he put in? Even if she wasn't planning on devoting herself to him for life, at the very least, giving him a kiss wasn't asking for too much, right? Ling Mo had fantasized countless times about how the scene when Shana and Ye Lian regained their sanity would be like. It might be a touching moment, or it might be one filled with blazing emotions. But he never expected such a situation to occur. Shana's tone of voice sounded very calm, to the point where it felt like she had no emotions. If one were to neglect the content of her speech, she almost sounded the same as she did 3 days ago. Although Shana remembered what had happened while she was a zombie, she never bothered to mention it before. In her mind, she probably felt that such matters weren't worth bringing up. Could Shana's have recovered her sanity? At this moment, Shana suddenly indifferently added, "This is probably what you humans call molesting, right?" "Eh, you humans?" Ling Mo couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Once her words sank in, the look in Ling Mo's eyes suddenly turned a little complicated. Shana had previously said that she was no longer a human, and that she had no intention of turning back into one. She was even less inclined to remember anything related to her past. Who would have thought that her way of thinking would still remain the same even after regaining her sanity? But this was normal. It'd be disastrous if she really did think of herself as a human. Not to mention anything else, just the memory of her eating viral gels alone would be enough to cause her to fall apart. After her mutation, Shana had already turned into a different race, a zombie. She recovered her memories, but not her personality. Based on her nature, she was still a zombie, regardless of how much of her sanity she recovered. Regardless of the number of human memories she recalled, the present Shana would use a zombie's way of thinking to look at things. Translator. Sigil. Ling Mo spent the past 1 hour of rest finding out how to obtain a greater freedom of control over his ability to manipulate his spiritual power. In other words, he was discovering how to go about making his tentacles even more lethal. With Ye Lian and Shana taking turns to be his sparring partner, Ling Mo very quickly caught onto a trick. Soon after that, he turned his attention to using his spiritual power to control objects. But Ling Mo's experience was only limited to controlling living creatures. Suddenly changing his target to objects had dumbfounded him for a while. Of course, it might be due to Ling Mo's spiritual tentacles lacking strength, resulting in multiple failures. The closest Ling Mo came to succeeding was when he managed to make a piece of leaf move a little. But just that bit of movement nearly made Ling Mo's brain explode. Although this was a little out of Ling Mo's expectations, the process of finding other uses for his puppeteer ability was one he had to take a step at a time. The previous result already made him feel very happy. Presumably, attempting such a procedure once again after his spiritual power had risen would lead to a much higher rate of success. To Ling Mo, the spiritual power that his puppeteer ability consumed was excessive. He was forced to stop after over an hour of experimentation. Continuing would only render him breathless. After finding that his shoulder had gotten a lot better, Ling Mo immediately set out once again with Ye Lian and Shana. However, their journey was met with torrential rain, causing Ling Mo to feel depressed. But Ling Mo decided to hurry on despite the pouring rain so that they could get back to the construction site before it got dark. Although zombies weren't afraid of getting caught in the rain, how could Ling Mo allow Ye Lian and Shana to get drenched? Therefore, he specially went to a roadside shop and got them some raincoats. 3 figures wearing deep blue raincoats made their way through the rain. These 3 were probably the only figures within the city at present. This was the first thunderstorm after the world had ended. Bean-sized droplets of rain hit the ground, washing away the bloodstains that had seemingly coagulated into paste. The rain on the ground converged into a reddish-black brook, gripping the hearts of those who looked at it. No one knew who many people had to die before it took on such an appearance. With Ye Lian and Shana clearing the way, their pace was brisk in spite of the rain. They managed to reach the construction site before dusk gave way to night. After doing some simple sorting of the items he'd gathered and cooking himself a nice meal, Ling Mo took out the advanced zombies viral gel. Ling Mo originally intended to share this piece of gel equally amongst Ye Lian and Shana. However, Shana showed some hesitation when he gave it to her. She then proceeded to further split her share, leaving roughly a third of it in her hand. Seeing Ling Mo look at her suspiciously, Shana haltingly said, "There's too much, it's too pure." Ling Mo came to the sudden realization that Shana's physical evolution was far from Ye Lian's. Her body wouldn't be able to handle such an excessive amount. For the sake of safety, Ling Mo made Shana and Ye Lian take turns to consume the viral gel. Their current evolutionary progress was probably what allowed them to take in such an incomparably pure piece of viral gel without passing out. It only resulted in their eyes rapidly turning red, awakening their zombie instincts. In such a situation, they were making an effort to brace themselves for the next step of their transformation that the virus would bring them. But even Ling Mo hadn't expected this time's upgrade to take whole 3 days. During this time, although Shana and Ye Lian didn't lose consciousness, they had no awareness of their surroundings at all. Even Ling Mo didn't dare to use his tentacles to penetrate their spiritual orbs and check on their condition, because both the insides of their bodies and their spiritual realms felt as if gigantic waves were roiling about. Ling Mo could feel his body being improved as well. However, similar to the previous time, the changes his body experienced didn't last for long. He only felt a modest increase to his strength and speed. On the other hand, the improvement to his spiritual strength was comparatively large. His spiritual tentacles had become even more flexible, and they took on a shade of red that was even closer to that of blood. Ling Mo was very satisfied with these changes. After finding out the true use of his puppeteer ability, having greater spiritual strength would naturally be desirable. Shana, who was the first to take in the viral gel and was also the first to wake up, she looked somewhat perplexed as she stared at Ling Mo before her gaze gradually filled with clarity and said, "I feel like I've remembered many things." Ling Mo was stunned upon hearing Shana's manner of speech before he revealed an expression of extreme happiness. Her manner of speech was far too similar to Shana before she turned into a zombie. Although it still sounded a little indifferent and lacking in emotion, it was extremely close to how she was in the past. If she were sat beside someone who didn't know the truth, they probably wouldn't be able to notice any abnormalities, let alone guess that she was, in fact, a zombie. "What did you remember?" Ling Mo was filled with excitement as he asked. Shana stared seriously at Ling Mo as she spoke every word. "I remember you." Ling Mo's expression immediately turned very embarrassed. "You used giving me a bath as an excuse to feel me up." Ling Mo's expression continued to grow more complicated as Shana continued on. What kind of situation was this? Shouldn't the very first thing Shana do after regaining her sanity be to lament her life as she looked back on it? After which, shouldn't she thank Ling Mo for all the effort that he put in? Even if she wasn't planning on devoting herself to him for life, at the very least, giving him a kiss wasn't asking for too much, right? Ling Mo had fantasized countless times about how the scene when Shana and Ye Lian regained their sanity would be like. It might be a touching moment, or it might be one filled with blazing emotions. But he never expected such a situation to occur. Shana's tone of voice sounded very calm, to the point where it felt like she had no emotions. If one were to neglect the content of her speech, she almost sounded the same as she did 3 days ago. Although Shana remembered what had happened while she was a zombie, she never bothered to mention them before. In her mind, she probably felt that such matters weren't worth bringing up. Could Shana's have recovered her sanity? At this moment, Shana suddenly indifferently added, "This is probably what you humans call molesting, right?" "At you humans?" Ling Mo couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Once her words sank in, the look in Ling Mo's eyes suddenly turned a little complicated. Shana had previously said that she was no longer a human, and that she had no intention of turning back into one. She was even less inclined to remember anything related to her past. Who would have thought that her way of thinking would still remain the same, even after regaining her sanity? But this was normal. It'd be disastrous if she really did think of herself as a human. Not to mention anything else, just the memory of her eating viral gels alone would be enough to cause her to fall apart. After her mutation, Shana had already turned into a different race, a zombie. She recovered her memories, but not her personality. Based on her nature, she was still a zombie, regardless of how much of her sanity she recovered. Regardless of the number of human memories she recalled, the present Shana would use a zombie's way of thinking to look at things.